Hello, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Moran, and I'm here with River Brown, Ange Velez, and Joe Dehls. And this is now episode 276. In this episode, we are going to give our NFL Day 1 and Day 2 draft winners, talk about biggest steals, if Bijan was drafted too high, rookie quarterbacks in the best position, debate if Giannis' season was a failure, and give our predictions for the second round of the NBA playoffs. Back in the studio.
Like we never left, boy. Like we never left, boy.
Shout out to everybody watching live on YouTube right now. Make sure you guys click that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're back, boys. Back in the studio. How you guys
What
doing?
do you guys think is the myth behind having so many viewers and nobody liking the video?
That is a good question.
People are stingy.
I'll say this because I used to be this way, and I did not change my ways until we started making content myself.
Mhm.
I used to watch,
Not like, right?
close out after I was done.
Okay.
It just never was a thought in my mind. But then
Okay.
you realize and you start doing content, you're like, likes.
They matter.
They
They're
matter.
important.
They
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, I don't like nothing I watch on YouTube.
Neither do I.
But I like
still
it, though.
don't.
I changed.
Respect you. I still don't.
I
It's
don't.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, I like it, but I ain't about to sit here and like your video.
Yeah.
And shit.
Like
Not
if
gonna
I'm
lie.
watching First Take, if I'm watching stuff like that, like
Oh,
clips,
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
there's
they
no
could.
way I'm
I
like,
don't
if,
watch
if
them.
it's someone like coming up.
I'm watching like an MLB The Show kind of guy,
MLB, I'm actually the Miami Marlins, and
Road to the show.
Road to the
I made no franchise right
March to October.
now. I made
facts.
River Brown. He is a 99 overall rookie.
Oh,
different
tough.
type of name.
Two-way.
No, I am a two-way. I'm Shohei.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 180 million cap.
Shohei's your goat.
He's the greatest I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's tough.
I
Should
got
have probably just named him Rivio Cafe.
Rio Cafe.
Rio Cafe.
It would look funny. And actually, no, MLB, it might have worked.
That's your name in my phone.
Is it really?
Rio Cafe with a cup
Sweet.
of coffee.
Okay, all right, yeah. I got Jazz.
I mean, Pierre was making an MLB The Show character. His name is Pierre Hernandez.
That's hilarious.
Isn't his name actually Pierre Hernandez?
No, it's
An-
Anderson.
Yeah, that's the last name.
I don't know why he made it Hernandez. Why did he?
Is it just like
It
a
just
baseball
fits,
thing?
I guess.
It
the
actually
MLB
fits.
culture
Yeah,
more.
because they don't have
No, they
respect
do.
to
Tim
MLB.
Anderson
They
is-
they do
is-
have Anderson because
Yeah,
of Tim Anderson.
It's on the White
They don't
Sox.
have my name. Like I put River, and
They
it was
don't
like
Yeah.
no
What?
audio. No,
I don't know anyone named River in the MLB.
Yeah, Brown, no audio.
They have
Brown's
Velez.
crazy.
Wow.
I
They
was
don't
hyped.
have Dehls. They have Joel. It's Joel, I think.
Never forget, Joel was making a creative player at my crib one day. Bro, he named his guy Joel Dirtbag.
They have Dirtbag.
But they had Dirtbag as the audio, so it goes Joel Dirtbag.
They also don't have
love it.
any black people here. It's kind of nuts. Like I was looking for trying to get
Like
some.
braids.
Nah, nothing.
Nothing.
Just
Really?
Damn, no, nothing.
I guess
No
with the hat on,
braids?
though, you don't really
No,
see much.
it's expected. It's MLB's geared towards like Hispanics. It's more of a Hispanic type.
Well,
of game.
Dominican people are black.
Yeah, I understand that, but like
No, but I was saying like Ronald Acuna, Lindor, like their hairstyles are.
they have the like
Yeah,
the,
there's definitely people
Yeah,
that have
they have
braids
like
in
the
MLB.
the mohawk
have
type, the curly mohawk.
Okay.
They don't have like braids and
Uh-huh.
stuff. It pretty sucks. I was looking for it for a while.
So make sure you guys like this episode right now. Let's get to 100 likes before we hit the 10-minute mark. And we're going to talk about some Boom Fantasy picks right now. You know,
Yes,
we
sir.
have NBA playoff games. Round 2 is kicking off. Suns and Nuggets tonight. We're going to give our predictions for that series later on in the show. Dehls, you
doesn't
got
know
some
who to
Boom picks.
I do. We got a bunch of boom news, honestly. First of all, we're still running our MLB The Show giveaway. We're just talking about it. That's going through the end of this month. So you have another day or two to get those in. All you got to do, click the link in our bio, use code PAS to sign up. You're automatically entered into the raffle. We'll give that away on May 1st. And also, I know there's a lot of people out there who always ask, oh, Boom's not available in my state. I want to play, but it's not available. We do have a new game mode, which is Coin Flip Live, where it's pretty simple. There's, I think, 4 rounds. You pick heads or tails, and you can win $100 I think they're doing it every Sunday and Monday at 9 o'clock. So even if you're not in a state that, DFS is legal, you can still download Boom. You can still sign up. It still helps us, and you'll be able to maybe win $100 just by picking heads or tails. So for today, like you guys mentioned, we have Nuggets and Suns. The last one you guys did pretty well. I know for sure you had yours would have hit, right? You pick
Yeah. I had a 3-leg parlay. I had
Yeah.
Edwards over, Jamal Murray over, and Tatum under.
Tatum
'cause you
under.
always take the under on Tatum.
unless
was
it was
sick.
games.
I went
He
3
had
for
30
4
flat. He was
because
probably at
Tatum's a
30 and a half.
bum.
The 4th leg I took was Devin Booker. I took his under, but I told you guys, listen, I don't want to add this one in.
Yeah, you went 3 for 4.
Just 3 to pick the
You went 3 for
do
4.
my 3. That's it.
So for tonight, we've been talking about Katie before the show, kind of coasted in that first round. Now they're playing Denver, number 1 seed. His line's at 27.5 points for tonight.
There's just no one on the Nuggets that can guard Kevin Durant. Not that there's anyone that can guard Devin Booker realistically. These are two of the most unguardable guys in the NBA right now, the way that they're playing basketball. 27.5. I'm going to go over. I just can't see myself taking an under on Kevin Durant points ever. I just would never feel okay with that.
I'm going with KD over 27.5. That to me seems like a lock. The Nuggets have better personnel to guard Booker than they do Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Booker, the matchup will be KCP. Aaron Gordon likely gets the KD matchup. I like KD on Gordon, so I'm going to take KD's over.
AG provides a bit of a better physical matchup than anybody in the Clippers outside of Kawhi, obviously. But Kevin Durant did let Devin Booker kind of cook up. He might do it again depending on how Devin Booker plays this game. Taking an under on KD is so nasty.
Bro,
fuck it, I'll take the over. Taking the under is just so nasty.
We have any Chris Paul lines?
We do have Chris Paul. What are you looking for? We have points, we have rebounds, assists, threes, PRA, steals. We got everything.
What's the points for Chris Paul?
Chris Paul's at 14.5 points.
Under.
Take the under.
Take the under on that?
Yeah.
I'll alternate.
We got no Chris Paul fans on this show except John.
Chill, what are you talking about? I've given love to Chris Paul.
Listen, I'm a huge Chris Paul fan
Really?
all time.
That's funny.
This year, call it how you see it. Call it how you see it.
Played well.
Chris Paul
played well.
has not been good.
He's been a good player. Not an all-star.
If Joel's gonna call him cooked, he'll probably have 30 tonight. So
you think so?
How it is.
Oh yeah. Dehls. I went 3-4 last time.
You did. I'm just saying
Respect
in round
me,
one.
Dehls.
Who's winning the playoff? Boom right now.
I'm winning it for sure.
I don't have it on.
No, he was undefeated.
I was
the last
undefeated.
time. We were tied. Respect me.
It's close. So whatever
we
it
have
is,
the
it's close.
same. We have the same amount of picks.
Chris Paul last series averaged 14 and 8, shot 41% from the field and 35% from three.
Because I trusted Garland.
This man is dog shit.
All right, let's get
Russell Westbrook outplayed him.
I'm taking an under. I'm taking an under on Chris Paul.
Okay,
I'll take
and then
the under also.
Under Riv 14.5.
Under.
All going under. All
I
right.
should back the way and go over.
And then Jokic, I mean, we could talk about his points at 25.5, his rebounds at 12.5, assists 9.5, or his PRA 47.5. Which one of those is
with Jokic? With Jokic, I'm gonna go rebounds.
Rebounds.
I don't trust DeAndre Ayton's physicality.
I'll go assist.
I like Jokic's rebounds in this.
What's the assist numbers again?
9.5, 12.5. rebounds.
I lied.
9.5. That's just.
That's 10 assists.
It's screaming for me to take it because that's just what Jokic does.
They're basically saying Jokic is going to have a triple-double tonight.
I
mean, if the shooters are hitting.
Combined, we are. But
I'll
again,
go under.
And you said 25.5 points?
Yes.
I do think that this is a big series for Jokic to assert himself offensively scoring the basketball. I don't think Ayton's a great matchup for him. 25.5. Just for the fact that Jokic has just been simply just a 22, 23 type of ball player. I feel safer taking the 9.5 assists because he's just one of the best playmakers.
You guys are all taking us over though, regardless.
I'll take the under on the assist.
Under assist.
I'm taking the over on.
I do think the scoring will go up, but I think
agree.
the assists will go down.
Okay.
My whole analysis was basically about scoring, but Riv already did it, so I'll stick with mine with the assist.
So 3-leg parlay. What I'm going Chris Paul under points, KD over points, and Jokic over on his rebounds. That's my 3-leg parlay. I'm only messing with 3. Once you get to 4, it gets a little bit tricky.
Too much?
Yeah, it's too much.
So I'm going KD over.
Ooh, the Jets drafted Israel Abakanda.
Nice. Let's go.
Who's that?
That's a huge pick.
Pittsburgh running back. Is that where he went to college, right?
Dog?
Yeah.
Beast?
Israel, yeah, he's good. He's good. He's a burner.
Oh, KD over, Chris Paul under on points, and then Joker under on assist.
Okay, so I have the over on KD's points, I have the under on Chris Paul's points, and I have the over on Jokic's assists.
Who needs Zeke when we have Israel?
Who needs Zeke?
Screaming.
If you want to play Boom Fantasy, use the link in our bio to sign up. Code PICKASIDE helps the show out a ton. We're on a contract year, franchise tagged. Help us get those numbers up.
We're month to month, so we need these signers bad. So you guys, make sure you guys sign up with our code. It helps us a lot.
For some odd reason, Dom cannot donate to us, so he continues to donate to me. He said, show love to the guys, say what's up to you guys. And he sent $5. You're not getting
What
it.
a sweetie.
Okay.
That's yours.
That's good. So, Zeke
yourself
still
a
is
hot
not
chocolate.
signed yet to a team.
He is
Sucks
not.
for him,
I know.
honestly.
I was thinking that the other day. I thought I had missed it, but he's just not signed.
No, that is tough. That is tough. Now, before we go on to the first topic of the show, actually, you know what? Let's go on to the first topic. We'll talk about Mojo after because it has to do with the draft. The first topic of the show, it's been a hot topic that everybody's been talking about. We know the Heat just beat the Bucks 4-1, right? So Giannis has been 0-2 in his 2 full games against the Heat in this series. 8th seed beating the number 1 seed, the championship favorite, the Vegas odd betting favorite. Was this season a failure by Giannis? Giannis in his presser was asked a question, and he said it wasn't a failure. Everything is always a building
Steps to
block,
success.
experience, steps to success. Was this season a failure by Giannis? Riv, I'll start with you.
I actually would like to give the floor
knew this was
to
gonna
Drew.
happen.
I would love, because I feel like us over here, we kind of have a similar idea of what's going on. We kind of are going to be on the same level for once in this segment. But I feel like this young man right
I don't
here.
know. I might have a different opinion.
You might. You always surprise me. But this guy right here, I'm pretty evident. I know where he's going with this. So I would like to hear your opinion on the best player in the world to you.
You know, I had to take a second to reflect on this. So I had a conversation with my pops. I feel like anytime I really need guidance, that's who I go to. So I spoke to him. I said, Dad, I'm at a crossroads. I've been super consistent on the fact that it's championship or bust. If you're one of those guys and your expectations are to win a championship and you don't, it's a failure. Ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, the goal at the beginning of the season, regardless of which team you are, the goal, the mission is to win a championship. And if you don't reach that, yes, in my eyes, the words I've used is failure. Now, to be fair to Giannis Antetokounmpo, he played two games. He missed 2 3/4 of a game. He played 11 minutes in game 1, then was forced to miss the second, third, fourth quarter, then missed game 2, then missed game 3. But he was back for game 4 and game 5. Game 4, he had a triple-double. They blew a double-digit point lead. Game 5, he had 40 and 20, 38 and 20 to be specific, because I know people in the comments are very strict with stuff like that.
How about his defense?
His Can I finish, Riv?
I'm
You
sorry.
said, Andrew, I want you to
I'm
talk.
I just want to make sure
Let
you
me
get
talk.
everything.
I'm trying to, if you'd let me.
Got you.
So
Excited.
again, he had a very great statistical night. They blew a double-digit point lead again and lost at home in Milwaukee. He was not the best by any means at the free throw line. One would even say poor at the free throw line.
Terrible.
So if I'm going to remain consistent, yes, I would say for the Milwaukee Bucks, I do believe that this season's a failure. However, Giannis's words, it's more than at face value what he's trying to say. You just have to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. What he's saying is 100% sound, where realistically he's trying to take it where sports is not everything in life, that this is something that he does as long as he's able to live a fulfilling, flourishing life. That he can go home, he can provide food on the table for him and his family, make sure that his side is secure, everything's sound, that it's not a failure, because he's not a failure. Realistically, you could just look at in the sport that he's playing, which is how I feel. Yes, you underachieved. You failed to reach your ultimate goal of a championship. But as a human being, to say it's a failure, he's not failing. Obviously, there are people that are in well worse situations than him. They don't work not nearly as hard. If Giannis wasn't one of the most hardworking NBA players in the game, then maybe I'd feel more strongly and more passionate, maybe to how you guys might be when you guys give your dialogues. But I understand the work ethic that Giannis puts into his game. I understand how much the game means to Giannis. It's not like he goes out there and he's not giving 110% every single game. Go look at the All-Star game. He gives his all in every single thing that is basketball related. Does not matter what the event is. If Giannis was a slouch, then yes, I would say that this is a failure and he needs to start working and putting more work in. But Giannis simply doesn't need to. He was clearly injured. He still played through the injury, played well. Yes, you would have liked that his free throws would sink a little bit more. You would have liked that maybe that he would pick up Jimmy Butler, because you're supposed to be one of the best defenders in this game. You need to take that assignment. But ultimately, it is what it is. If you're Milwaukee, you should not have lost this series. No way, no how. Yes, you failed. But in the grand scheme of things, it's bigger than basketball sometimes. And if you want to really hone in, if somebody else said this, you'd be crucifying. I'm not going to disagree with that. But let's be real. I'm not crucifying Giannis, because if another player of his caliber that showed the same work ethic, showed the same drive towards the game of basketball said this, you got to understand that they're not using the word failure is strong.
Well, that's just wrong.
I
Because
was going to go.
if Kevin Durant had this type of loss, you'd be all over him. And
Steph.
I think he has the same type of work ethic
Tatum.
and drive as Giannis.
No doubt.
You said a lot of nothing. You brought up
That was
injuries.
rude.
No, you brought up injuries. The man missed 13 free throws. Let's listen.
I said he was bad.
Yeah, no, you,
So there's
Drew.
something.
If Kevin Durant, he said it. If Kevin Durant did this,
Mhm.
me and you would be on this side of the fence going bananas.
I
mean,
told you,
he-
my
he-
beef with Kevin Durant's over.
if Steph Curry did this, the
you were
media
overly critical of KD for missing 5 shots in overtime, or 6 it was.
Six.
Oh, yeah,
Over
whenever
6.
I say 5, you correct me and say 6. And he
love
had historic performances in Game 6 and Game 7. He had the most points in Game 7 history.
And I gave credit to that. I give credit to the performance they put forward. Without Kevin Durant, the Nets would be nothing. I gave credit to that.
Well, they kind of are nothing still. But go ahead, Riff.
For me, just the way Giannis went about his whole presser was very odd. You know, it's definitely a situation where we've never seen. He looked very uncomfortable. It looked like a couple times he was throwing Bud under the bus. You know, but specifically talking about that part where he brought up Michael Jordan. He said that Michael Jordan failed 9 times. No, it's a marathon. Regular season and playoffs are 2 different seasons. We all know that. The regular season is one thing. You can succeed in the regular season. We've seen it. The Kings have succeeded. The Grizzlies have succeeded. We've seen that. The Celtics succeeded. When you make the playoffs, you've succeeded in the regular season. You've got to the playoffs. That is the goal. When you get to the playoffs, certain teams have an expectation to keep. For a team like the Bucks or the Celtics, expectation is championship. For a team like Denver, the Suns, Golden State, the expectation is a championship.
Definitely.
If they do not get there, they deem that as a failure. They failed in the playoffs. For him to say it wasn't a failure, I mean, I think that's just the wrong way to go about it. You know, I feel like he could have easily just said, we didn't reach our goal this year. We failed. We're going to go back into the offseason. We're going to lock in, get better, individually work on our games, and come back next year stronger. When you're the Milwaukee Bucks, your goal is championship. And him saying that just goes about he basically having a cop-out for why he didn't play well, why the team didn't play well. I mean, 13 free throws missing is insane. Defensively, he was not great. Jimmy Butler completely owned 3 guys that are on Defensive Player of the Year ballots. Maybe not Drew, but he was on there last year. Brook Lopez, Giannis is every year probably finished top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year since he's been elite. So that's insane. I mean, I think Giannis, he was just frustrated. And I understand the frustration. You know, you lose in 5 to a team you thought you would win. And even his comment where he said we were thinking championship, so we looked past the Heat, that's not championship pedigree. Every championship team knows they look at the series they got in front of them and they take care of that business and then they go on to the next. You look at that with LeBron, you look at that with Steph in the past, Kevin Durant, even the greats, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, blah, blah, blah. So I think him saying that is really just a cop-out. And when you're the best player in the league, quote unquote, by a lot of people, you cannot take that route and you cannot lose to an 8th seed. I understand he was injured and I understand he was hurt for 2 games, but they won a game without him. And then he came back in Miami, they lost, and then he had opportunity in Miami to win that game also.
They were up double digits.
Yeah, and he had opportunity to win in your home. That's your home building, which I keep harping on. That is your home building. You lose in your home building. Jimmy Butler goes out there and plays amazing. I want to give a little credit to Miami because we're going to talk a lot about Milwaukee Bucks choking, but Miami came to play. You know, they exceeded all our expectations at this table. They came, they stepped up. Jimmy Butler put the team on his back. Gabe Vincent had a couple good games. Bam showed up late when they needed him to. And they just outshone. Yeah, they just outperformed and outshined everything of our expectations. They played amazing. They deserved to be in the second round. They completely outperformed the Bucks. And we're going to start looking at the Bucks a little different later down the road on this team construction. But yeah, for Giannis, for me personally, this is a failure. Losing in the first round as a number 1 seed is deemed as a failure. The Spurs, they did it before. They deemed it as a failure. You're a championship contender team. You lose in the first round, you failed this year.
I mean, listen, no doubt the Miami Heat deserve credit because they shot lights out. It was an anomaly playoff series performance, if I'm being honest. Jimmy Butler, I'm expecting to play like this moving forward. I don't think he'll drop off much, but the team as a whole, and when we get into our predictions, I'll go into the stats on why it was such an anomaly by the Heat. But listen, they had a hot stretch. This reminded me of an NFL playoff matchup where a certain team is just hot at the right time. That happened to Miami. This is inexcusable for Giannis to lose in the first round like this. It is. You're the 1st seed, the favorite by Vegas. Giannis, by no means, no stretch of the imagination, is a failure in life. Nobody is saying that. To act like the reporter was asking Giannis if he is a failure, for Giannis to interpret that question in that way was bizarre. But Giannis is likable, so people don't take his words and they don't try to flip it and don't try to spin a narrative around him, because if that was Kevin Durant, if that was Kyrie, if that was any other superstar that we hold to that type of standard, then they'd be getting crucified right now by giving that exact same answer Giannis just gave. The season was a failure. You're fully healthy. Chris Middleton's healthy. Drew Holiday's healthy. Brook Lopez is healthy. There's people vouching for Brook Lopez to be DPOY. Drew Holiday to make an all-NBA team. Giannis to be the MVP. You had Giannis as MVP.
No doubt.
And to lose in the first round, this was the most embarrassing first-round performance ever by any team.
Why are you saying
There-
that
there
as
was-
if their best player didn't miss 2 3/4 of the series?
You want to know why? Because Giannis didn't win a game when he played. He was 0-2. The Bucks were up double digits versus the Heat in game 4. They lost. They were up double digits in game 6. They lost. Jimmy
25.
Butler down 5+ points.
Talking
Got an
crazy.
and one and told Jimmy Butler and told Drew Holiday
Jimmy's
he
awesome for
owns
that.
him.
He's lit for
I
that.
own you.
You look at other first seed versus 8 seed matchups. I'll look at the 07 Mavs when Dirk won MVP and lost to the Warriors. That team, that Warriors team, had momentum going into the playoffs. It was a we believe team. This Miami Heat team had zero momentum going to the playoffs. They lost a play-in game and won the other one. We were talking about Zach LaVine potentially outplaying Jimmy Butler in a play-in game. This Heat team had no momentum. They had no business winning this series. And Giannis's limitations in the half-court offense have shown up once again. Now, I made a take 2 years ago when the Bucks won a championship that Giannis would never win a championship because of his half-court limitations. Obviously, he won. It put that to rest. But when you look back at the championship run, we're not taking credit away from the championship. There's no asterisk. Championships are championships. But the Bucks went to the wire.
We're not going to give
I'm
him an
talking
asterisk,
about
but
Game 7 with no Harden, with no Kyrie. Harden was playing on. He was playing on a grade 2
It always
hamstring.
goes back to
Yeah,
this. It
I know.
always goes back to
no
the Nets
asterisk.
series.
But I'm going to give you a situation where there should
Bud
be
is
an
also
asterisk.
still dog shit.
No, he's
I'm just saying the Nets took the Bucks to 7 games. Kevin Durant single-handedly took a fully loaded Bucks team, a better Bucks team than the Bucks currently, the 7 games. And Giannis couldn't do the same versus this Miami Heat that they just lost their second best offensive player in Tyler Hero in game 1 for the series. He wasn't even playing. This was the most embarrassing performance. This was a failure by Giannis, and
honest. He missed 2 3/4 of the
And
series.
he played 2
You
full
can't
games
have-
and they
you can't have
lost.
double-digit
He played
leads in
well.
fourth quarters, back-to-back games.
Did
and
he play
lose.
well? Did he have good stats? Did he have good
In
stats?
game 4, he played well.
Drew, who is the best player in the world to you?
Giannis down to the
So the
Kubo.
best player in the world got outplayed by Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler looked like the best player in the world
Easily,
right now.
easily.
If it was somebody's first NBA playoff series, they say, "Oh, that guy Jimmy Butler is Michael Jordan.
He went crazy.
He's looking like Michael Jordan
Jimmy
right
Jordan.
He went crazy.
now." That's why listen. No excuses for Giannis. This was an embarrassing performance, and you expect more.
You do.
I don't care that
know he
Giannis.
had
I don't
4
care that
games on
Giannis was injured for a game and a quarter or whatever that was.
2
because
3/4.
they won a game without him.
He
They
missed 2
split
games.
without him, and I think they
They lost
probably
2 games. They lost 3 games without him.
Game
They
one.
They
No,
lost
they
2
didn't.
games without him.
They lost
They lost
game
game
one.
3 and they lost game 1. They lost 2 games without him.
yeah they
They
lost
also
2
lost 2
games
games
with
with him.
Giannis.
Yes.
Correct.
It's a bad luck.
You just expect Giannis to have more of a like you know how when superstars sometimes just say fuck what the coach talking about.
Mhm.
Go out there. I'm
Like
taking
what
over.
Jimmy Butler did.
What Kawhi has done before. Like even Kawhi, the quietest man in the world, has done it before. But you expect Giannis to have some type of, instead of seeing, Bud is not making an adjustment. He's not sending doubles to Jimmy. He's playing he's just allowing Jimmy to
Mhm.
continue to get hot, to continue to cook. At some point, as the best player in the world, I don't think so, but as the best player in the world, as one of the best defenders in the league, as the best player on your team, you have to look at your coach and say, bro, no, I'm taking Jimmy. I'm taking over the game. This is what I have to
Rev,
do.
matchup is
Let
that?
me.
I mean, the Drew matchup ain't working.
No,
you gotta
hell
try
no.
something.
See,
Butler
and that's the
was
one thing that I
cooking
wanted.
him.
That's the one thing I wanted to say because we're saying we're being very critical on Giannis, and I understand. Yes, it's because we're talking about Giannis's statements, but we've yet to mention the fact that Drew Holiday, who's supposed to be one of the best, if not the best, perimeter defenders in the game, wasn't barbecue chicken.
He got cooked. He was
That
getting
was
Everybody
fried.
was actually Jimmy Butler shot the best percentage on the field defended by Giannis. Actually,
Yeah, I mean, how many attempts was that?
it was a
It
8.
was less
Yeah, it
attempts.
was minimal.
Yeah, of
Drew.
course it was less, but
That's
I
also
mean Jimmy Butler has cooked Giannis before.
But
he
we
has.
know. But again, that's not a great matchup.
It's not. I don't think
But
that
the-
I don't
Giannis
think
isn't
that
a great
Giannis
perimeter
is,
defender.
is
He's
what
not.
changes
I'll be,
everything.
I'll be
about
honest with you. He's 7 feet tall. He has a long wingspan. You have to try something else.
This is my gripe with the comments, really, and
Mhm.
because Giannis is a likable player, people overlook this. And no, this doesn't affect his legacy because he already has a championship. He has 2 MVPs. He has DPOY. Doesn't affect anything. If this was Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant averaged 34 points per game in a playoff run and got labeled as a choker because of
Who you
6
said?
missed shots in overtime.
Oh,
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant. Giannis
This is
averaged
crazy.
23 points in this series and shot 53% from the field when all of his shots are at the basket.
What series is this?
This one.
Right, this one that
Oh,
we just saw. He averaged 23 a
You
game.
might be counting game one there.
They are.
I
They
think
yeah,
are.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
That's what I'm
Game
like,
5,
dude.
game
that's what I was
5.
thinking. Like 23.
But all I'm saying, listen, Kevin
13
Durant,
missed free
Kevin
throws.
Yeah,
Durant,
it's ugly.
That's
Kevin-
the part.
Kevin
I can
Durant-
hear you.
Kevin Durant got slandered after dropping 40 in Game 7 and giving
100%.
everything his all.
Yeah.
He was an inch away from winning the game for the Nets. He got slandered for that performance. We're talking about LeBron. He got slandered for the 2011 finals. He's got slandered for other series. Every great player has gotten slandered for these types, for miscues in the playoffs.
Facts.
This Giannis by far one of the biggest blemishes now on his resume of any of these stars.
Again,
It's
listen.
because he has a championship that people are going to
Yes.
overlook it. And Drew, if you know, we talk about the Game 6 against the Suns, you have to give him all the credit for that. But he deserves damn near all the blame for this too. I mean, in that Game 6, he hit basically all of his free throws,
did.
and in this game, in Game 5, he basically
Turning
missed
the
all of
ball
his
over
free throws. We're talking
defensively, he
about
wasn't good. It was
missing,
just
yeah, and
his
it's
head
not-
wasn't in the
He
game.
seemed rattled.
He
He
did
seemed
seem rattled, and
He
you have
seemed
to give
rattled.
credit to the Heat, especially Bam down the stretch was playing phenomenal defense against Giannis. But you have to give credit to the Heat. I mean, Duncan Robinson shooting 75% from 3, and I know shout out to our guy Nick. Nick wanted an apology from
He
all
did,
of us.
and he
Fuck
did.
Nick.
Fuck
Respect,
Nick. Nah,
respect.
shout out to
Nah,
I
Nick.
already apologized to Nick.
I
when I seen him.
apologize. None of us even gave you guys a shot, a chance. We
didn't
said
either. He's
maybe
just
you
a
get a
fan.
game.
Giannis doesn't
That's
get
a
hurt.
fact.
Come on.
Maybe it does, but you still got to give the Heat credit for it.
Facts. You
Even
do.
when Giannis is in the game, you cannot have 2 double-digit leads as the 1 seed, as the runaway favorites to win
sure.
this series and blow both of those games to whatever you got. All you guys are saying, if this was any other superstar, I mean, my mentions were in fucking hell
Here comes Tatum.
after Game 5 and Jason
Yep.
Tatum, and Giannis has this one game, and you know everyone just throws it on the rug. Let's talk about his comments. Joel, I like what you said. Giannis got it misconstrued between being a failure as a human being and being a failure as a basketball season, because nobody's going to sit here and say Giannis as a failure as a human being. He could retire tomorrow. He could never play a look of basketball or be terrible in basketball for the rest of his career and still be one of the most successful human beings anyone has ever seen. But Giannis was asked, is this season a failure? And instead of just saying, yes, it is a failure, I'm going to move on. Us as a team is going to move on. Go into the offseason. We're going to work. And next season, we're going to be better. He kind of took a cop-out answer and saying, if you go into work and you provide for your family, but you didn't hit this and this, is this a failure even though you provide for your family and do all this shit? The way he was
spitting there.
he
No,
was
it wasn't.
He was
was
spitting.
making sense in a human
he was.
aspect, because as a human, you do not have to always succeed at everything that might not be important. Just because, say you work at a sales job and one quarter you make $100,000 and you're fantastic, and the next quarter you make $10,000. That quarter was a failure, but you're still able to go home, provide for your family, be a loving mother, husband, wife, whatever, brother, and provide for what really matters to you. But in this case, we're talking about a basketball season. It's fine to fail. You're gonna fail
It
more
is.
often than not. You're gonna fail. LeBron James and Michael Jordan, the 2 most successful players of all time, have failed more than they have succeeded because they have not won a championship. The fact that Giannis is gonna sit here and say it's not a failure because, regardless of what you want to say about the injury, because he wants to have some sort of cop-out for this season. Giannis, you're an amazing basketball player. People are going to knock you down with whatever you want to do. He's still going to be a top 3 player going to next season. People might have Jokic over him, might have Curry over him. If, you know, KD goes on a run, maybe KD over him, whoever. But I still think you're going to next season with Giannis at a minimum top 3, top 4 player in the league. That's the only thing that's going to happen to him. This season was a failure. It happens. You move on. Next season, you're going to be better. But the answer you gave, and the fact that everyone damn near on the internet that I saw was agreeing with Giannis saying it's not a failure. I'm like, what are we talking about here? Sports, you're going to
Nuts.
fail.
See, even I, who I am a Giannis fan for sure.
You were mute.
That I was not here saying I'm with you, Giannis. This is not a failure. Again, I had to really sit and think about this because the sentiment is there. And also, the last thing I want to say is this: our players not allowed to be angry. You just had
He was pissed off.
You had a devastating. You should not have lost that game by any stretch of the means. Disappointment of a loss. You are one of the reasons why your team did lose this game. Are you not allowed to be angry at the presser when you get a question you don't like? That's the last thing I'll say. I'm not defending Giannis's answer because, again, I've been very consistent. You don't win a championship, You ultimately failed. However, the sentiment, I understand where he's coming from, and I'm fine with the human element in anything. Giannis is a human being first and foremost. He didn't like a question after going through 53 minutes of overtime regulation. You have a disappointing result. You're going to be angry. It's natural. That's the only thing I'll say to defend Giannis. But other than that, what you guys are saying is fair. You guys are making very fair points, but sometimes we got to take a step back and understand there's human element in everything.
And
he was angry.
Credit for him because he was pissed off.
Like
and
Dylan Brooks,
he did not get disrespectful.
Didn't even get to the podium.
He could have been very disrespectful and got out of his ways. He kept himself composed. You could tell he was pissed off. He took that second, putting his hands
it was his fault.
No, I'm not. Of course, but you're still upset.
I mean, this is the thing.
He had that moment where he's like, I don't want to make it personal. But he's going through his train of thought, and he understands.
There's been other players who have blown 3-1 leads in the finals, been choked before, and they go into the presser and they're fine.
Hold up. Why are we giving brownie points for Giannis showing up to a presser and answering a question in that way? I don't feel like we're giving brownie points for that. He's not the only player that's been through devastating losses that is manned up to the media and has said something like this.
And then we see someone like Dylan Brooks who's been ducking
He's not
the
a
media.
star player.
I understand. But
it's
still you still get credit for it because you just had.
Who cares about Dylan Brooks though? We're talking about Giannis.
No, I understand,
because you still got to as a human, you still just went through like your
responsibilities.
Yeah, bro. Like
John Moran missing a presser is different. I don't care about Dylan Brooks. Nobody's expecting nothing from him. Everybody was expecting him to look like a clown right now. Honestly,
first of all, Josh stood on what he said. When he was in the presser.
He's like, yeah, I said it. It is what it is. I live with that. I respect that.
He didn't sit here and, oh, nah.
We're not giving brownie
He didn't
points.
make no excuse. He stood on what he said.
I'm not exactly. No, listen. There's people that take you where they're sad. They're disappointed. There's some people that take loss and they're angry.
I would have liked if he was mad.
The difference between this and
right, exactly. That's what he was. He was mad.
This is the difference, though. The difference is that Giannis gives this type of answer, and other players have gone through this moment, and any answer they have given has been nitpicked to the T, and they've been crucified for that. I think because of Giannis's likability, people swept it under. Let's not forget Giannis. Let's not forget
quarters of the series.
He lost 2 games. He didn't win a game.
If Giannis was healthy the whole series, this could still be a 7-game series, and Miami could have won. It could be a 6. Miami could have still won even if Giannis played the whole series. Let's be honest with each other.
They still have no answer for Jimmy.
I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no because Jimmy Butler was otherworldly.
It's a hypothetical.
Are we forgetting Giannis went on the Daily Show earlier this year and made a joke about Kevin Durant having to join teams?
He knows how to carry teams.
He could teach Durant how to carry teams. I understand it was a joke that was presented to him on a prompter, but he still read it. He still went on it, all jokes and all fun. Ultimately,
you're taking it as a joke and all
fun. The life aspect of this, I'm all for morality when it has to do with the situation.
Yeah, that wasn't the question.
Like there are certain situations in sports that we have to cover the morality and human aspect of things. For example, the Deshaun Watson situation. That's one of the situations you cover the human aspect of it. With this situation, the reporter was not asking you about your personal life.
That's a fact.
But this is year 2 that he asked him the same question in a row.
Because he got bounced.
Yes,
Drew,
you have said every season that you don't win championships is a failure. So that question by a reporter is warranted.
But if you know the answer, why are you asking it again? This guy just lost a game that he shouldn't have lost. I'm gonna be angry.
Because look, you think you know the answer, but look at the answer Giannis
and
just gave.
Let's stop acting like it's a new concept to value people by their professions, because it kind of happens all the time.
Sure.
Journalists that we know, like for example, Woj Shams. Let's say one day they tweet out something, a news report saying this player got traded here, and it ends up being wrong. They are now judged by that moment.
We saw the Rappaport when the AB got traded to the Bills. He was getting.
We saw Schefter when he gets the Rodgers news wrong. He is judged by that moment. Schefter has been judged by moments of mishaps. So let's stop acting like we don't judge people by their professions. A journalist.
Is someone saying
generally?
When we talk about journalists, when they write a hit piece or some BS article, we call it out.
Sure.
We call out BS all the time.
And,
that's why
love this guy, hate this guy.
With Giannis, where's the reporter obviously is strictly talking about the basketball season.
I'm with you.
So this whole philosophical answer, I don't think was needed in this moment. It wasn't, because it had nothing to do with it.
And I think I do want to say, like, people use the word, like, Drew's very loose with it. If you don't win a championship, it's a failure of a year. But I think expectations and goals are very different with teams. Using examples, OKC and the Bucks don't have the same expectations for a year, so they're not deemed as the same failure. The Kings and the Celtics don't have the same expectations, so it's not deemed as a failure. You know, certain teams have championship expectations. That's why we look, if you don't win, at least get there. Failure. Other teams, just the playoffs is a success in itself. So for the Bucks, the level was championship. The East was looking real muddy. It was the Bucks, Celtics all year. People were propping the Bucks up, best team in the league. They went on that 13-game, 14-game win streak. It was like, all right, the Bucks are legit. Now you get to the playoffs, you really look at them, you study them. The pieces aren't really there. The guys in the wing are kind of old. Giannis still has limitations. And the Heat, and I don't know how we forgot this, but the Heat are one of the few teams in the league who always give Giannis troubles. They always give him trouble. So we fucked up. And
Didn't even give him a
Giannis,
chance.
did they give Giannis trouble this time around?
Well, in the fourth,
did.
yes, because he was quite literally dog
the
shit.
whole Bucks team in the fourth was falling apart.
But
Even the series when the Bucks swept the Heat,
He didn't play that
in the
well.
first round. Giannis didn't play that
it was a
well.
Middleton, Drew Holiday like thing. And shout out to the Heat, because we all fucked up. But Giannis, like I said, I don't think he drops to 5.
No.
Three
is probably
three's the lowest.
The only person that could pass Giannis on my totem
Stop
pole is Steph Curry.
saying that.
Why?
Because if the Joker goes
I
to
don't
the
see it.
finals,
I don't see it.
you're sort
I don't
of
see it.
you have
if
the Nuggets.
If he beats the Suns, then beats the
'Cause
Warriors,
that's nothing
Kings,
to
or
do
your
with
Lakers.
Because you think the Lakers are going to beat them.
No, that's not what it has.
Well,
to
you
do
have
with.
Denver beating the Suns. You
I
have them
do.
going to the WCF.
I
But you
do.
think the Lakers are beating Denver. So you don't have them going to
I
the
have the
finals.
Lakers beating anyone they face.
My point.
But no, but that's not the point. We'll talk about it when we talk about the Nuggets and Suns, but I don't have the Jokic beating this. I don't have the Nuggets beating the Suns solely for the fact that I think the Lakers match up better against the Nuggets than they do the Suns. That has nothing to do with it.
No. What I'm saying is you don't think the Joker.
You're making it sound like you don't think Jokic make the finals this year.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's got the Lakers going.
Exactly.
Whoever.
That's my squad.
I don't know. That's so. I think you have this weird Joker. hate.
Anti-agenda.
It's
Yeah.
just that Steph Curry has just been near
But
flawless.
he's been that, and you still
Correct.
didn't have him. You had him nowhere near one.
I had him top 3.
I mean,
And now all of a
let's not-
sudden, Giannis drops and Joker can't
No,
go
I
up.
didn't say
If
Giannis
Jokic-
is still my 1.
If Jokic wins the championship, he's the best player.
Okay, I could hear that, but I don't see
Like,
it.
you don't even
He has to win it.
Yeah,
now,
he
though.
doesn't
That's
even
why
wanna,
we
like,
said
he-
go to.
I
and
can
now
I
hear
just
we're
don't
that.
back.
see it happening.
I feel
Respectfully,
you.
Do you see Steph
I
winning
can see
before the Joker?
I could see that. Yeah,
You have to get through your Lakers first.
which that I don't see.
Beat the Kings.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I
Finish
can see-
finish
I-
your food.
No,
Finish your food.
I'm asking you a question. You didn't give me a fair answer. The Joker's already in the second round.
Yes.
I can see multiple
Curry's
teams winning
not.
the championship right now.
Exactly. Curry has.
I can
4,
see
though.
multiple
Curry,
teams
no,
winning
but
right now.
exactly. That's why. And it's deserving because you made a statement about this on Twitter. You're saying a lot of people, or maybe in our messages, say people are so quick to put Jokic or Luka,
Oh, on
prop
Twitter.
him up,
Yeah.
prop up Joel Embiid, but Steph Curry wins the
I
championship.
see a
wins
lot.
Finals
Like
MVP,
over the last
doesn't
2-3
get propped up.
years, I've seen a lot of media or panelists. They talk about best player in the world, best player in the world.
Yeah,
Never say Steph. He's never really brought up in the conversation. I just found it weird because he's the one that always ends up winning.
You know,
always
you.
well, I think what this series taught us
sorry,
is
Joe.
that
you're not.
the margin for error with these teams is very small.
Yeah,
Even when it's like a 1st seed versus 8th seed matchup. For example, looking at the Nuggets and Timberwolves series, game 1 wasn't close. It was a blowout. Every game after that was
Competitive,
close.
for sure.
The Timberwolves took it to 5 games. Game 5, they could have won that game. They were up with about a minute or 2 left, and then Denver sealed it. But ultimately, the margin for error for these teams is very slim. And if you don't execute at the highest level, a team could upset you, like the Heat just upset the Bucks.
Especially if you shoot that well. I mean, we saw the Celtics and Hawks. We all said 4,
Yeah.
maybe they get 1. Hawks start hitting their shots. It goes to 6. And that game 6 was damn near a game 7.
Exactly. And that's why the margin for error, even with these teams that are lower seeds, is so slim. On to the NFL draft. We're going to talk about winners and losers of day 1 and day 2 of the NFL draft. We know that the 4th, 5th, and 6th and 7th round is going on right now, so maybe we'll include some picks from those rounds, but mostly it's going to be from the first 3 rounds because this draft isn't insanely deep anyway. But before we go on to that, some surprises of the NFL draft. Surprises of the NFL draft so far. Will Levis falling out the first round.
there was less than 1% chance that he would not.
I want to
be
know where they
drafted
get
in
those
the
numbers
first.
from, to be fair.
I know. What you're
Maybe
saying.
it's just mock drafts they're
Yeah.
looking at.
And him falling out the first round was representative on Mojo. He went from $32 to $18 on
Oh
Mojo.
my Lord.
He's down
What?
42%
Ooh.
on Mojo because he slipped in the draft.
People thought he would be a top 5 pick in our mock. I think we had him, or I think I might take him 4 to the Colts.
Yeah,
right.
facts,
And
yep.
yeah, he falls all the way down the second
Did
round.
you guys expect him to fall that far out the first?
No.
I thought he could fall I'd go 4, but I was like maybe outside the top 10 if he has a slide, but not that far.
And because Mojo is a share price on career value, because Will Levis got drafted to the Titans, Malik Willis's share
I
price
saw
plummeted
$2.
63%.
Yeah.
He went from $6 to $2.
Yeah.
Isn't him and Will the same age?
Probably.
Because I know
Lev-
Malik came out
Malik
late.
is old actually. Though Will Levis is probably a little bit younger.
Didn't Will came out like 23 years old.
Malik Willis is 23. He's actually younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike
Malik Willis is younger.
Vrabel did say he was
Really?
QB3 behind Malik and Tannehill, but you probably just have to say that because he just got drafted.
Listen, I think that this may be saying this prematurely. I think the Titans missed on 2 quarterbacks in Will Levis and Malik Willis. I don't think Will Levis is going to be good, and Malik Willis has already shown me he's not
Malik
good.
is. Malik
I think at this point the Titans have missed on 2 quarterbacks.
You don't think
And it's
either one can
unfortunate.
develop into a good one though?
I'm not high on Will Levis.
Mhm.
If I was the Titans, I would have much rather just drafted skill position players and surround Tannehill with.
Yep.
Because right now the receivers is just Traylon Burks and Shige at tight end.
That's right.
They have Derrick Kennedy drafted Tajay Spears. They need another receiver.
They
And
do.
I would have liked them to go for a skill position player and not a quarterback because, Will Levis, he was expected as a first round pick, but I think people that watched the film had a 3rd, 4th round grade on him. He wasn't a true top 2 round pick.
They could be looking at their division too. You got Jacksonville with Trev, and now you have 2 rookies with Stroud going to Houston and A-Rich going to the Colts. That division now is full of young quarterbacks with high upside. Maybe they're just taking a swing. They're hoping they could land one too.
Another quarterback share price that dropped was Hendon Hooker, who was also projected by some to be a first rounder. He went in the 3rd round to the Lions. His share price went down 20% from $19 to $12.
I thought that was a very, very strong value pick for the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions, who there was even rumor that they might go quarterback in the 1st round with their, I believe it was
12 and
6th
18.
pick. Yeah.
For the trade.
And so for them to get Hendon Hooker, who again, like you mentioned, had been projected by some to go into the 1st round in the 3rd, I think that's excellent value.
Yeah, I understand why his share price dropped because there was rumors he could be a 1st round pick, but I thought landing spot wise, it does get much
Mhm.
better where you're probably without a doubt sitting at least 1 year barring a Jared Goff injury, and you're in a system, a very quarterback friendly system, great offensive line. Definitely need another weapon there. Got Jahmyr Gibbs now. So I think in terms of landing spot, this is pretty ideal for Hooker.
So we keep talking about surprises. Was there a huge incline in Jahmyr Gibbs's price? Because I never in my right mind ever thought that he'd go top 12.
No.
For the fact that we had surprises and we're talking about those. Yes, absolutely. When I heard Jahmyr Gibbs's name at 12, I looked around and I did not
Stunned.
believe that I was watching, honestly, what I was watching, I should say. I believe that Bijan would get picked in the top 10 for sure. If it wasn't going to be the Falcons, I thought that the Eagles would take that flyer on him. Jahmyr, I was expecting in the 20s. For Detroit, who definitely, in my opinion, did not need a running back, solidify your defense where we saw it get better as the season progressed after they fired their secondaries coach. Let's boast up the defense a little bit more. Yes, they did end up drafting a linebacker, Jack Campbell, with their 2nd 1st round pick, but Jahmyr was not the choice there, and that was definitely the biggest head scratcher, the biggest surprise for me.
Jahmyr Gibbs being drafted in the 1st round, the 12th pick precisely, skyrocketed his stock 32%.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
From $10 to $13.
That's tough.
And you paid David Montgomery this offseason
That's
too.
the
Just
thing,
weird.
man.
Right when that happened, I was like, all right, Swift is getting moved. He goes up getting traded to the Eagles. So he fills the Swift role, obviously. But if they were that high on Jahmyr Gibbs going into this process, I don't know why you would pay. Not that David Montgomery contract was huge by any means, but the fact that you would give him a multi-year deal at all doesn't really make sense.
And then the last surprise, the fact that Houston traded to the 3rd pick overall.
Yeah.
I never expected to see them pick both 2nd and 3rd. I think that we're going to talk about it. I don't love the trade personally, but that definitely was one of those where the Titans were rumored to trade up to the 3rd pick. There was all these speculations that they were going to land D-Hop and the 3rd overall pick too. But the fact that Houston was the one that ended up trading with the Cardinals, I was floored.
Was anybody surprised by Chargers taking Quinn?
I knew they were going to take a receiver.
They have a certain type.
Because I know you guys were feasting for them to get speed.
I thought it was going to be Zay. But then when I saw that the Chargers went Quinn,
Mhm.
then I had a feeling Baltimore was going to take Zay.
It makes sense. Quinn Johnson, I don't think he's a better receiver than Zay Flowers, but the
Right.
Chargers have a type for these big body type receivers.
No doubt.
Mike Williams, we
That's
see
three of them now.
we see Tom Telesco drafted him, and then Josh Palmer
closer
is
to
also a
Mike
big
than
body
he is Keenan.
receiver.
Quinn's closer to Mike than he is
No,
Keenan.
I'm saying, yeah, but
In
no
terms of,
speed.
like, Quinn's
Quinn
not
Johnson
slow.
is fast.
Yeah,
Is he?
He's fast, yes.
he's
Just a
like
big body.
like late 4.4, like early 4.5.
Shit type shit.
Quinn Johnson was the best receiver by Yak standards in this draft. I think he had 8.17 yards of
Mhm.
Yak per reception or something like that,
Okay.
which was the best of any receiver that was drafted in the first round. The Chargers needed Yak
Mhm.
because they were one of the worst teams at that, so he helps them in that regard. And he is somebody that could take the top off the defense.
So
He's
are
not,
you
he's not
are you
slow.
a Bears fan now? Are you coming
Bears
to the
fan?
party?
I like Roshan Johnson.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I like
asking. Are
Roshan.
you jumping to the party?
Hey,
or,
listen.
Oh, so
We-
he's,
we
in on,
accept
he's
you.
in on Justin Fields
Listen,
now.
I'm a Jordan Love Packers guy.
and a
Wow.
Minnesota
Whoa,
guy.
he said Jordan Love didn't even mention Minnesota. That's a
know,
blemish on
it's
his
crazy.
resume.
I do love Minnesota. I
Nah.
do love them.
You
Jordan
mentioned the
Addison and
Packers
Justin
before.
Jefferson. We'll
That's
talk about those
Very excited for that.
wide
too.
receiver rankings and stuff
Doesn't matter who you put next to him.
later in the show. But listen, the Green
Good
Bay
for Addison.
Packers. I've been high on Jordan Love.
You have.
Facts.
This has been a
Have
since
you been
2020
Love
thing.
than before the Vikings though?
No, I've been
I
high on
think.
him since he got
I would
drafted.
say he was always high on Love.
But you've been high on the Vikes for a minute.
No, yeah, I have been. But
I think it was around the same time.
Jordan Love has been somebody I've been labeling as a great quarterback, and I think he's going to prove everybody wrong this season. They're sleeping on him, and I like what they did in the draft a lot. Getting 2 tight ends, Jaden Reed, wide receiver out of Michigan, and getting Lucas Van Ness, edge rusher in the first round.
Yep.
I like that a lot. I
Let's,
like what they
let's
did.
talk about my Eagles.
Yeah, let's talk about them. We're
'Cause
just
we're
going
gonna
to
do
talk about
winners.
winners and losers.
Yeah.
Winners and
So,
losers.
Winners and losers of the NFL draft so far.
I can break it down like this. I have a day one. I have 4 winners. I have Philadelphia, absolutely no doubt. I have the Seahawks as winners. I have
Really?
the Cardinals as winners for the trade that they made with Houston, like I was talking about. And then New England as a winner. For them to get Christian Gonzalez at 17 after trading back 2, Washington folded. That was a surprise to me, them
Yeah.
taking Forbes over
Mhm.
Gonzalez.
That was pretty
I
nuts.
was not ready for that. I had a feeling that Washington was going to take a corner of some sort. Their secondary was one of the worst in the league last year. I expected them to go corner. I expected to be Gonzalez when I saw him fall to 16. Then I saw Forbes get selected. I thought the Patriots hit a home run here. I had a feeling they were going to go secondary as well. For them to get Gonzalez, that's a
Was
W.
Gonzalez supposed to be the first corner of the board?
Top 2.
Correct.
Not
there
only
was-
do they get Gonzalez, they screw over the Jets. They
There
let
you go.
Pittsburgh come up.
Correct.
Roger Jones gets picked, so it's a win-win for them.
no doubt about it.
No,
That-
I think my winners, the Texans have to be winners. CJ Stroud puts his franchise quarterback. Will Anderson
tough.
is a defensive cornerstone. I like Juice Scruggs in the second round, the center, who
Okay.
beefs up their offensive line.
they do.
And Tank Dell is a nice speedy receiver.
Okay.
Although they're not my first winners, the Eagles one is obvious. You get Jalen Carter, who's the best defensive player in the draft. Nolan Smith, who was supposed to be a top 15 pick with the 30th pick.
Yeah.
Then you get Keely Ringo in the 4th round, who is a really good corner. He has a lot of
Probably play
tools.
safety.
Yeah, I really love the Eagles draft. They hit a home
Sure.
run. But the Steelers draft, it was a bunch of
Talk-
value picks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Broderick Jones, they now solidify their tackle spot.
Yep.
Joey Porter Jr., who was a first-round cornerback,
Yep.
going in the second round. Keanu Benton, whose player comp is Cameron Hayward to a lot of people, and now he's there to beef up the interior of their defensive line. And Darnell Washington, 3rd-round pick. He has the potential to be the best tight end in this draft because of his tools. And now the Steelers have a good group they can run 12 personnel with Darnell Washington, Pat Freiermuth, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. I mean, the Steelers are building something good here.
They do.
So do you think the Cowboys still win the division?
with
It's
these
possible.
Eagles picks. Yeah.
With these Eagles, you just
I
said
don't know.
with these Eagles
I
picks,
don't
we
know.
just
The
aced the
Eagles,
draft.
the Eagles did ace the draft. I do think. Yeah.
I mean, was there any doubt they were going to ace the draft?
Never
No,
doubt.
They had a lot of
Nolan
picks.
Smith dropping to 30 just made no
And
sense.
they didn't even have to move. They had all those extra picks. They were going to stand pat.
I thought
Just from
that
the
they made a
floor.
brilliant move going from 10 to 9 because then I did think that the Bears would take Jalen Carter when he dropped there. They needed help on the interior of their defensive line. For the Eagles to just trade up 1 and really not give up too many draft
It's like 4th or
assets, it was all day. You potentially get the best defensive player in this draft.
Really?
Understand that there are reasons to let him drop. Yes.
Losing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Jalen Carter was a
The
vibe.
Texans. I didn't have on my winners list. I don't have my losers list because
correct.
you can't disagree that you get Stroud, your franchise quarterback, you get a franchise cornerstone edge, and it almost just felt like the front office and ownership said, we need to get a quarterback. The division's getting a quarterback. I guess it was before the Richardson, but they knew the Colts were probably taking a quarterback. You have Trevor Lawrence there. So it felt like the front office and ownership said quarterback, and DeMeco Ryan said, I need something for this defense. So this was their compromise by taking CJ Stroud to train all the way up from 12 to 3 to give up your own first-round pick in 2024. The Texans have to be pretty high on this roster. I mean, this team was dog shit last year. It was obviously second overall pick, second worst record in the NFL. So they must be really high on, obviously, CJ Stroud changed a lot. DeMeco is going to be a great head coach, I believe.
For sure.
But it's a big risk because there's a strong chance, even though they're going to get better, they're probably not making the playoffs. The Jags should have that division on lock. They're not getting in as a wild card team. There's too many good teams in the AFC. So by giving up their own 2024 first, when they could have given up the Browns 2024 first, now who knows if Arizona would have accepted that, but it's a big risk they're taking because if they're giving up a top 8 pick again next year, now the Cardinals are in a great position to rebuild.
And that's why, like Drew said, the Cardinals had a very good draft because not only did they trade back and get a first-round pick next year that could be a high pick,
Correct,
along with their own draft pick, but you look at the picks they made. First round, you go Paris Johnson Jr. Now you get a tackle to protect Kyler Murray. Second round, you get B.J. Ojulari, an edge rusher they desperately needed, especially after J.J. Watt just retired. Then you get Garrett Williams, cornerback out of Syracuse, who has a lot of physical tools. Torn ACL made him drop in the draft, but he's somebody who has a high upside. And also Michael Wilson out of Stanford, wide receiver, who also has a lot of physical tools. Arizona's betting, at least in the second and third round, on the high upside guys.
That's what you should do. Yeah, especially like I love the Paris Johnson pick because I think he's the best tackle in the draft, and he's also going to be great, but not going to lead to a lot of wins this year. He's going to come in, and obviously an offensive tackle has a big impact on the game, but for a season, it's not like someone like a quarterback or even maybe a receiver could have a bigger impact. So you get a franchise-setting tackle who's still going to, help you lose some games, thankfully.
Like, for example, what if Arizona next year, they get the first overall pick in the draft? They trade back and get a haul for Caleb Williams. And with their second first rounder with the Texans pick, they draft Marvin Harrison Jr. They now have a great wide receiver core. They have a ton of picks to draft for this roster and rebuild. I think the way, if you have a quarterback on a major deal, the way to build the roster around him is to hit on the draft. Exactly. And you need to have capital for that.
And two other teams I want to mention. I thought the Giants had a great draft. Round one, Deonte Banks,
freshman corner,
just blindsided me.
Yeah, I thought you gave yours.
Jalen
round one, round two, but I'm fine with absolutely. Giants are winners for me.
Super athletic, physical, aggressive, 6 foot.
They get a receiver.
They got Jalen Hyatt in round two.
It was written in the stars.
Probably the top rated center, 1 or 2. I thought they had a great. You came into this draft, they needed a corner, interior offensive line, and receiver.
Absolutely,
bang, 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 hit it all in the first 2 rounds.
I tweeted this out, a picture of it, because it was really you couldn't make it up. The receivers drop shockingly for JSN to be selected, the first receiver off the board at pick 20. At pick 20, you have the Seahawks JSN. At pick 21, the Chargers, they go Quinn Johnson. At pick 22, the Baltimore Ravens go Zay Flowers. At pick 23, the Minnesota Vikings go Jordan Addison. Pick 24 is the New York Giants. You just could not make it up.
And you wanted Hyatt at 24, and he ended up falling.
Facts. I would have been more than happy if they selected him in the first round, but I was happy that they ended up playing the board, trusted the Joe Schoen. He continues to be great for the New York Giants. Deonte Banks, that was a fire selection for them.
Dehls. Sorry.
That's okay.
No Ravens left?
I thought the Ravens had a really good draft too. Yeah, for sure.
They had a very good draft day.
Did Zay Flowers have anything
and
to do
Lamar
with
Jackson
Lamar
signed long term
signing?
What do you mean?
It had everything to do with it.
Like Lamar looking at what they're doing.
Zay
Like,
Flowers, because Zay Flowers is
you've been
high
on him.
I was gonna say
Zay Flowers
almost thought Joel was gonna go into 15-minute Zay Flowers round.
Third round. Listen, Jalen Hyatt. I never thought he was a first round pick. Third rounder. I like the pick a lot.
Very great value.
Even in the second round, I would like.
And I would be remiss because again, I wanted to do a day 1, day 2 winners. The Denver Broncos. Are you kidding me? For us to trade up into the second round to get Marvin Mims, get more what I've been praying for, skill position players for my brother Russell Wilson, especially with Sean Payne coming to this offense. You want to be a little bit more dynamic. We needed some speed. Marvin Mims provides that for us. And then we trade into the third round and add depth to our linebacking core, what we desperately needed with Drew Sanders. I loved our 2 selections. I couldn't have been more happy with them.
And Marvin Mims, I think, is going to be a great weapon for somebody who has such a strong arm like Jared Stidham. who can really sling it down the field. I think he'd be a great addition for them. I know people didn't like their draft, but I thought they won. This isn't the Lions. I thought the Lions did win too.
Ooh.
Although Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell were drafted way too high, they kind of made up for it with the Brian Branch
They
pick in the
did.
second round,
Yep.
with Hendon Hooker in the third round. They made up for it because
I agree.
if Brian Branch was the 12th pick and Hendon Hooker was the 18th pick, nobody would have really batted an eye. And so I think if you swap them, it makes it a little bit better. But the Seahawks, getting Devon Witherspoon, you now have him, Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant,
Yep.
getting
Nasty,
JSN.
yep.
You now have DK Lockett and JSN.
Whew.
And I know people didn't like the Zach Charbonnet pick, but I like the versatility it brings to your running game. Kenneth Walker's a home run hitter. Zach Charbonnet is the bruiser type, who is a good third down running back, good pass catcher, is good in pass pro. I like the versatility, and that's why I like those picks a lot.
And with the Seahawks, where right now you're looking at that roster, what holes do they really have? It made sense that they wanted to add a little bit of depth at running back, where it was Kenny Walker, and then I'm blanking, Travis Homer. So I understood if you wanted to add some depth there, because you look at this
Travis
team.
Homer's on the Bears now.
Oh, but look at
Correct.
that.
So you look at that team, and there's very limited holes. Maybe you look on the defensive side of the ball, and you look at safety, but you forget, Jamal Adams was out all season. He'll be back next year. This team is going to be, and is already set up very nicely for the futures, and they have one team to thank for it.
Losers of the NFL draft. Now, for me, I only have two teams, and I have a player.
A lot of winners.
Oh, wait,
I was
question.
shocked. There's a lot of winners.
There's a lot of teams that I like how they
Question.
draft.
When do you guys think Seattle gets a QB to build around? Like a future?
Geno
young-
Smith is great.
No, I'm saying like a young
Not this
quarterback.
year.
Listen, Seattle, I don't
Mhm.
believe is in a rush for a quarterback.
Right.
Geno Smith is in his early 30s. Quarterbacks can play long in this league. And right now they're just building this team around him. I'm fine with it.
It's hindsight, but I believe that if Anthony Richardson wasn't selected at 4, I think that the Seahawks would have been primed to select him.
Okay.
But the fact that the NFL teams ahead of them, obviously the Panthers, Houston, and the Colts, they basically left them with no other option. I'm sure they weren't intrigued with Will Smith. It forced them into to drafting Devon Witherspoon, which I'm sure they weren't upset with. But I think that this was their last great chance, unless they're bad in the future, to draft that.
How old is Geno?
future
Like 32,
quarterback.
33?
30, I think.
31.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
facts.
So he
Yeah.
ain't old.
I
I thought he was a little older. He's been here for a minute.
He has been, yeah,
8
8, 9 years.
Yeah.
He's 32.
Okay,
He
okay.
turns 33
Nice.
October 10th.
Okay.
Oh, so he's fine. He'll be around.
Losers, I think the first loser in the draft is Malik Willis, player.
Okay.
Will Levis getting selected now, I think, hinders his chances of being a future starter, at least for the Titans. Another loser, Michael Mayer. I didn't expect him to slip this far. You had
I thought it was a great landing spot.
It
I thought
was.
so too.
Dalton Kincaid went over him as expected. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't expect Sam Laporta to go over
I
him.
didn't either.
Very
And
strange.
if the Lions selected Michael Mayer, I would have gave their draft an A++.
Yes.
Sam Laporta, they like his upside and traits more,
Mhm.
but Michael Mayer is just a better player. I do like his landing spot with the Raiders, but the fact he slipped is why I have him as a loser, because the Raiders now have a good group of receiving weapons with Michael Mayer. You have Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow, Devontae Adams. It is a good landing spot for him. I like that a lot, and he's now the Darren Waller replacement. But for losers, the 49ers, I think, were obvious for me. Drafting a kicker within the top 3 rounds, I think
And that was
they
their.
lost.
I think he was their. They had no first round picks, no second round picks. He was either their first or second pick in the 3rd round, which is a very strange way to go about it.
But now we realize, although CMC had a huge impact on the 49ers offense, this is what happens when you trade those top value picks for a running back, and they could have used some good players in these spots that ultimately was
They
traded
took
to
a
the
kicker
Panthers.
and they took a backup tight end. They drafted a tight end who's
Yeah.
obviously going to play behind George Kittle.
And the Titans, I also thought, lost too. I like Peter Skoronski as a player.
I thought
I
that was
know-
a W, honestly.
It was a good pick because they needed to fill the void. Nate Davis left. But like I mentioned, I want them to draft more skill position players because right now they don't have that.
Mhm.
And that's ultimately why their offense has been lacking.
You would have been happy with Jason at 11?
I would have been happy with JSN there, or I would have been happy with them trading back and
Mhm.
going with Zay Flowers. I think
Okay.
Zay Flowers is going to be an awesome player. Will Levis too. For second round, people will say, yeah, it's
That's a
great
good pick.
value.
Correct.
But I just don't think Will Levis will be a good quarterback. So it doesn't matter if you draft Will Levis in the 2nd or the 5th. To me, I don't believe he's going to be good. Therefore, I don't view that as a great pick.
I hear you.
And that's why some people have the Lions as losers because they don't believe Hendon Hooker will be good.
Yeah.
Which is why drafting him in the 3rd round, they don't like
if
either.
If the Lions didn't have the 2nd and 3rd rounds that they did, I would call them losers. But the 2nd and 3rd rounds, they definitely made up for it. And the reason why I look at the Titans as not so much losers is because I thought that the Bears were in prime position to take Skoronski, but instead they go Darnell Wright. I thought that was shocking to me. I feel like Chicago's draft was pretty interesting also.
It was.
But a loser I have, and Joel, you might not agree with this, is the Falcons. I think that you going Bijan at 8 was a huge mistake. You needed to continue to bolster up your defense. And in my opinion, running was not an issue for you. You mentioned it perfectly. And the point you're going to make, I agree with. The scheme is what makes the Falcons rush game so dominant. But it wasn't essential. Bijan will elevate you guys because Bijan is a generational piece at the running back position. I'm not going to disagree with you there. But you had so many holes on defense that you needed to address. And more importantly, Jalen Carter was right there for you. I don't care if you already think that you have the interior defensive line set up for you. You add the depth there because you need to continue to bolster up that defense. I think that Bijan is going to be phenomenal with them. No doubt about it. I don't think that he will be a bust.
So what position do you think they should have went?
Defense. Anything defense related.
Anything.
Secondary.
Jalen
Carter was right there primed for them. Yeah, I mean, you guys came up because of that.
I'm not going to say my spiel. I'm going to save it for the later topic when we talk about Bijan specifically. I understand why you might have think the Falcons lost. The Bijan pick, drafting him 8th overall. I do think that running backs in the past that have went that high, they've been warranted to go that high. Outside of Leonard Fournette.
You said that, but he was very, very, very
never
good.
No pro.
Do you need to be all pro for you to be?
All pro's hard.
Is it if a running back and you're taking
if you're a top 10
overall,
pick,
6th,
yes,
whatever
you have
it was,
to be an all-pro.
I just think that Leonard Fournette was fantastic for the Jaguars.
Like I look at Saquon Barkley as a rookie, he changed the Giants' offense. This past year with the Giants, he changed the Giants' offense. If it was not for this past season Saquon had, that is an L pick. But the fact he had this season,
Melvin Gordon all pro?
Nah, but that's an L pick for a first rounder, I think.
But that's what I'm saying. You're saying the only one that you're fine with or not fine with
I think
is
he was
Lenny.
top
But
10,
Saquon, it was Saquon, Zeke,
CMC.
CMC.
Wasn't
Melvin
Melvin like
Gordon
12?
was on that list though.
Yeah, but he
Oh, he was?
wasn't. I'm talking about like top 10 picks for running
He
backs.
was 12. Come
And
on.
they ended up getting Eckler later in the draft, not that same draft, but later on, and just took over the.
Yeah, that's why for me, I'm fine. I'm fine
wide
with it. And also
receiver.
in the 2nd round, they drafted a guard who's very good, who bolsters up their run game. So I think the Falcons had a pretty good draft, and they didn't need to go defense. In free agency, they bolstered up the defense a lot.
Jalen Carter is
They did, but it's Jalen.
I don't hate the Bijan pick. The Lions, I'm so torn on the Lions because I had them on my losers,
Correct.
but I like the players they got. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. Brian Branch, I think, is a dog. Jack Campbell, I'm not going to sit and pretend I watch a ton of Jack Campbell tape or Sam Laporta we scouted. I had Michael Mayer over him. So the Lions, I'm just so torn on because just the positional value they kind of went with. You take a running back at 12, and they were ecstatic that Gibbs was at 12. There's a report out there saying the Jets would have taken him at 15. I really don't believe that, just knowing who Joe Douglas is to take a running back at 15 seems kind of strange. But Jack Campbell, who they also said is off the ball or is more than just an off the ball linebacker, but that's all he really did in college. So maybe they're expecting him to play a completely different role in the pros. You're asking a lot from him there. Hendon Hooker in the 3rd round. If you take a potential starting quarterback, I can't be mad at you, even though, he's got some work to do. Obviously being 25 already and sitting for a year, his upside probably isn't as high as some other guys in this draft. Brian Branch, I loved. I'm very torn between the positional value compared to actual good players on the football field because they're getting good players. It's just the way they drafted them was kind of strange. But to Drew's point, they made up for it on day 2 and day 3 with some of their picks. I thought Washington was a loser, taking Emmanuel Forbes over Christian Gonzalez. Very strange draft pick. And you mentioned the 49ers. The fact that you have very limited draft capital, only 2 or 3 picks on day 2, and you spent 2 of those picks on a backup tight end and a kicker. The 49ers are going to be great. They're going to have the 2nd or 1st best odds to win the NFC, but just strange, again, positional value when it comes to such limited draft capital.
And the Cowboys, I like the Mozzie Smith pick, defensive tackle. They needed to bolster up their run defense, but I would have loved Michael Mayer in that spot.
I thought it was going to be a tight end pick.
I would have loved the Cowboys to continue focusing on offense because, at least for me last year, defense was not their issue. It felt like they need more juice offensively, and I thought they would have focused in on offense this draft, and most of their picks have been defensive players.
Especially after losing Schultz.
Exactly.
I also late, but I thought the Bills had a really good draft, taking Kincaid round 1. You got Osiris Torrance, the guard from Florida, who was a lot of people's top guards. Thought they had a really good draft.
They did.
You think they're ever going to go receiver?
You got Gabe Davis, bro.
We currently have
Kincaid's fine.
We currently have 206 likes on this stream. Make sure you guys like this stream up because we have 671 people watching right now. Let's get the number up to 300, 400. Make sure you guys like this stream. They went with Kincaid because I think they're going to go more 12 personnel now with Knox and Kincaid.
Yeah, because Knox and Kincaid have a very similar skill set. Tight end could stretch the field types.
Give my brother Knox some more love.
Knox got some elite catches in his day.
He does.
He
does.
But
a first
Look at the ball.
Tight end.
I know.
Knox is probably going to see less snaps.
Biggest steals and surprises of the NFL draft.
We kind of did surprises already, but for steals, I think Christian Gonzalez getting selected at 17 is a steal. Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith at 9 and 30 respectively. That is a steal to me. I just really the Philadelphia Eagles.
Their whole draft's a steal.
They're just amazing. Everything they do. Howie Roseman. I'm not upset.
Oh, okay.
I'm not upset at all. Actually, I'm just giving acknowledgement, but also understanding that it's every year. It's clockwork. Draft time comes around. This guy's chugging his water, having the time of his life.
John,
I've been hearing that the whole episode. That was fucking.
But really, it's that Christian Gonzalez selection is huge. And then JSN at 20. I expected JSN to be a top 15 selection. To drop to 20 at the Seattle Seahawks selection, that's a steal for me.
Jets trade back once again with Vegas.
There was a lot of skill position players that were steals in this draft. I look at Christian Gonzalez with the Patriots, 17th pick. That was, of course, a steal of the night. JSN Seahawks, 20th pick. Michael Mayer, 35th pick to the Raiders.
Sure.
That was a steal. And the Broncos, Marvin Mims, 63rd pick.
I have that on my list.
I'm a big Marvin Mims guy. I think he's going to be an exceptional receiver.
Me too.
The Giants drafting Jalen Hyatt, 73rd pick. And then the Colts. We didn't talk about it, but Josh Downs, the 79th pick. The Colts had a very underrated draft. With Richardson, Josh Downs. They now have Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, and Downs. That's a good receiver.
A lot of your guys.
That's a good receiver.
A lot of your guys, yeah. I think you guys mentioned that. Gonzalez, Mims, Jalen Carter, Miles Murphy at 28. I thought the Bengals did a great job there. Nolan Smith and Brian Branch. So we touched on most of these.
And Darnell Washington, 93rd pick, was also a big time steal. One of the biggest steals of the draft, honestly. Now, we're going to go on to Athletic Greens, and then we'll move on to Super Chats. So Athletic Greens is a proud sponsor of the Pick a Side podcast. And if you want to be covering your nutritional basis for the day, it literally couldn't be easier with Athletic Greens. And it's super easy. All you do is mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with water and drink it first thing in the morning. It costs less than $3 a day, and it's the highest quality source ingredients. It's a win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need for your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/pickaside. That's athleticgreens.com/pickaside. Go check it out.
Your boy just re-upped.
I saw that.
Just re-upped.
They actually emailed me.
Really?
Yeah.
Saying what?
I was like, remember when I commented, it was like, all right, I'm intrigued. Send they text. No, they didn't email. They tweeted me back like, email this person, and you can get a free sample. I just fucking forgot, and I can't find it.
Right.
I can't find the tweet.
That's okay. Yeah. No, they blessed me.
Let me get some.
Okay.
Bro thought about it. He was gonna say no.
AG1.
Shout out to AG, man.
You still drink it with smoothies, or you drink it straight up?
Smoothies every single morning.
Come on, man.
Had it before.
Gotta drink it straight up.
Yo, they came in a cute. You saw they came with like a little bottle. They did the most.
Yeah. Now we're gonna read some super chats. This is from Puerto Rico. NFC East rankings now.
Eagles, Cowboys, Giants,
Doesn't
Washington.
Change. Yep.
I'm going Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, and Washington.
You gotta stop.
What?
The Eagles are the best team in the NFC East.
Sleeper Giants
it's the
better than the
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Could happen. Could definitely happen.
We here.
Yeah, I'm still
I'm
all
moved.
Eagles.
G-Man?
After the draft, it's Liddy.
Wow.
G-Man cool. I like G-Man.
You're an Eagles fan. You
This
can't like
is from
Giants.
PAS
I hate
Meme
them.
Santos. Drew, look at my tweet.
Let me look at that
What's
handsome man's
Santos?
tweet.
Santos, you peeped the Fox jersey?
Yeah, we got the Jaren Fox jersey. You know, the King just forced a game 7.
Yep.
We out here.
I don't know. I'm dapping you, but
Sacramento Kings, baby.
You're a Kings fan?
I'm torn between wanting the Warriors to be eliminated and a tougher round 2 matchup for the Lakers. So
wow.
I don't really care.
okay.
But you think the Kings are a tougher matchup for the Lakers?
I think the Warriors are.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But that's why if the Kings win, the Warriors are eliminated. I'm thrilled. But I think it's a bit easier for the
So you
Lakers.
think if the Kings make the second round, the Lakers going to WCF?
I think
I don't
AD,
know.
to lose.
I'll be honest.
Yeah, I don't. Want
I
you
think
to win.
AD would destroy
You know how
Sabonis.
much shit you've been giving me?
You wouldn't
You think I
destroy
want the
Trey
Lakers to win?
Lyles.
It's not deserved.
Or Alex Len.
It's not deserved.
We
Alex
went
Len.
back.
Would they stop playing Len, put Lyles at the 5? Huge. Especially when Dre was in foul trouble. AD's gonna destroy Sabonis though. Do you see what we're
It
doing?
doesn't
They're
matter.
gonna-
It
they're
doesn't
gonna
matter
double
who
him.
AD plays.
Yeah.
It's food.
This is gonna get bad.
Did you
though.
see AD last night?
He was unbelievable.
Bro, I was watching the TV. I almost started crying.
15
He's
blocks.
the best
team.
defender in the game. I don't want to hear this other chit chat of anybody else.
You have to
Anthony
stop being
Davis.
casual.
Oh, really? Who's better than him?
You can argue Draymond. Why do you act like it's not an argument?
Draymond, the best rim protector in the game.
That's not
And
the only thing with defense.
everything that Anthony
Processing
Davis does.
defense.
Look at what Anthony Davis has done for our defense now that we have personnel now.
I'm interested
Respect.
to see how AD.
Do you see what Draymond does?
You see what AD does?
You
Single-handedly took
Draymond-
over this
Draymond's
series
more
defensively.
versatile. AD as a rim protector. Is
Draymond
more,
processing
more
the defense,
effective.
processing offensive schemes, like his quickness, and
He's more
his
versatile.
ability to break up plays as a 6'7" big, it's tough.
Draymond's a better defender.
I like AD though. AD's like one of the best.
'Cause you know what? It's
defense
crazy because you enlightened me on this too. You're
Okay.
like, hey, you're Giannis. You got to be able to defend, pick up these guys if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a couple times AD picking up Ja. on the
Draymond picked
perimeter.
up. He's picked up
I'm not
Fox
saying that
before.
he can't.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying that he can't. I'm
You're
just
saying
saying.
AD.
But I've openly.
I'm providing versatility.
But I think I was talking about
Didn't we
how.
tell him about AD
Yeah,
doing that?
No,
I did.
No,
I
we,
said-
we were speaking about it. I was like,
Yeah, and I
do
was
you
like-
want that?
And I
Not
said AD
necessarily.
does it.
He can because he's Anthony.
He's
Davis.
done it before though.
Yes.
That's why Giannis doesn't get that DPOY
But
respect.
Drew, when we were talking about like a year ago, and we were talking about AD versus Giannis defense, was I not on your side?
Yeah.
Saying I think
Facts.
AD's a better
No,
defender
but
than
I
Giannis when
think
he's
that
healthy.
we do know that.
All right,
We
so
know
why
that.
you?
No, I'm
I
not
give
saying that.
respect to
No,
but
you-
disrespect.
I just think
Dre
that-
one of them ones. Let's.
So what was
Defensively.
Santos'
AD
tweet?
took it was the video that we went over before. It was I owed him $150.
Oh, the Cardinals.
Yeah, the
Jets?
Cardinals.
Cardinals
owe
and
him
Jets.
$150.
I paid him already.
Who?
Joel.
You did?
We had a bet before the season, NFL season, that the Jets would have a better record than Arizona.
Although,
Oh,
question:
shit.
Did you
Really?
did you
I remember
pay
that.
him the Kyle Pitts bet?
No.
Right, because Kyle Pitts got hurt.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray tore his ACL.
You did.
You
But
weren't
I
gonna
still
win
paid
that.
him.
You weren't gonna win that,
But Kyler tore it
Yeah,
like
you weren't
late in
gonna
the
win that, though.
season. Kyle Pitts got injured
What-
early.
how late in the season?
Like week
Drew. You weren't gonna
13,
win that.
maybe
We're
12.
being-
No.
Cardinals
no.
stink.
I mean, they had 7 wins.
To be fair, you're right.
With the Cardinals. Oh, the Cardinals like
Yeah, 4.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray played 11 games.
What do you think, Joel?
They could have won, but who knows? Hey, you paid it out.
I
It's-
paid,
got
I
nothing to
paid,
do
I
with
paid.
me.
Pitts played 10 games.
Sucks to
You should
suck.
pay me
Go
out.
pay him now.
Too late.
Official.
You should 356 yards.
Hey, he had 7
No,
games left.
But I told Dehls that he should have paid me out because Kyle Pitts was not going to get that.
he could have.
He was not going to get that.
You never know.
You know he wasn't going to get that.
I'm
Get
gonna
outta here.
dispute this claim later.
Wait, so that means that the Gabe Davis, do I get refunded for his ankle injury?
He
And
played
he missed the
16
game.
games.
He missed the game.
He played 16 games.
He missed the game.
He played.
Kyler
16
actually missed
games.
6. Kyler missed 6.
And Lazard was
Yo, meet me in
he
the
played
middle.
15.
Send me 75 back.
he played 15 games.
Oh,
He's trying
oh
to get
man.
75
Yeah.
back.
And Lazard was dealing with some injury too.
If you're out on the field, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't know what
Oh
to tell
my
you.
god!
I
All
respect
right,
that.
whatever.
Send me 75 back, bro.
Anthony Cifuentes.
My boy, Anthony Cifuentes. We met him up at the Mojo
Oh, facts.
draft party.
Shout out Anthony, man.
Really cool dude.
He said, "Good luck on your NCLEX, Drew."
Thank you, bro. I
Shout out.
appreciate that, King.
We
This
sure
from
did.
Pedro Infante Beach
Well, you probably
Party.
don't remember anything. Though,
Drew,
right?
how about them Lakers? D'Lo finished loading last night.
Yo, thank you, Riv. Thank you, because I really want to take this time.
I know you're emotional about it, so go
I'm
ahead.
very emotional because D'Angelo Russell was absolutely unbelievable, and it's a shame that we can't have our buddy John in the frame because John and Joel constantly slandered D'Angelo Russell's name, and it really hurt coming from him.
No comment.
And,
John?
it hurt coming from Joel because he was the one telling us about D'Angelo Russell. But then D'Angelo Russell comes to the Lakers, and now he has to push this anti-D'Angelo Russell agenda. So that hurt to see. But John, I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you right now, John. With all due
John,
respect,
You're an
brother,
L right now.
you got to stay quiet
Yep.
and understand that
It's
you
not
were
looking too good
wrong
right
about D'Angelo Russell. All right, you said that. Oh, this is him. It's playoff time. Hit him and Julius Randle.
sure it
I don't know
wouldn't
who's
matter.
worse. Shh. Keep it quiet over there,
They beat them
John.
by 50.
Your
The
Grizzlies.
the Julius
Your
Randle
Grizzlies.
Sabonis shit he was talking, though?
Adios. 40.
I
That
mean,
is fact.
You know
He's-
what? It's
the
cra-
Julius Randle, he has a W.
and Sabonis.
John is
Sabonis
50%
has been
right
playing
now.
well.
He hasn't playing well. Defensively,
Sabonis
he's
has
been
playing
amazing.
well.
Oh, offensively,
Amazing?
offensively, he's been.
He was
Come on,
amazing
easy,
last
easy,
night.
Riv. Let's not get into it.
He was-
Relax.
Defensively, he was amazing for one game.
Sabonis was amazing last night defensively.
Yeah, for one game.
It's just listen.
He was
I just tell
amazing
you
in
this
game-
when it comes to the
in game
Lakers.
two.
Talk to me
Yeah,
first.
game two, he's
You know what
okay.
I mean? If you have
teams are.
questions about the Lakers, you
In
say
game
Drew.
3, he was amazing too.
No, game
What's
three,
the thoughts
got
on
blown
D'Lo?
out.
What's the
Yeah,
thoughts on
Drew
Reed?
Game
Like
three.
you have,
Game three,
you
that
have
was
in
the
the
blowout.
past.
Game 4 was the
He's
close
got your
game.
phone number, right?
Yeah, he
He
does
got
have
the
my
goal.
number.
You're
That's why
right.
he should have
In
known
game
better.
2, he was doing a lot of bullshit. He was doing a lot of bullshit.
Game 2, he was amazing defensively.
Sabonis, he was good.
And game 6, he was amazing.
I'll say he's been
defensively.
inconsistent.
It's been the Fox
defensively.
series. It's been the Fox series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, they're literally taking away the dribble handoff stuff.
Well, he also can't shoot a lick of a jumper.
But they're
I
taking
saw him
away
hit
the
a three
dribble
yesterday.
handoff stuff.
Yeah, finally. And he also has no post game. We realized that.
A lot of Sabonis's assists in the season were coming off of the dribble handoff
No,
stuff.
I agree, but
And they haven't
yeah.
been shooting well up until
I
recently.
was
But
gonna
as
say
a scorer,
Keegan
he hasn't-
coming alive
Yeah.
has saved them.
And Keegan, I told you about Keegan Murray,
Oh
baby.
God, he
I
was good
told
for
you
2 games.
he's rookie of the year. He's
He's
rookie of the year.
Give him a
He is a
couple
rookie.
games.
Most threes ever by a rookie in a season.
I think,
couple games.
I think 1 through 4 he was pretty shit.
He was. But he
Yeah.
turned it up.
2 games.
Yeah.
Wait, this okay.
Hey,
Last
if
three
he
games,
plays good-
last,
if he
last
plays
3
good
games,
game
23
7,
points, 10
he's gonna
points,
have the
15
series.
points.
10 points.
Talking about.
We are giving a parade for 10
Role
points.
player.
Okay.
If he had 3 threes,
Speaking
no swing
about
momentum.
parades, is there going to be a parade inside John Moran City?
Unfortunately, not this year.
No.
Well, actually, Josh still might throw a parade.
You know what's crazy though, bro?
Yeah.
Because they could have lost by like 10.
they got smoked by
We
50.
could have lost by 20. I'd be
I think
like,
it was
damn,
no. What made
40.
what made it funny for me was when Desmond Bain said, "I guarantee."
Guarantee
That
that.
was the funny part for me. I was
What's
like,
wrong
"Dave,
with you?
who are you? Like, why are you
Yeah,
talking
Brooke-
like
no,
that?"
Dylan Brooks pokes bears.
Yeah,
Right? That's what he does.
shit.
He's old. He doesn't respect him.
This is from
So
Isaiah
he gave him
X.
40.
Game 40.
The Lakers gave Dylan Brooks 40.
facts. I see,
Respect
yeah.
him.
Yeah. No, yeah.
This from Isaiah X. Finally gets to catch a live. Love y'all boys.
Love
man.
you.
Shout out Isaiah, man.
There's some big sheaf. Love the Seahawks draft. 2 years in a row.
Hell
The
yeah.
draft has been amazing. No
Hmm.
beef this year, Drew. I hope Wilson and the Broncos do good, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Dude, Keegan Murray had 15 points on 5 for 17 shooting.
For the series, he's averaging 10 points, 40% from 3.
He had a 2-point game, 2-point game, 6-point game, and then
Look
he
at the
finally
minutes.
broke out.
Look at the minutes.
Yeah, because he was fucking ass.
Look at the minutes.
He was
Look-
because he was
okay, Can you
garbage.
tell me the minutes, please?
It was 16 minutes, 22 minutes.
Keep
They
it a
stopped
sec. He wasn't
playing
that
him.
good.
Yeah, he
Wait,
stopped playing him.
So are we not going to give him credit for
No,
playing
overcoming.
bad and overcoming it? Now he's playing amazing.
He had a great one game.
Defensively, he's been good.
He
been
got
amazing.
better. But the first 3-4 games, if he was great,
You know
defensively,
what it
he
is?
was not
He-
that good.
he
and don't
swore-
play with
he
the rookie
swore-
shit. He's 23.
He swore the Warriors are winning in
23 's
6.
young, bro.
Yeah, but that's enough with the.
I hate when he
Enough
does
with
this,
the-
and he
enough.
does it too,
I
bro.
know, he's a
I get-
veteran
He's an old
coming out.
rookie.
Yeah,
he's an
come on.
old rookie.
Enough.
Well, come on, bro. He's 23.
You
in his
thought
first
the
time
Warriors
in
were
a
going to win in
playoff series.
6.
Huh?
You thought the Warriors were going to win in
Because we
6.
fucking should have.
It's Kings in
We
7,
absolutely-
baby.
everybody
It's
knows
That
we
always-
hurt.
should've.
That
It's
hurt.
always
Game
been
6
Kings
we
in
come out-
7.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys
I mean,
just were flat yesterday.
exactly. Everybody walked into that game. 99%, the Warriors are going to win this game,
Oh, yes, fact.
and then we lost.
It's
so
always been
tempted to
Kings in
run.
7, baby. Let's
Oh,
go,
you can do it.
Kings.
Keegan Murray sucks.
Now this from Frankie. Like the stream.
Yo, Joel, real quick, who's been better in your opinion, Jordan Poole or Keegan Murray?
They've both been about the
Both
same.
Jordan
pretty
Poole.
equally ass.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Bro,
it's
what was Jordan
Poole.
Poole doing on the ball rolling out of bounds? He's over here.
Oh, it was just a
hop-
fucked up
yeah,
night. I couldn't tell you.
I don't know what the fuck. It was
yeah, I
like
don't
hopscotch or
I
something.
stopped watching at that point.
Oh, yeah. It was
Yeah,
like third quarter.
I turned the game off like
I
7
mean, you
minutes.
guys,
Yeah.
in the fourth, there's like a 10-point game.
I-
It
I-
could've
But
been
then it turns to like 18. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
facts,
stop
facts.
watching.
Now I'm gonna have to take that back. I didn't notice the splits.
Yeah, the lack of
Jordan Poole's
yeah.
averaging 13 points, shooting 34% from the
Yeah, he's
field.
not been
and
shooting well
24%
from the
three.
3-point line.
Fuck.
Joel,
He's been shooting well.
come on.
Maybe Draymond, what he did was warranted. Maybe he was coming into the offseason not.
Wait,
locked
how
in.
many good games does Keegan
Yo.
have?
2. We have to say 1 or 2.
Who had a 22-point game? 8 for 15.
Take that. That's all day.
Did
actually,
Draymond do that before Poole got paid or after?
I think after.
After
Okay, so maybe Poole came in with a little bit pep in his
Hey,
step.
he had a
Little cocky.
17-point
Yeah.
game, 4 for 10.
Get-
Yeah, not bad.
player A, player B.
There we go.
Let's have a little fun.
Here we go.
Player A, averaging 12.7 points, 3.2 assists. This is in 2023 playoffs.
Wait,
Okay.
20?
The 2023 playoffs.
Oh, okay.
12.7 points, 3.2 assists, 2.3 rebounds, 34% from the field, 24% from the
Oh,
three,
that's Jordan Poole.
77%
Oh, the guy's
from the free
Reeves,
throw
obviously.
line, plus minus -9.
It
Is
did
it gonna be
happen
Reeves
after.
or is it going to be RJ?
Here's player B.
No, Reese. I think
Okay.
I've
Here's
seen it
player
already.
B. 16.5 points, 5 assists, 5.7
Yeah,
rebounds,
That's Reeves.
45% from the field, 34% from 3, 83% from the free throw, plus 62.
Mm.
Player A, player B.
Oh, Reeves has been better. Oh, you want a cookie?
I'm just I know you call them regular, so maybe I do want a fucking
Well,
cookie. Maybe two.
Pool's been fucking regular this year. So,
Poole's been mid.
I've been
It's
very
worse than
out of it.
regular with all due respect.
Fucking
What,
respect.
what are
man.
those numbers?
The 2023
Because in
playoffs.
the
15, 5,
2022
5,
playoffs,
65, 5.
when we won a ring, Jordan Poole
What have you
averaged
done for me lately?
17 points, 4 assists,
Splits are OD.
rebounds, 50, 39,
Yeah,
91
yeah,
splits.
Splits are OD.
So, like,
Splits
are OD.
we love to bring up what have you done, but let's not act
What
like
have you
Poole's
done
been
for
Is
me
a
lately?
bum.
Jordan Poole going to go down as a bad contract?
Oh, probably.
Because the way people were chatting about MPJ's contract, I mean, people got to start talking
Or do
about
you
Jordan
think
Poole's
Poole
contract.
bounces back next year?
Year 5 Poole.
obviously year 5 Poole is gonna be fucking amazing. No,
This is his sophomore slump, right?
I do think young
Bro,
players.
this
No,
is-
I do think young players
Is he a
inevitably their
23-year-old rookie
contracts
too?
never look good.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So, and I think
sure.
Poole. It's just the Poole slander has been like worse than like it's been like LeBron 2011 slander. The way people just been fucking on his ass. Like it's
He just
It's his
compared.
fault.
No, bro.
It's not
He's
Poole's fault.
he's
He's been bad.
comparing
I'm saying
Jordan
River Brown's
Poole's
fault.
my
down
fault. What did I do?
season
I'm
to a
sick 'cause of the hype.
2011 LeBron
I don't think
James
I hyped him too
downfall.
much.
I
That's
think it's-
overrated.
I think it's.
He just
I-
overrated.
He was being hyperbolic.
Oh my god!
All
It's
right.
like when I do it, it's like no, but it's
I
been
think
pretty bad.
it's more Trae Young Heat series last year.
That's fair.
I don't know. This one's been like for 82 games. That one was for like 2
And I
weeks.
feel like Poole's been good half the time.
He's
No.
good at home games.
Yeah,
when he starts.
when the baddies are around.
I don't know.
Now this from Nick Perez. Stop giving the Bucks excuses. They lost in 5 games.
He's not wrong. That's why the whole if Giannis is healthy, the series is going 6
Of
or
course,
7.
Nick
without a
said
doubt.
that.
Senpai NFT. Bucks drop coverage has gotten exposed. They haven't outperformed any team that can abuse it. Giannis' defense has become overrated by that depoy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to shoot 45% from 3 for a series, it's going to be hard to lose.
This from James Paul. For Riz Booze Fun and the crew being back in the studio. $25.
Said
Tough.
booze fun.
Booze.
That's the
Shout
last
out
thing
to
you
James
need.
Paul.
Shout out James.
The Trib won. Impact wise, Giannis was second in the last 2 games. Not last, not ninth. Second to Jimmy. Show was seeing 1 coverage and 1 player all game.
Say one more time.
I
Yeah,
think
the second.
he said second to Jimmy. Show was seeing 1 coverage and 1 player all game.
I think he was saying Jimmy was seeing just.
Yes, that's what I think as well.
Well, that's whose fault is that?
And that's Bud's fault.
Bud, Giannis, Drew, Chris?
RJ the God. If the Bucks failed, which team in today's playoffs would it also be considered a failure if they don't win it all either?
Celtics.
Celtics?
Nuggets,
Yep.
Suns,
Suns.
Warriors,
Yep.
Lakers.
Wait, hold up. A failure?
They
If
don't win
it all? Okay. A
Yeah.
failure.
And then for the East, Bucks, Celtics, Philly. I think you can probably
Philly,
say
yes.
yeah, Philly. You can
Philly,
say too.
yes.
But Embiid's
Philly, I
injury
think it's
now-
just get there.
Embiid's injury now probably changes things.
It's always.
I'm going to say every single team.
It's always.
Every single team if they don't win.
Well, yeah, you
Yeah.
have to say that.
I don't think the Kings
No,
are
you
going to
should-
be looked
You
at
don't
as a
have to stick to your
failure.
guns with that, bro,
Why?
because it sounds crazy.
I don't
No.
think the Kings, Heat, and Knicks. I don't
The
think we
thing
look at
is,
as
You
a
man,
can't
failure.
say like a team like Minnesota didn't fail because they didn't go
No.
to the finals.
I mean, they traded 5 first-round picks.
yeah, but they didn't fail this year. They didn't.
That was
fail.
no. Minnesota
When you look at the
failed.
no, I'm talking about when you look at the regular season, what they went through, and then you go into the playoffs. They didn't fail because they didn't go to
the
the
fact they were
finals.
competitive.
I'm
with
glad.
Denver.
I'm glad we're bringing up this question because I tweeted about this. Why is the Rudy Gobert trade looked so badly
This is a good
when the
opinion.
Timberwolves were eliminated in the first round and they were disappointing for sure? But the Cavs trading for Donovan Mitchell is not looked at this in the same light when the Cavs were just eliminated in the first round. Both the T-Wolves and Cavs were both first round eliminations. Both teams traded a lot for Gobert and Mitchell
I
respectively.
think because this is off the top of the dome.
Mhm.
Minnesota had a really good team. Didn't need to pull the trigger on Rudy, and then when they got in Rudy, the fit was bad. As opposed to Cleveland, they needed somebody to help them make a jump, and Donovan was that player at the time.
And I was also very adamant that I didn't think this was the season for
Yeah.
Cleveland. I definitely thought they were going to make it to at least the
I
second
mean,
round.
Cavs definitely failed more this year,
no doubt.
but this team wasn't meant to win this year, so I'll have to like go think about it.
I think future wise too, damn near everyone's taking Donovan Mitchell over Rudy Gobert, so you could justify it.
Well, the difference is that this is my rebuttal to that. The Timberwolves traded for Rudy Gobert to build around Anthony Edwards. Rudy is not their cornerstone. Cornerstone.
They traded for him like he was.
The Cavs, well, they traded for him.
That's
Yeah,
there was
I
a
guess
lot.
That's a good
it
point.
depends. I agree with that somewhat. The Cavs traded for Donovan Mitchell to be the cornerstone, best offensive player on their team.
He was.
Anthony Edwards is the future of the Wolves.
Agreed.
And the Wolves missed Cat for 52 or 53 games
of
this
games.
season. And is it crazy to say that if they beat the Lakers in a play-in and got the matchup of the Grizzlies in the first round, they could have beat them in the first round? I don't think it's crazy to say they could have done that.
They could have. Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, we're just living
My-
I'm
high.
not
my
going to live
thing-
in that world because the Lakers
My
won,
thing
so
is
I'm
this.
lit.
the Cavs traded for Mitchell, and nobody bats an eye about that trade. But for some reason, the Gobert trade, everybody criticizes it to a T, and I do think it was a bad trade. But you look at the Cavs, they traded Lauri Markkanen, who ended up being an all-star, Ochai Agbaji, who's going to be a good starter, Colin Sexton, who's good for 18 to 20 a game as a starter or off the bench, and multiple first-round picks. With the Timberwolves, they traded Walker Kessler, who, yes, he's going to be a future defensive star for sure.
Ochai.
But if Walker Kessler remained in Minnesota, he was not getting minutes over Cat or Vando or Naz Reid. He was going to be the fourth big man on that team and not get the same production that he did in Utah.
You can't say that, but then say Cleveland traded an all-star in Lauri because Lauri wasn't going to be an all-star in Cleveland.
Okay, I understand that. Walker Kessler, though, because I've heard some rebuttals that, nobody knew Lauri was going to be this. No one knew Walker was going to be this either.
I agree. So that's okay.
Walker Kessler, yes, defensive player, defensive anchor, but they traded Vando, who the Jazz flipped to the Lakers. They traded Pat Bev, who the Jazz flipped to the Lakers.
Culture
and the Timberwolves, the players they gave up in the trade, the Jazz don't have outside of Kessler.
Yeah.
The Jazz have all of the cornerstone pieces that the Cavs traded to them.
Lauri, yeah.
And Ochai and Sexton.
But then you have to
Sexton
count Kessler in that.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying Kessler is
plans,
Minnesota traded one cornerstone piece.
They also traded all their picks.
Yeah.
Same with Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland traded 3 first-round picks.
And Minnesota traded a lot of good players that were a part of their.
A lot of good role players.
Yeah. So
and O'Shea really didn't get burned like that until the end of the season.
And Colin Sexton,
he did.
He's all right. Yeah, I mean,
he was very, very good when he was healthy. Obviously,
yeah, he's okay.
It was obviously the Lauri show.
It really is just about Ant-Man, Jaden, Cat versus Donovan,
and
Garland, Mobley.
Got to throw Rudy in there though.
I'm talking about for the young guys.
Okay,
because Rudy,
you got to count in Cat because Mitchell is the same age as Cat.
Yeah,
that's Cat.
I did count Cat.
Okay,
yeah, I said Cat.
So Cat, Edwards, McDaniels versus Mitchell, Mobley, and Garland. Who would you go with?
That's fucking close. I'll be honest with you.
Mitchell and we just had the Would You Rather on the Instagram with Mitchell and Ant. I think I slightly lean Ant.
I think Edwards will be the better
I don't
player.
even think it's a player for player thing because I think
Mobley's got to progress, dude.
He has to. His offensive game.
Garland cannot.
Garland, I think, will be fine.
I gotta see it. I believe in him and his talent.
Well, who knows if Cat's going to be on this team? There's been already rumors.
I don't know. That's so.
I think Cat, if he gets traded, they can
wings,
recoup their assets from the Gobert trade.
They could.
Which would be a good thing for them.
Make a call. You need wings.
They'll be fine.
But Anthony Edwards, I think, will be the best player out of all these guys.
Can I ask you, are the Cavs the Jazz 2.0?
Unless
that's too early to say.
If Evan Mobley doesn't
need wings, is why I say that.
They do.
What was the Jazz's issue? They had no wings.
Yeah, but you got to wait years. The Jazz had a couple years to get wings, and
are they on the way of being the Jazz 2.0?
No, I think they trade Jared Allen.
It depends what Mobley can develop into. If Mobley could get an offensive game,
with this Jared Allen,
bro. But you have no bigs other than
Mobley.
It's Mobley.
But Mobley's enough though.
Mobley could be your
He's
five.
Mobley's in year
body
2.
down low. You're right.
He's actually a better rebounder statistically when Allen's off the floor. He has a better percentage. Let's see it.
I mean, it makes sense.
I think
take the other big men off the floor.
I think the Cleveland thing is they lost. Nobody's disputing it. They got their ass whipped. But I think it's getting a little overblown as if they're mud in the water.
No, they're not.
The way they lost, it wasn't like
Minnesota
was competitive.
Yeah,
Cleveland was not competitive.
I agree, but
and Minnesota was competitive against the first seed.
Yes,
again,
without McDaniels, without Naz Reid.
What's the expectation for the Cavs?
Without Kyle Anderson last
year? Their expectation was to beat the Knicks.
I not just say that, but the bigger picture is that they want to compete for a championship.
Yeah.
That's why people are talking about it mud in the water because they're worried that this might not be a championship winning team.
If people want to give up on 2 young players in their first stint.
Listen, I just think that
for both these teams,
it's unfair to look at the Wolves in negative optics land and not look at the Cavs in the same light.
I think it's the way Gobert is perceived and the way
it's not even just a Gobert thing though. Like Cat's gonna make $50 to $60 million soon. Like and Cat missing 50 games is that's crazy.
Donovan Mitchell going to be on the Cavs in 2 years.
I saw that Knicks report.
I think he should. It depends on how they progress.
I mean, Mitchell, to be fair, Mitchell's going to get a similar contract from the Cavs when he's up.
Why I say that. That's why it came into my head.
Yeah.
If he stays. Ultimately, I like the Wolves' future better because of Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels. This is a wing league. And if you have a dominant two-way superstar in Edwards, Edwards is going to be an all-NBA player, and he's going to be running up for a defensive team next year. And then McDaniels, who is a defensive teamer already, I mean, this duo gets scary. I think that they can be one of the best dual wings in the league. And
yeah.
Edwards
It's
is
not
top.
crazy.
No, I don't think. I'm
You know,
thinking of,
Edwards. I think. I have the graphic made right now.
I don't know. Mobley's probably going to be a defense player of the year. So that's
Yeah,
like
I mean, he was
that's
top 3 this year already.
Mobley just got to sit the weight room a little bit, start
Yes.
hitting a little bit more squats.
Okay. Anthony
Down
Edwards
like 40
currently
pounds.
is 9th all time in playoff scorers all time,
That's what's up.
points per game.
That was like Donovan Mitchell's trajectory. He was like what 7th or 8th?
Luka
This
Doncic
is not
what, top
accounting-
3?
This is not accounting
so.
how many games they've played so
Yeah,
far.
sample size needs.
1 is Jordan, 2 is Luka, 3 is Fox, 4 is Iverson.
Oh, this is his first time, right?
5 is Durant, 6 is Jerry West, 7 is LeBron, 8 is Ja, 9 is Edwards, and 10 is Mitchell.
Oh, there we go.
Mitchell averages 27.7, Edwards averages
It was
28.
at 30 2 years ago. So
He definitely dropped down.
yeah.
Definitely dropped down. Now this from Ray B. Lake Show.
Mwah.
That's what he.
Boo.
Be
Bro and
mad.
the Lakers had defending Giannis with his life.
What happened? Is that was bro with the
Super
Lakers?
That's
Yeah.
super chat. Yeah.
Was I guess maybe I was.
Aiden
honest.
Ramirez. I'm with Joel Moran. Giannis will never even be better than Hakeem. Steph Curry is the best basketball player in the sport. He's more important to winning basketball games than any other player.
Can't wait to push the AD and Giannis agenda this offseason.
It's gonna be nasty.
I love doing it.
This from Q Boogavelli.
Hey, listen, if AD wins a championship and
Oh,
finals
you
MVP,
got it.
I'm
You got
chatting.
it.
I'm
Yes, if he wins the finals
chatting.
MVP, yes.
Oh my god.
Can we acknowledge that the Philadelphia Bulldogs and Roseman just fleeced the draft and the league?
Yeah.
Carter, Nolan, Keeley, and Swift, another Georgia dude in the trade.
Swift went to Georgia too. I was telling Rib, I feel like a lot of the time they just look at who's top of the draft board. We're just gonna take it. They
It's
did it
not
with Carter, did
overthinking.
it with Jalen,
Exactly.
Nolan Smith. I think Swift for a 4th round pick for a Super Bowl caliber team is a good deal too.
This from Johnny Boy.
We'll win
Other
again.
than the Cowboys, Eagles, and Niners, who has a chance in the NFC?
Shit, nobody.
Seahawks.
Yes, I was gonna say
The
Seattle.
Seahawks do have a sneaky chance.
I like them a lot.
I want my heart wants to say Detroit, but the defense I gotta see it. If they would have made better
need another
moves,
weapon,
yeah.
Underrated.
I think Jameson only
I'll-
suspended 6 weeks though.
Joel's gonna
Yeah,
like
but
this.
Even with Jameis on the field, I think they need another weapon. still.
Jameson, Amon Ra. Now
Right.
you have
That's true, that's
Jameer.
true. Yeah, that's
Speaking
true.
over me, I don't like that.
Go ahead,
I'm
King. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
We were having a
I'm just playing, I'm just
conversation.
playing. I'll say if Jordan Love is really, really good, Green Bay, sneaky,
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
sneaky.
I don't know.
They could be a wild card team. They could be in the division.
They could be
win
the
division.
top 4 team in the NFC.
That's
Yeah, the division.
With,
I mean,
with Seattle, I think
it
Seattle.
sucks.
I think Seattle and Green Bay could be in the same tier,
Yeah, facts.
like the next tiers.
That's
tier
why
two.
you have Philly and San Francisco, and then you have the rest of it. So
Screaming, you're not
Don't
acknowledging
sleep
Dallas.
on Jordan Love. Stop
they're
sleeping,
probably be a
Dallas.
wild card team.
They're the bottom tier 1 team.
The thing
I
is,
like
they could have the 3rd most wins in the conference and be the 6th seed
I would put them as a
the
bottom.
5 seed.
Stop sleeping
they're
on
the,
Jordan
they're the
Love,
worst team in
Dallas.
tier 1. Dallas.
and early tier 1.
Now this
Top
from
I got
4.
respect. You know.
Bears still 4th in the NFC North, and Panthers are playoff bound.
Fuck no.
Panthers.
Yo, the NFC North is going to be a
Playoff
bloodbath.
bound.
I think.
I
could
guess
happen.
that's
It's
not
gonna be a tough
insane.
division.
Mhm.
There's like in the NFC, the only teams the shorter list is who can't make the playoffs. It's like the Cardinals, probably Washington,
Texans probably can make it.
NFC.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but those are like the only
And
two
Washington's
teams. I'm
going to win
The
like
Rams.
7-8 games.
the Rams probably, but
Oh,
Stafford's, back. Cup is back.
The defense
The
got
team
dismantled.
sucks.
Washington routinely wins 7-8 games.
I
They're
do
just
like
gonna
the
be
draft though. That Sean McVay is definitely making a point of emphasis and
Took
less
Stetson
need
Bennett.
to build up their
Respect.
interior.
You were high on Stenson.
No, but still, it's like they're not trying to win. I think if you're taking Stetson Bennett,
No,
Took
but
him in like
they
the
had-
4th.
they
5th
had
round.
other-
they
They-
have no draft picks.
True.
no, they did.
The Rams,
Yes,
and
they
on
did.
day 2,
yes.
they have day 3 picks, but how many day 2 picks do they have?
Okay. They drafted Steven Avila, guard from TCU,
What round?
2nd round pick,
Okay.
36th pick. They drafted Tennessee outside linebacker Byron Young, 77th overall, 3rd round pick.
Oh, they had 3 picks.
They
on that,
drafted a
so-
defensive lineman,
They have a
Kobe
bunch of day
Turner,
3
3rd
picks.
round. And then their 4th pick was Stetson Bennett.
I guess if you're worried about Stafford's injury, a backup quarterback isn't a bad thing to invest in.
I think that they made
fair.
they
Stetson
made
Bennett.
some
Yeah.
key moves to
Look at his
bolster
age.
up their interior,
Yeah.
defensive
It's
and
just
offensive.
this is a
line.
team that wants to win now. I don't know
Yeah.
if all these rookies is gonna,
This from Orlando Martinez. Shout out Lake Show and shout out the Steelers. Oh my days, we are killing it.
It's just
Yeah,
amazing
he's
to
older
see
than
the
me.
Laker fans
Bennett, yeah.
come out of hiding.
I think
Come
he
on.
was in college 5 or 6 years.
Hold on. Stenson Bennett is 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is Hendon Hooker.
Yes.
What?
Hendon Hooker's 25.
When does the NFL
The
season start?
COVID
September?
year, yeah.
He'll be 26 in
Yeah.
October.
That's nasty.
What are we doing here?
It's nasty.
He's older than Trevor Lawrence.
It's older
Joe
than a lot
Burrow
of
came
guys.
into the league at 24.
He was
Yes.
on the
How was he
prospect, too.
allowed
I'm
to
just
stay in
letting you know
college?
it's
COVID
not
year.
crazy to have players
But that was 1
be
year.
old and
Yeah.
be good.
You could get a red shirt.
Not saying that they'll ever be Joe Burrow. I'm just saying
Joe
that
Burrow was 23.
he's 24 when he came
He's
to the league.
No,
You could get a
Turned
red. You could get a
24 when
red
he
shirt
came
in
to the league,
COVID
yeah.
year and be in the league for 6 years. To be in
God.
college 6 years.
Damn.
It's from
dog.
Orlando Martinez again. Of course, when the Steelers are killing it, John ain't on the stage. I see how it is. I'll remember it.
John.
John, here, bro. I'll lend you my mic. Have some fun. Talk about the Steelers.
Yeah, talk about the Steelers. Let's go. We need to get John a damn mic. There he
The
is.
Steelers and
Porter
Howie
Bradley.
Roseman
This is hilarious, by
just
the
won
way.
the draft. But I was actually a little bit disappointed before in you guys with Giannis on a whole side note. But, more importantly,
Speak.
Yeah, tell me.
my
Speak now.
Pittsburgh Steelers won the draft because they got 4 top 40 players in the top 95. And gained the defensive tackle as well to find Cam Hayward. Good big time. So
What did you
Why
think about
disappointed
Giannis?
with the Giannis?
Yeah, what's
thing?
your? You speak now. You're here.
I don't like the way he's been pampered. And aside from the Mike Budenholzer discussion, because he lost his brother in the series, and
Facts. Rest in peace.
I think a lot of us lack empathy. And myself, I'm the biggest example is I lack empathy when I talk about these athletes because it's hard to separate the athlete from the actual game of basketball itself. But like part of the Giannis discussion where I feel like it's gone too far, it's just like we're just talking about basketball here, right? Like none of us are attacking him, like you said, Dehls. And in the Giannis discussion, I feel like people like in game 1, they were losing when he left. And then in game 5, like they blew a double-digit lead. They're up by 4 points with 14 seconds left, and they lost that game. And defensively in that series, I was dumbfounded with how he didn't take the throne. He's a defensive player of the year, and I actually went on Twitter and I was posting these clips where the Heat just ran the same play over and over again. I was like, Drew Holiday has no help by Giannis. I felt like he let his team down.
This is when
And
Bam's
yet,
taking the ball up the court.
where Bam would dribble inside the arc,
Yeah.
Brooke Lopez would go up to like the 15-foot mark, and then it would just be Jimmy going off a curl action off the ball.
And nobody
and
helps
Giannis
Drew.
is just fucking face guarding Kevin Love. I'm like, I know he's made 5 threes, but you can help him recover. You're 6'11",
Yeah.
7'3" wingspan. And so I think when we look at that series, it's easy to see like the free throw shooting.
Mhm.
Aside from that, I mean, defensively, I kind of forgot Giannis was out there. He didn't make any difference. And then he shot 2 of 13 in the fourth quarter in 2 huge games. The second of which
keep
at
spitting,
home.
Joe.
Shout
So,
out
look,
Bam, bro. Bam
I
was
love
locking
Giannis.
up.
He was my best player in the world 5 days ago. But after these last couple of days, like,
Jokic.
looking back at the film, it's Steph Curry for now. But I think what
Okay.
we've learned is that, Drew, what makes LeBron James one of the 2 greatest players of all time, I don't care if you have MJ or LeBron, is the fact that we also take for granted being the best player in the world for a decade is something only 2-3 players have really ever done. With Magic and Larry, they split that for the 80s. LeBron James from 2007, 2008, wherever year you want to start at, to 2019 was the best player in the world, 12 years. And I think it's going to be quite a long time until we see a definitive best player in the world for multiple seasons, because one year it can be Kawhi, it can be Giannis, whoever wins the championship, it can be Kevin Durant. But LeBron James for 12 years was the best player in the world. And let's be honest, man, there's only 2 or 3 guys that can say that about in history. So
You
appreciate
take it for
giving me, like,
granted when you
You
see
do.
Giannis.
You notice how you did
lose
on
in
that
round
spiel?
2,
You didn't
lose in
say
round
Steph's
1.
name. You see what I'm talking about?
He said Steph was the best in the world.
right now.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, but he's got to win the series. 'Cause if he loses, then it's like, okay, now
Yeah,
there's
if he
really
loses in
so much
round 1,
parity.
2.
I do think it's awesome, though, the fact that we're seeing super teams die out,
Uh,
and we're seeing more parity than ever before in the NBA.
Yeah, it's
So,
tough. It's very tough. I love
thank
it.
you for your TED Talk, John. I appreciate it.
You can stay on, John.
Yeah, stay, John.
We'll
Yeah,
read
yeah.
these super chats.
I love it.
RJ the God. As a Georgia fan, I haven't been this high on a player going pro since Roquan Smith. Carter will be a Pro Bowler soon.
Mm.
Trust.
Yeah. Dog.
He could be. Pick a side meme. I'm still waiting for my Curry jersey.
Mm.
Check what I sent you in your messages on Twitter. So that's for Drew. He's in the bathroom right now, but he needs his Curry jersey. RJ the God. How good of a defender is Marcus Smart really? Because every time I watch him play,
Good
he's
question.
always on the ground.
Marcus
He's a flopper.
I mean, yeah, if you want to troll, but Marcus Smart this past game, the second half, did an exceptional job against Trae Young.
What do you think, John?
This year was one of the worst Marcus Smart defensive, especially coming off the DPOY.
which
He
is
was
not
struggling.
good. Coming off a reward, and you just
Yeah, he had an ankle injury and a little banged up, but I thought the second half of Game 6 was probably his best performance of the season.
I like Dylan Brooks. He stands on his shit, so I actually respect him. And he's also just like a more impactful defender off the ball, too. So he is definitely one of the 2 or 3 best scored defenders in my lifetime. So he deserves that credit.
RJ the
Your
God.
lifetime's like 12 years.
Like 15. I've been watching basketball since 2009. So
Ah, so who have you seen? Tony Allen, Marcus Smart, Drew Holiday. Missing
Still a
people.
good list of guys.
Pretty
Don't
good
you
list.
think?
So
PJ
who'd you-
Tucker,
know who
forward,
number
but
one was.
He said guard.
He just,
He
I
said
know,
guard.
but he deserves
He said
respect.
guard. He didn't say
We get through
forward.
one episode
Yeah.
without fucking PJ Tucker.
Game 7
Um,
on the line, start, bench, or cut.
here we
So
go.
this from RJ God. Game 7 on the line, start, bench, or cut. Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird.
I'll go Bird.
Starbird.
Yeah. Bench Kobe, cut Magic.
Listen, game 7, start, bench, or cut. I'm starting Kobe Bryant. That's who I'm going with.
Mamba mentality.
Even if he shoots poor, like we saw game 7 of the 2010 finals,
No, they've all
he'll
had
make up for it
stinkers.
with rebounds, defense. So I'm going Kobe. I'm
the three in
benching
question?
Bird, and I'm cutting
Kobe,
Magic.
Magic, Bird, game 7, start, bench, cut. I said I'm gonna start Bird.
I get put in a situation.
I'm gonna start Bird, bench Kobe, cut Magic.
I say Larry Bird. No, you're a Lakers fan. You
You're
can't say
not really a
Larry
Lakers
Bird.
fan, so
Hey,
you'll be
LeBron
okay.
fan.
What do you mean by that?
You're not like a old timer Lakers
I'm
fan,
not,
so you'll be
I'm
okay.
not.
No, he's LeBron fan.
Yeah,
With
so
all due
you'll be
respect.
fine.
But I'm a Lakers fan by
But you're a
association.
new one, so you'll be fine. Like you
Because
know,
if LeBron leaves next year, you're no longer like.
no, I think he still is. Are you?
No, I don't know if he retires, yes, but if LeBron went to like Cleveland or some shit.
I thought he was an AD guy.
Who are you
too.
taking, Dehls? Are you taking Larry Bird?
Yeah, of course, Celtics.
I guess you got to go Kobe, but Larry, and Magic. But Larry was so damn clutch.
Nick Perez, still want my personal apology from everyone.
Can he
Apologies,
stop?
do you
I
want?
apologize. I
Nick,
apologize.
You know what?
You
Keep
guys
sending the
get-
money.
This from Forrest.
Shit is insane.
Giannis single-handedly was choking late fourth quarter and overtime.
Yeah, I mean, John
It
said
wasn't
2 for
great.
13 is nasty.
Can you stop? Relax.
Now, this is from Alex Figs. $5 super chat, no comment. This from Zach Preeb. $5 super chat, no comment. This is from William. Packers having a sneaky good draft.
They are.
They made the LVN pick look good.
Mhm.
Musgrave to stretch the field, and Reed is a lot like Cobb coming out the draft, and Fitz at the slot, and Kraft is just a nimble tight end for how big he is. I agree. I love the Packers draft, and their defensive line is now very good. You have Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, Lucas Van Ness. They're building something good. Preston Smith is still there. And then the secondary, we know how good that secondary is. I'm telling you, when we talk about the NFC North, the Packers own the best defense in the North.
Mhm.
We talk about offensively. I think the Vikings have the best personnel, skill group, weapons. We talk about offensive
Detroit?
line. Vikings personnel.
I'm not saying
players.
you're wrong. I'm saying offense. Detroit was one of the best offenses in the league last
Nah,
season.
Vikings. I think Vikings have better
Really?
personnel.
But I'm saying statistically,
Jettas. Dalvin could be off the team.
Dalvin's
You're not a
cooked.
big Dalvin guy.
No,
Yeah,
no,
no.
no.
Dalvin
Dalvin's
is
cooked
cooked.
now.
he's not cooked.
He
What
is
do you mean?
cooked.
Like as a player,
He's cooked.
he had over 1,100 rushing this year.
I think he'll go to Miami. If he goes to Miami, have a really good
He,
year.
Respect.
he was cooked.
no, he,
Let's go.
He would have,
1,100
he'll have a
yards.
great year in Miami.
You're
unfortunately.
a very surface level
Since we have
yards,
Super Chats, I'm gonna
yards
piss, too.
guy.
Okay. here we
How?
go.
That's why you thought Zeke was still good.
I mean, he wasn't that good statistically this year.
But Zeke,
Zeke's
the
cooked
year
at this
before, Zeke coming into the year, I told you was cooked. And he had a good year.
Ever. I'm gonna be
Biased,
oblivious.
yeah, I get it. Yeah, Jaden Reed was something they took in the second round, who we never really talked about on the prospect show, but I know Matt Harmon, who does a great job at reception perception, is really high on him, and I respect his work.
Okay,
Yeah,
1173, 8 touchdowns is cooked.
He was. He was.
Dad.
He was. Zeke had 1,000 the year before this year, and he was cooked. You can be cooked and go for 1,000.
He wasn't cooked.
Joe Mixon just went for 1,000. I think he's cooked now.
Again, I'm telling you, Dalvin wasn't.
He was though. If you watched
I
them,
watch a lot of Dalvin.
his
I watch a
his
lot of
yards
Dalvin.
over expectation this year was
have a
negative. He's one of the
Dalvin
worst in the
jersey.
league.
Sorry, what? Dalvin over Zeke? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I have a Dalvin jersey. He's saying if I watch Dalvin, I watch Dalvin more than most, I would say.
Maybe his old stuff, not recently. You
Okay,
haven't
again.
clearly.
Again,
He's washed.
He
He's
did.
not that
He
good
did
no
have,
more.
I think, the most negative rushes.
He did.
last season.
he averaged 4.5 a carry this season.
That's
Yeah.
like face value stats, though. That's not. That's,
You're
He
the
still-
one
he
that
still has
comes
a lot
to me
of-
with this yards per carry
He
bullshit.
still
To
has a lot
try
of
to
big. He
tear-
still has a lot of big runs.
Don't fucking hit me with this face value shit. All right, you know I watched the game. Don't
I think
fucking
if he goes to
disrespect me,
Miami,
damn it.
that's gonna be fucking fantastic for him. I hope he doesn't. With all due respect.
Yeah, part of me doesn't want that either.
Why?
I stack the deck. Like, come on.
Dalvin Cook was
Fucking
one of the
pissed me
worst
off.
statistical running backs, like from an advanced stats perspective.
Okay, so you're just telling me the stats, right? Oh my God, why are we doing this? Big
You're an
face
ISS
value
guy?
stats. No, but that's the thing. He just told me don't do that if you watch Dalvin. Now he goes to advanced stats.
I think
Because
his
basic
advanced
stats are-
hitting the
Basic
eye test,
stats
bro.
are tell us less about the player.
Whatever.
I mean, don't you agree, Dehls?
Every
Don't
Daddy?
Exactly, brother.
No,
There's
no, no,
a
no.
need.
Daddy, don't you agree, Daddy?
That's nuts. there's a need to use basic and
When
advanced
when
stats
have
on.
I ever been like, oh yeah, this running back is good because the yards and
Well,
yards
he's,
per
you know,
carry
he's
and
a
touchdown.
big EPA guy, and over expectation. That type of
Last
shit.
year when we had the Ezekiel versus Pollard debate, how many? Oh my goodness,
Shit,
man.
bro didn't even try to hide that.
When we had the Zeke versus Pollard
I
debate,
needed that.
how many
I needed
advanced
that.
stats did favored Pollard's way?
Oh,
And
yeah,
that's
basically all of
and
them.
that was my entire argument.
That's facts.
Yeah, I would
Dalvin
say
Cook,
Joel's definitely
Dalvin Cook
advanced
from
stat
an
guy.
advanced
He uses,
stat standpoint
that
is hard.
advance to say what his eyes see, though.
Yeah.
So.
But I thought, even though Dalvin did have a lot of negative rushes, I don't think he's cooked.
But
Like, he's
even
not.
why-
he's not Zeke.
But
Cooks.
listen. Why, no, he's not. But why are we harping on Dalvin Cook? Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson,
Best
Jordan
receiver in
Addison,
the
I think
world.
is better than what the Lions have.
Okay.
Amon-Ra, J-Mo.
I'm just saying statistically, Detroit was better than them.
Yes, but I'm talking about from
I know, and I
positional
agree
skill
with you.
players.
I agree
personnel.
with you. I
I
said
think
I'm
the
taking their
Lions,
personnel.
when we talk about the NFC North, the Lions just have the best offensive line
Can't
among
just say
every single
just when it's one of the most important things.
But the Packers, I think, do have the best all-around team. And if Jordan Love is good, which
That's what
he
it's
will
dependent on.
be,
Yeah.
they will be
Anyone
the
could
best
win
team
that
in this
division.
and
The Bears
in
would be
this
the biggest
division.
surprise, but the other three teams wouldn't surprise me.
No surprise.
Zach Preeb, $2 donation again. Appreciate you. Q Bugavelli, Lakers in 6.
Over Kings or Warriors doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
Or is he
guess,
just talking about the Grizzlies? Maybe. I don't know.
I don't
Zach donated again $2. Shout out to Zach.
Shout out to Zach.
Now
Oh.
PAS meme. When's the next playback? Drew, you was the MVP for the last playback.
Oh my god, I was on that stream for almost 6 hours.
What's the next playback?
That's a good question.
I've worked. I don't know if you guys want to go live. I've worked tonight.
Now tonight, I mean, it is the first game the Suns.
I'll be home.
Unless we do tomorrow.
No,
Yeah,
gotta
the
watch
Game
that by
7.
myself.
I understand.
Can you stop, man?
You literally did it.
That's not true, bro. I literally go on live for Lakers
Oh,
games.
well, it's game 7. Well,
You haven't been on a live for a Warriors game once.
I should do it
Stop
tomorrow.
being soft. Yes.
No, I just like to watch it by myself and
So do I, but there's things that you got
watch
to do
every
as a
Warriors game by
man.
myself. All right, I'll come on tomorrow.
He just lied because he said that last time.
Q Bugavelli.
You didn't book it for last time.
I did.
We said we was gonna watch the game yesterday. Nobody.
I
started
watched the
playback.
Warriors Kings game
Last
on
night?
the stream. No, when
That's why
I
I said
streamed for
last
6
night.
hours.
Everybody, we were talking about doing
game
last
6 or game 5 we were on.
night.
Q
I didn't watch game
Bugavelli.
5.
John Naismith up there spitting. Alex Figs.
Oh,
It was
shit.
just to make this bet official. If Kings win Game 7, Riv has to wear that Fox jersey for the next 5 pods. If Warriors win, I will send Riv a public apology.
That's fine.
You're taking that?
That's fine.
5 episodes, Fox.
That's fine.
You're
And
gonna
this
take care of
from-
I
business.
don't hate Fox, so that's fine.
And it's from Football CF Candy. Wasn't a deep offensive line class, so I understand why Bears went O-line. Carter on his own doesn't change all the Bears' defensive problems. On a young team, that's a risk for Seattle to take.
It's a better fit for Philly because of the personnel they have, all the Georgia players. Like, he has a bunch of boys on his team, so they probably just feel more comfortable with that environment.
Now, on to the next topic. Which first-round quarterback is in the best position to succeed as a rookie? We spent quite some time on the Superchats, but that's always fine. You guys sending us
Sure.
donations. We appreciate it. Quarterback, best situation.
We weirdly had this debate a couple weeks before this draft.
It was
We were
between
talking
the
about the
Texans
Texans
and
and the
Panthers,
Panthers, no doubt about it. And now we have to throw AR into the mix with the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis Colts, I still feel like they need to address their positions room, although they tried to. Their offensive line still needs help, as it was one of the worst rush blocking and pass blocking offensive lines in the game last year. But I am a fan of Michael Pittman. I am a fan of, obviously, Jonathan Taylor. I just need to see that develop. Of course, first-year head coach with Shane Steichen. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works. I feel like it's just a little bit safer where I would have liked JSN to be the selection. Them going wide, them trading up to 3, changed obviously draft strategies with Will Anderson. They did need to address defense, but I would have liked to see them bolster up that weapons room, especially when you're bringing in a young quarterback in CJ Stroud. But I just feel like for the fact that the Panthers could make the playoffs with how poor their division is, I feel like Bryce Young is set up to be or have the most success early on for the fact that he could get a taste of the playoffs in his first year. And that's not saying that the Panthers are going to be one of the better teams in the NFC. No, it solely has to do with the fact that I believe it's the South, correct? I'm blanking off the top of my head.
Yeah.
The South is so weak, and the rest of the teams in the division, where the Falcons could make some noise. The Falcons could be one of those teams that I look at to make that jump. The Saints being the Saints, they're going to be around that 500. We'll see what happens with their offense. But I feel like with the Panthers, that South is so up in the air that if Bryce can put on a Rookie of the Year campaign, I think that they can have some success and at least make the playoffs because that division stinks.
I divided these situations by sections. Now I will say, for the Panthers draft, Bryce Young was a great pick. Jonathan Mingo was a surprising pick, but I understand it. He's been comped to AJ Brown and DK Metcalf,
For sure.
and he also is one of the more athletic wide receivers to come out the draft in some recent time. So maybe this is a high upside pick. They have some good wide receivers. Nobody that really is a big name. You know, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, Terrace Marshall, Jonathan Mingo, Laviska Shenault, Hayden Hurst. Their pass catchers group are okay. They're not anything special. You look at the Texans, Robert Woods, Nico Collins, Noah Brown, John Mechie, Tank Dell, Schultz. There's nothing crazy. And then the Colts. I like the receiving corps. Michael Pittman, Pierce, Josh Downs. They signed Isaiah McKenzie, who is a good gadget guy. That's a good signing, Dehls. Now listen, I split it into different situations. Which quarterback is in the best position to succeed as rookie? First round quarterbacks. So that's Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson. Running back room, Colts have it.
Easy.
With Jonathan Taylor. Wide receiver room, I also lean Colts. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce. They drafted Josh Downs. I do lean them over the Panthers and the Texans wide receiver room. Tight end, I give to Houston because of the Dalton Schultz signing. Offensive line, I have to go with the Panthers. They have a young offensive line. It was one of the better groups last season. I think it's the better one. When we talk about defense, it's either the Colts or the Panthers. I can't decide. The Panthers have a sneaky young athletic defense.
Panthers defense is really good.
And I'm leaning them. I am.
I agree.
And then coaching staff, I lean Panthers. So when we talk about position groups, skill position groups, the Colts have the edge. And their offensive line, they have brand names that didn't produce, but maybe the combination of Richardson and JT take pressure off that offensive line. I think Anthony Richardson or Bryce Young are in the best position to succeed. And because I'm so high on Shane Steichen, what he's done with Herbert, what he's done with Jalen Hurts, I'm going to lean Anthony Richardson. Okay. I think I lean Anthony Richardson.
I like that. As a rookie, if we're talking specifically their rookie years, I have to side with Bryce Young with the coaching staff. They have really all the stuff we talked about a few weeks ago in terms of comparing Houston and the Panthers. I love that coaching staff. I think the weapons they're building up, the weapons room, the offensive line. But to Joel's point, I've been high on Anthony Richardson the whole draft process. In terms of who I think is going to have the best career, this might not be the question being asked, but I love Anthony Richardson being paired with Shane Steichen. Justin Herbert obviously came in. There was a lot of questions around Herbert for sure. I know there was a bit of surprise he got taken before Tua. And even when he was selected, just his playing time in Oregon, almost similar to CJ Stroud. It was a lot of questions. What can he do out of structure? Because when he was at Oregon, similar to Stroud again, outside of his last game in college, he never really showed any rushing ability. But then Jalen Hurts is probably the closer comp to Anthony Richardson, not in terms of play style, but just coming in as a prospect who's raw, who has to work on their passing, their accuracy, their touch, all the things that Jalen Hurts year after year was able to work at. Obviously, you have to give Hurts a lot of that credit, but Shane Steichen has a huge role in that. And the fact that Anthony Richardson is able to go there now, and I still think a strong chance he's starting week 1. The only quarterback that I know I could look it up on their roster is Nick Foles. So that's not going to be an incredibly tough job to win. Their weapons room could use some work. Michael Pittman's a solid, probably high wide receiver too. Joel's very high on Alec Pierce. Jonathan Taylor, I think, will have a bounce back season. So Anthony Richardson being paired, I think this is a perfect situation for him to go in. Maybe ideally he sits for a few weeks. Ideally they have maybe a better quarterback to be able to start for those few weeks. But the fact that maybe
it's Nick Foles or Sam Ehlinger.
Got it.
Yeah, it's not. They got Gardner Minshew.
Oh, they got Gardner Minshew.
Okay, so Minshew's a solid.
It's Minshew, option. Nick Foles, and Ehlinger.
Yeah, but I love the long-term fit with Anthony Richardson. I think Bryce Young will have the most success day one because I think he's the most NFL ready with this coaching staff. As I reiterate that, but I'm really high on Anthony Richardson in this land spot.
Well, Minshew's a good bridge quarterback.
Yeah, I'm cool with Minshew.
I
He's
just
better than
hope
Foles.
that the Colts aren't pressured into getting AR into the game sooner than you would want. And by you would want, I mean, I just feel AR needs this season to still learn, understand the playbook. Not that he doesn't have the talent, obviously, but I don't want AR to get thrown into the fire immediately. Him face backlash. Was this guy worth the number 4 overall pick in the draft? But I already felt like he would have benefited from staying an extra year at Florida. During the process, to see him jump up the draft boards, it was great to see because I understood the potential that he had. But I felt at least that AR was still raw and he still had his ways to go. I think that 1 year sitting, hopefully Minshew, Foles, I don't think Ellinger will really get that much burn or should be in consideration. But realistically, Minshew or Foles can just hold down the fort long enough that AR gets the proper amount of time to prepare and be ready to become a full-time NFL starting quarterback. I feel like that would benefit Anthony Richardson the most.
You do worry probably about Jim Irsay being that one guy to step in and say, we took this guy number 4 overall.
Well said.
He actually just had a quote saying that Richardson was, I don't know if he said my guy or our guy since February. So it seems like they were locked on Richardson for a while. But I'm more worried about Irsay overstepping. We saw it happen last season with the Matt Ryan, whole saga. I worry about Irsay stepping in and making a decision too early. Anthony Richardson, we talked about the pre-draft process. I think a lot of the questions around Anthony Richardson is overblown. I think he's really good as a processor. His accuracy could be hit and miss. Sometimes in Zach Wilson-esque fashion, he can make the hard look really easy and the easy look really hard at times. But I think overall, a lot of it is overblown, especially if you look at the talent at Florida. I mean, you're not going to have I don't think there was anyone drafted skill position wise and day 1 or day 2, probably not even day 3 yet. So especially getting more talent around him, more guys that are going to be open is only going to help him.
Well, listen, if we're off that assumption that Richardson is not starting the year, then Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, it's a clearing for Bryce Young.
For sure.
They have a better offensive line.
Who? AR.
Minshew.
Okay.
The offensive line for the Panthers clears, which is why the running game will be better too. The receivers are similar. I think they are for the Panthers and the Texans. It's similar. Yeah. And the Panthers defense is better than the coaching staff clears. It's an offensive-centric coaching staff.
The Panthers defense is also really young.
Bryce Young. Yeah. So it's between Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson for me, at least.
Or we're just low on CJ Stroud? What's
no way. No
situation.
Way. I just think that they need more players around them that are going to be. I mean, you would have liked to have Brandon Cooks there to have some type of veteran connection between CJ and a wide receiver. But right now, they just don't have that.
They have a lot of young.
They do.
Like Mechie's coming back. They drafted Tank Dell. So they have some, young up and coming talent, but not a lot of proving.
You could look at Dalton Schultz kind of like a vet, obviously, but it's his first year with the Texans. You need someone, or you would have liked to have someone that had a little bit of longevity or is acquainted with the team. But I think that it's going to be a little bit of a process. But I still believe in CJ. That's not me saying I'm low on him.
And also the defensive head coach, it's usually.
So who do you think has a better career? Put all 3 in order.
I'm still a Bryce guy.
Bryce one?
I go Bryce. Shit, this is not a knock to CJ. I think these 3 quarterbacks are very good. Anthony Richardson he has the highest ceiling for me.
He does.
Because he has all the physical tools to be.
You don't think he'll reach it? You have Bryce at 1.
I just think that Bryce is the safest option.
And it's also important to note, like, we're obviously not in the rooms conducting these interviews, but a reason Anthony Richardson rose and a reason Will Levis fell was because of the interview process.
Correct.
A lot of people saw Anthony Richardson as very humble, someone who wanted to go in, be a hard worker, ready to learn. Will Levis, listen, again, I'm not in these interviews, but the reports came out a little bit arrogant, a little bit cocky at times. And that goes a long way. In the NFL, you can get humbled quick, right? I think you saw that very early on with Jalen Hurts. His humbleness, his eagerness to learn led him to be the quarterback he is today. I think Anthony Richardson has some of those same qualities.
Did Baker Mayfield ruin the draft process for some? I'm asking.
Johnny Manziel.
That's another one.
Johnny has swag, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that the personality... people joke about it and you laugh and you're like, oh, you're a quarterback, you're arrogant, you're going to have this on your shoulder. But you go back, like you look at all the great quarterbacks right now, none of them are arrogant. None of them have this, like going to spit in your face. Like I'm just straight up better than everybody. No. Mahomes is super humble. Josh Allen, like everyone is super humble because they know in the NFL, any day you're going to get beat and you probably will get beat more often than not.
Considering Baker Mayfield led the Browns to the first playoff appearance and who knows.
He's not on the team.
I don't think I'd use him as
the number one
example.
Overall pick.
So doesn't matter if he's not on the team. They did him dirty.
He did lead him to the playoffs.
They literally
won that game.
They got rid of Baker Mayfield.
Pick. Did he get traded for first?
I don't remember. I don't think so. Though.
They got rid of Baker Mayfield and gave out the worst contract in NFL history.
Well, the Browns are a historically terrible franchise.
So amazing.
What do you want to say?
Wow, they
the worst
they really hit a home run, Dehls.
That's not great. It's not great.
I mean, if he gets back to that
Deshaun
form
on that contract, or
you know
Baker?
what? Clip this.
What I just saw from Deshaun, probably Baker.
Who's you think? I
mean, $200 million.
Let me ask you a question: Is Deshaun Watson a top 20 quarterback in the National Football League?
He's top 20.
Okay.
But it's still one of the worst contracts in the league, and the Browns are going to end up
Hey,
regretting
if,
it.
if Deshaun
They're already
bounces back
regretting it.
But
this
if
year,
Deshaun is Deshaun this season, are
Clip
you still
this
saying that?
because when Deshaun is Deshaun and the Cleveland Browns win the division, he's going to look
Deshaun's
like
Deshaun. I'm
a fool.
talking
The
about
Browns
top
are not
five
winning the
quarterback.
division.
The Browns are winning.
No, they're
The
not.
Browns do
Yeah.
have a good enough foundation to at least compete for the
Deshaun
division.
has to be
The
top
team-
five.
the
Yeah,
team-
if Deshaun is top
The
7,
the
they're winning
teams,
the division.
the team that's winning the AFC
That's
North.
not crazy. That's not
Yeah.
crazy.
Top 5 is
Joe Burrow,
The
Lamar,
team
those
that's
teams.
winning the NFC North, shout out to my Cincinnati Bengals, it's the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, so you're
This
picking a
is
new
their year?
team.
They're winning the NFC North. I mean AFC North. my
Is
bad.
AB coming back?
That shit was hilarious. I don't think I've ever seen a player say, I'm signing with this team and not believe them. This is the first time.
I don't believe him.
No, I mean,
much
nobody
as I
said no.
want to.
Schefter,
Who would you
Rappaport,
say he's signing
nobody.
with?
The Ravens. He tweeted out. And
Is it
nobody,
because
nobody
Zay Flowers?
confirmed it.
He sees a lot of himself in Zay Flowers.
Maybe.
So one of the biggest surprises in the draft was the Falcons drafting Bijan Robinson, number 8, and also the Lions drafting Jahmyr Gibbs with the 12th overall pick. Now,
Pat's got Keyshawn Boutte.
that's an all right pick. I mean, he's not.
I hope so.
I'm not high
You're
on
not.
him.
You're not.
Now, I'm gonna rattle off these stats.
Here we go.
Was it the right decision for the Falcons to draft Bijan? Falcons running backs last season, number 1 in rushing yards, number 1 in yards per carry, number 1 in rushing first downs, number 2 in EPA per rush, number 3 in success rate, number 3 in first downs or touchdowns per rush. And Tyler Algier broke the Falcons' rookie rushing running back record last season. He was second in EPA and 3.6 yards after contact, ranked 5th in the NFL. And among all rookie running backs since 2000, with at least 175 attempts, he ranked number 9th in success rate
So you're
out of 65 qualifying running backs.
a big pro Tyler Algier kind of guy.
Algier is a really good player.
I agree.
He's better than Eckler.
Damn. Did that hurt?
No.
Yo, that's hilarious.
Is it true?
No.
As it is true. Now,
Okay.
You
Tyler Algier is good.
He is good. He could be good in not.
Well,
be
I'm
better than
saying-
Austin Eckler.
All these stats say that the Falcons had a great running game, and they
Facts.
didn't need to spend the 8th overall pick on
Fact,
Bijan.
yes.
I agree.
So, do you guys think that it was warranted?
Well, we know Drew's answer.
Yeah.
Drew's answer is no. I'm torn with this Bijan selection because you can make the argument he's the best player in this draft. You can make the argument he could come in year
Agreed.
1 outside of quarterback and have the biggest impact
No
of
doubt.
any player
He
in
could
this
win
draft.
Offensive Rookie of the Year.
He could
Could.
win Offensive Rookie
Could.
of the Year.
Could have multiple All Pros. That's how great he could be. Honestly,
So what's the
you
issue?
didn't need him.
I mean,
You
if you
have-
get an all pro player though.
You have an Atlanta Falcons team who there's holes, right? I know they beefed up the defense in the offseason, but you have a guy like Jalen Carter on the board who could come in and be a defensive staple, someone who could have multiple All-Pros, someone who could be a defensive player of the year type of guy. And then you have Bijan Robinson, who, to his defense, could be an offensive player of the year type of guy. But as we've seen, as history showed, it is more likely you're going to find a running back on day 2, day 3, undrafted even, that could come in and give you great production. Tyler Algier was just a 5th-round pick, I want to say, and last year's draft came in and was exceptional. Now, Bijan's going to come in and be even better than Tyler Algier, and we
No doubt.
talked about it on the mock draft. He's going to come and make those 4 or 5-yard carries, 10, 20-yard carries. He's going to be able to make this offense even more explosive. And I think part of it is giving Desmond Ridder just as many weapons as possible. The the Bears doing this with Justin Fields now. I think the Eagles did it with Jalen Hurts last season, where you just give your quarterback, or a questionable quarterback, if he's your franchise guy, as many weapons as possible. And if he's able to succeed, you know you have a franchise guy. And if he fails, you know it's time to move on. I think that's part of the logic the Falcons use there. I think 95% of it is they love Bijan Robinson. But I do think there is a small percentage saying, we got Drake London, we got Kyle Pitts, receivers, weapons, or checked off. Now we're going to get a running back who could year 1 be a top 5 running back in this league. If Desmond Ridder is still not able to succeed or not take that jump, we could go into the 2024 draft knowing we need a quarterback. If not, you do take that defensive player or somebody else. There's still question marks around, is this still a talented enough offense? I think with Arthur Smith, you could see Bijan lead the league in rushing yards. It's really not that crazy. He's going to get all the opportunity. It's a shame for Algier, who just had a great rookie season, but that's just the story of day 3 running backs. You could have a great season and get replaced the next season. We saw it. Michael Carter had a really good rookie year. Breece Hall takes over in year 2. And then, in his sophomore season for Michael Carter, just saw with Tyler Algier. I think Bijan's a clear upgrade over Algier, but you do have questions of positional value there.
Despite all the stats I rattled off, Tyler Algier had a great rookie season. I think he is a good player. But you mentioned a great point. We saw something similar with Phillip Lindsay in Denver, where undrafted
Exactly
rookie
what
running
came to my
back
mind.
had 1,000 yards, and then he was never quite the same running back.
James Robinson.
Maybe Algier continues to be a good player, but I'm banking on Bijan to be that for multiple years on end.
Not disagreeing.
And I think the rushing offense benefited a lot from Marcus Mariota starting the majority of the season. Desmond Ridder is not the same player as Mariota. Mariota, with him, you can run a lot of read option stuff, and it opens up your running game. I like this pick. And in the offseason, they made defensive investments. They signed Calais Campbell, David Onyemata. They have Grady Jarrett. So the interior of the defensive line is good. They signed Caden Ellis, who was a good off-ball linebacker with the Saints. Mike Hughes, Jeff Okudah, Jesse Bates, all got them. They improved their defense. And maybe you can argue they should have drafted a receiver, but they have two good receivers. Drake London and Kyle Pitts is basically a wide receiver.
Sure.
And they traded for Jonnu Smith, who can now be a tight end for them. I like this move. You have Bijan, who, like you said, can make those 5-6 yard runs turn into explosive, big play, touchdown runs. I think that Bijan is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I do.
I wonder what his odds are right now.
I think he's going to win the award.
If Bryce, it might be dependent.
The quarterbacks are probably favored, but it's possible.
I did want to look this up. Algier did a lot of his damage down the stretch of the season, like those last 4 games. That's when Ridder was playing.
Yeah, Ridder didn't play much, though. He played, I think, started like 3 games, if I believe.
I was going to say it was the last 4 games of the season, because that's when Mariota did walk.
He started 4 games.
But that's when Algier really started to really assert himself and really start to put up some really good numbers.
Bijan is the favorite.
Really?
300, Bryce 475.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Bijan. Like, for example,
I shouldn't be shocked because, again, like you said, Bijan is arguably the most impressive talent in this draft.
Not only that, but let's go back to 2016. Dak Prescott had one of the better rookie seasons of all time. And he did not win Offensive Rookie of the Year over Zeke.
Dak did. He won Rookie of the Year.
Nah, Zeke won it.
Didn't Zeke win Offensive Player of the Year?
I'm telling you,
I don't remember.
Dak was Rookie of the Year.
That year.
Yeah, no, OD.
Zeke was.
Yeah, I mean, hey, having Zeke there helped Dak a lot. One of the best
No, yeah,
offensive lines.
Dak did.
Yes, dude.
Yeah,
and you know what? You should not be upset that you think that, because Zeke was supposed to be the Rookie of the Year.
Top 5 pick, right?
1,600 yards.
But think about it. Bijan as a rookie could be a 1,500-yard receiver. And if Bryce Young or any of these quarterbacks don't have that exceptional of a year, then it's Bijan's
They might not.
That's why
Dallas made the playoffs that year, too. Like, you got to think, Dallas made the playoffs. Dak and Zeke were having a 2-man action all year. Bryce might not make the plays. He might not have the same statistics as Dak had that year.
Dak as a rookie had 23 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 105 passer.
Touchdown-interception ratio is nuts. Rookies don't do that very often, but Bijan can do 1,500 yards.
Sort of offensive position.
And AR also might not be able to, like, to do what Dak did. Ooh.
That's why I think that, yes, Dak, I think it's fair to say that Bijan could be the favorite. But if they have similar seasons, like, where obviously similar, they played 2 different positions, but let's say Bijan's doing his thing, but Bryce is also doing his thing. I think voters lean quarterback.
I think if Zeke was on a different team, he would have won.
And that specific scenario is why I have that in my mind, because I thought Zeke was the obvious Rookie of the Year. For him to not win it and give it to Dak, it's very quarterback oriented. Yes.
You would take Bijan or 8 or Roshan round 4.
I'm a Roshan guy. I'm trying to look for a 2018 Offensive Rookie of the Year. So 2018, it was between Saquon and Baker. Baker had a very good rookie year.
He did, yep.
And Saquon still won
record for pass touchdowns.
Yeah, he did.
Right? Saquon had almost 100 catches.
Yeah, but Saquon was just fucking.
He was different.
Back in the league.
Yeah, he was different. It all depends on how Arthur Smith wants to use Bijan, but
hey, you take him 8 overall, he better be on the field 80% of the snaps.
I think that Bijan is gonna be so great for the Falcons, and the NFC South is a wide open division because I can see the Falcons winning the division. I can see the Saints doing it too. I mean, Arthur Smith has gotten 2 7-win seasons out of
bad teams.
We can all say in hindsight, a not very good Matt Ryan, Desmond Ridder,
he comes around.
No, you know what I'm doing though? I'm investing in Desmond Ridder.
You're in?
Arthur Smith, Ridder. I'm gonna take the gamble.
I'm in on Arthur Smith. Yeah, I just don't know Ridder. He could have a good season,
That's
and
why,
he could still not be long term.
Of course,
you
but
can cash out
on Mojo. You have a good season, you cash out. I'm riding with Desmond Ridder.
Laptop's bothering me. What? Just needs like a dusting, bro.
Oh. You got one for me?
Filthy.
Maybe.
Filthy maggot.
So what about with Jahmyr Gibbs? Do you think that this was actually the wrong pick at 12?
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
Guy.
I mean, You needed help in the
How
secondary.
many teams do you have in that?
Christian
though?
Gonzalez. I don't really. I just like the Lions because they were my sleeper team, and they were very good last year. They exceeded
So you sticking with them?
expectations, and now they should be good. The first 2 picks, I'm not a huge fan of. Jameer, I believe in the talent. I think Jameer's going to be a fine running back. I just think that Christian Gonzalez is on the board. You needed secondary help. That's the selection there. You're at 6. You need defensive line presence. Take Jalen Carter. Don't trade back. I feel like just the Lions made a couple mistakes draft day that I wouldn't have made. Hey, but I'm not an NFL GM, so we'll see how it plays out. But for me personally, I think that Christian Gonzalez would have been the selection. Jameer will have success. That offensive line is one of the best in the game, second in the league to the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll see actually now that they've had some subtractions, but still believe in the Eagles nevertheless. But they're in conversations to have the best offensive line in the game. I think that Jameer, with the fact that obviously he's a fantastic rusher, can help you out in the pass game. He's surrounded by very solid talent on the outside as well. Once Jameson Williams comes back after his suspension, I think that Jameer will have a successful season. However, bolster the defense, please. Your defense needed the most help. It was very evident. And I get it. Campbell was a solid selection with your second pick, but you needed to solidify that secondary, and that was a miss for me.
It was shocking, I think, more than anything.
For sure.
Gibbs, Drew said it. We all love Gibbs. I think we all hit him as RB2.
Correct.
He's a fantastic player. I mean, he could, be a Swiss Army knife type back, CMC type, great receiving, great rushing back. And the Lions were, ecstatic they got him at 12. And the reports, as we mentioned earlier, was that, the reports were that he wouldn't even be there if you got past 15. So they felt that if they don't take him at 12, he's not going to be there at 18. So it's now or never. Personally, I wouldn't have taken Gibbs at 12. I'm also on the belief that I probably wouldn't have taken Bijan at 8. As mentioned in the last segment, running backs you could find day 2, day 3 undrafted and have really successful, short careers. But that's where you're looking for. That's where you're looking for a running back. You don't see a lot of guys get paid that second contract, except the really elite of the elite. For the Lions, I was expecting them at least pick 12. If they wanted a weapon, I thought they were going to go JSN. You have Jameson Williams going to be suspended at least the first 6 weeks of the season. I believe Amon-Ra is obviously a great receiver in his own right. Maybe it was JSN. You have Amon-Ra play the slot. Maybe they thought the fit was a little bit weird with both of those guys, even though JSN could play maybe on the outside, but he's going to be predominantly in the slot, especially his time in Seattle. Now you have Lockett there too. I don't know how it's going to work, and I'm thinking through it. But I think
Lockett's getting up there though. His time might be coming.
He's the eventual replacement without a doubt. But I think
for the
Lions at least. Once he got picked, you knew right away Swift was getting moved, right? He was going to be the Swift replacement. You find out 2 days later he gets traded for the Eagles for a 4th-round pick. It makes a little bit more sense then. But then you still paid David Montgomery, not a huge contract, but nonetheless a contract to come in and have some sort of workload. So I'm under the belief if you're taking a running back in the 1st or 2nd round, or hell, even 3rd round, if you're taking a guy day 1 or day 2, they should be coming in and having 60 to 70% of the carries and targets and receptions and snaps week 1, right? Running back is probably the easiest position to transition to from college to the pros. It's not like a quarterback. It's not like corner. A lot of these positions that it could take rookies some time to get adjusted to the NFL speed and just overall nature of the game. As a running back, you're able to come in from college. That's why you see the guys like Saquon, CMC, Fournette come in and have a great rookie season. Just Breece Hall last year before he got hurt as well. So I think the Gibbs pick at 12 was too high for me, but they loved it. They were ecstatic. I don't know if I've ever seen a room get more happy to get a player at 12 overall than the Lions did right there. So they loved the pick. They didn't think he would fall any further than 12. So you got to be happy for them and their fans. I know we have Sean, who's a diehard Lions fan. He was ecstatic about that draft pick. He's going to be a game changer on offense. Gibbs is a great player. So if you're getting someone who could be dynamic on offense, I can't be too upset. Again, that's just not how I build my team, but he's going to be a playmaker.
Here's the difference between the Falcons and the Lions and why for the Falcons, I like the Bijan pick. For one, Bijan's a better prospect.
Yes.
That's for sure. Number 2, the Falcons have less holes. Their offensive line is great. They have a good pass catch room with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and I think Jonnu Smith does have a resurrection with the Falcons. He was great with Arthur Smith in Tennessee. I think he'll do fine with Atlanta.
Too.
You look at their defense, your secondary. AJ Terrell's a cornerstone corner.
Stud, for sure.
You traded for Jeff Okudah, who I think is a solid starter.
I agree.
Your linebackers, you improved. I think that's like the biggest weakness. But
definitely,
your safeties, Jesse Bates, and I'm forgetting the other the other safety opposite
gotcha.
of Falcons. I got it here. It's Jalen Hawkins or Richie Grant. It's one of those two. The Falcons' only real hole is another receiver, maybe an edge rusher and a
I was
linebacker.
going to say defensive line. The front seven needs help.
With the Lions, I don't even think so because it's David Onyemata, Grady Jarrett, Calais Campbell. They have some guys there.
Calais, I did forget that they did get him in the offseason. That's a fair point.
With the Lions, they need a real solid corner. They signed Cameron Sutton. He's solid, but he's not a star. He's not a game-breaking corner. And Emmanuel Moseley is always injured. They needed a true game-changing corner like a Christian Gonzalez. That's what they needed. They didn't draft that. Interior offensive line, they probably could have drafted interior offensive lineman, I think, the Lions. And another wide receiver. Jameson is suspended for the first 6 games. I like the upside in talent, but Jameson has shown us nothing to this point. It's not a guarantee he's going to be a good player. Their tight end is Brock Wright. I know they drafted Sam Laporta, but at the 12th pick, you needed a tight end or a wide receiver or a game-breaking corner or a defensive interior lineman, and you traded back to get Jahmyr Gibbs. They could have very well drafted a Jalen Carter with their pick.
Agreed.
And really solidified the interior of their defensive line.
Wholeheartedly.
That's why for me, I'm kind of, I'm not too high on the Lions draft because I think if they would have drafted a Christian Gonzalez and paired him up with Cameron Sutton and Tracy Walker, CJ Gardner-Johnson, now I think we're talking. But with the moves they made, I just don't think a running back was a need here, especially given that there were so many available that I think were similar to Jahmyr Gibbs in talent. If they would have drafted Roschon Johnson in the 3rd round, I'm thinking Roschon could be an 1,000-yard rusher with Detroit. So that's why I think the pick wasn't
Should
good.
they just take Bijan at 6 instead?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah. Because they needed a game-changing player. Atlanta has A.J. Terrell. That's their star corner. Detroit doesn't have their star corner.
If Detroit would have took Bijan at 6, I feel like I'm being a hypocrite. It would have been awesome. Would have been awesome.
That's why it's like if you take a running back at 12, might as well take the best at 6, right? You're saying fuck it.
What
honestly,
assets?
yeah.
What was the assets that they acquired for that trade back though?
I don't remember. But completely unrelated, the Patriots took a punter.
Oh,
So they've
my
drafted a
God.
punter and a kicker.
You've been saying that for like 3 hours.
No, they took a kicker. Now they take a punter. Yeah.
You hate them?
Yeah, duh.
Now, this is ranking wide receiver cores of wide receivers drafted in round 1.
Here we go.
Rev, did you want to add anything to that?
I was
What
gonna
are
say,
your thoughts on Mr. Gibbs?
And Bijan, man.
I just think they're fine young players.
Just there's 2 good young men going to have immediate impact.
Absolutely amazing in what they do, and
Potential offensive rookie of the year.
they're going to be great players in this league. I've watched a lot of their tape, and I just think it's a bona fide tape. You know what I'm saying?
We were talking in the car. Red was telling me it's like the start and stop ability of Bijan, the way he can
I
make
told him
guys
Bijan
miss
was
in
gonna
a
go
phone
8.
booth. Yeah, he was.
bro.
Really
But I
breaking
thought
it
you were
down.
telling me that you like Gibbs a little bit more than Bijan.
No, my guy is Devin a chain.
Facts. You went to Miami.
He
So
did.
you all in on
They
Miami?
have the
I
fastest fucking team of all time.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, that was a good pick, Devon.
Yo,
Shane.
You went on what? A
I wa-
4-3-2?
I wanted to ask you guys, is the Kincaid pick for Joshy? Is it good?
It is good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Solid pick.
He was probably the best receiving type tight end.
Okay,
Just
another
could stretch
guy.
the field.
Okay, all right.
Very like similar skill set to Dawson Knox almost. But I think
This is the MJ year.
So we're gonna do something fun here.
Kincaid's a first round pick.
We're gonna
Fun?
do something fun here.
I like fun.
We're gonna be ranking the wide receiver cores of the wide receivers drafted in round 1. So that's the Seahawks drafting JSN number 20, the Chargers drafting Quentin Johnson 21, the Ravens drafting Zay Flowers 22, and the Vikings drafting Jordan Addison 23. This is my list.
Okay.
Number 1, I have the Seahawks. I think undoubtedly. DK, Tyler Lockett, JSN.
Amazing.
You can't get better than that. Number 2,
Got Adam Troutman.
the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, because they don't have the number 2 like Lockett.
Yeah.
Got it.
Number 2, the Vikings. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne. I like that a lot. Number 3, the Chargers. Mike Williams, Keenan, Quentin Johnson. And number 4, I have the Ravens with OBJ and Zay Flowers. We're not counting
Yeah.
Mark Andrews in this.
Yeah, I was about to say you wasn't
This
gonna
is
count
why
TJ Hawkinson.
I had difficulty with this because I understand, yes, their position is tight end. However, they are integral in what teams want to do passing the football. So I
You
get
had
it.
Hawk to Minnesota then.
That's what I did as well.
Yeah. So if anything, I'd have the Ravens as high as 3 because they're not over Minnesota if we're adding Hawkinson into
I
that
think
mix.
in
If-
terms of ceiling, sorry, just quickly.
bro,
in
go
terms of
ahead.
ceiling, I think Baltimore is higher than the Chargers. I do think Odell, if he's back, Zay Flowers, if we're adding Mark Andrews, I think they do give you a little bit more than Keenan, Mike, and Quinn. I do think so. Because Keenan, he has the same injury thoughts as Odell. Like, is he going to play a full year? How good is he going to be? With Mike Williams and Zay Flowers, Mike is more proven, but I think Zay Flowers has much, much more upside than him. So I might lean the Ravens, but the first two is undisputed.
So if we're throwing in tight ends, I have the Seahawks 1.
They still have to be 1.
I have the Seahawks 1.
Yeah.
However, Baltimore can jump to 1 if DeAndre Hopkins does come to town.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
rumors. So they're the only ones that I can see going to number 1.
They're saying Arizona's not trading him no more.
Really official.
Well, I don't know if it's official,
What
but
the hell going to throw him
that's
the
a
ball?
rumor.
I
I hate
they're
that.
just
for him.
I just think if he would have got traded, it would have happened.
been
already.
yes or a couple of days ago. So I have Seattle number 1 with JSN, DK, and Lockett. Number 2, I'm torn between the Ravens and the Vikings.
They're
But
disrespectful.
ultimately, you have to go with the Vikings because Justin Jefferson's the best in the
He
game.
accounts for 3 of them.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's. Let me not say this because KJ
Hawkinson.
Osborne's a solid. He's a wide receiver 3.
He's good.
I'm happy that they drafted Jordan Addison because
I
now
would put
KJ
Hawkinson
Osborne can-
before KJ.
and then Hawkinson there, obviously. Hawkinson has to have that respect. So I'll go Minnesota. I'll go with Baltimore. And then last, I'm going to go with the Chargers. But that's solely for the fact that Keenan, last year, he missed 8 games. Mike Williams, he's usually been
would
reliable.
your Chargers
but
pick be
last year
higher
he
if
got
your boy Eckler
injured.
was still there?
He is still there.
Hasn't
They got cut.
moved.
Yeah, no,
He's on
that's
the squad.
true, man. I didn't even think about that because Eckler's very important
He's
to
your
the pass
pass cat.
game.
Yeah,
Facts.
he's your
Yeah, but he's a
your
running
receiver.
back. He doesn't really count.
Is he though? We know you've been very adamant that he's not a running back.
I would have
Mike Will and Quinn, though, they're basically the same guy in my opinion.
They are, yeah. It was an interesting fit.
I would have liked to see him go Zay.
Yeah, that's felt like it fit better.
like
But
that.
I think I would have Seahawks, DK Lockett, JSN. I'm interested to see how they play JSN and Lockett. Lockett's just coming off a fantastic year. We know what DK can do. 2, I would have the Vikings, Jettas, Addison, Hawk, KJ Osborne. 2 between 3 and 4. I think I would still have to go Chargers just because your best receiver for the Ravens, it's Mark Andrews. But then Odell, Zay Flowers, and Bateman. Odell has questions. Bateman has not been able to stay healthy. Zay Flowers I like, but again, a rookie, unproven. And then the Chargers, Keenan, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnson. I would probably have them over Baltimore at 3.
Wow, I forgot about Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
I like the Ravens group.
I like the
I'm
Ravens
as
group.
the
They have
Ravens.
upside, it's just
I can put as high
injuries.
as 3 for the Ravens.
Correct,
for
me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as high as 3. I
You
do
made some
think
good
though,
arguments for the Chargers, though.
Yeah, it's tough. You have the same concerns with the Chargers. I think Riv mentioned it. Like Mike Williams is going to be able to stay healthy. Keenan has had injury concerns, but overall, usually his injury concerns outside this year were just like weird injuries. He had like a liver or spleen injury or some shit one year. And Quentin Johnson, I think I would have him like I tweeted this out. I would move Marvin Mims up my list. I think I liked him like 3rd most out of this class. Quentin Johnson 4th, but I just don't know how him and Mike Williams. You could have them on the outside and Keenan in the slot though. So that'll
Let me
work.
ask you a question, bro. You rooting for the Broncos this year?
I'm moving for Marvin Mims.
He wears a Denver Bronco uniform.
Oh, yeah,
He
I'll
does.
root for the Broncos when Marvin Mims gets.
So he's
nice
getting
play,
burned
Oh, I've ever
over,
rooted against the Jets.
Huh?
Have I ever rooted against the Jets?
I'm just not a Russell Wilson guy, you know.
You know what? You're a prick.
Is he getting burned over blanking on the guy who tore his ACL?
Tim Patrick,
Yeah.
probably not.
So he's gonna be wide receiver
It's
4.
It depends, bro. I don't know what's gonna happen with Son.
I saw the report was saying if they want Son or Judy, you need to give up a decent amount.
Listen,
of
Marvin
2024
Mims
capital.
now takes
So I don't think
on.
it's gonna happen.
Marvin Mims is going to take on the KJ Hamler role.
Yeah,
That's what's going to happen.
So he's gonna
KJ
get like
really
40
doesn't
targets.
get. Yeah.
He's not going to be groundbreaking. If I'm ranking these wide receivers based on the season I think they're going to have, I think Zay Flowers has the best rookie receiver season.
Okay,
I do. I think that he has the most opportunity.
even though Quinn has Herbie.
I think Jordan Addison could.
Interesting.
Jordan
Interesting.
Addison
For
is an interesting one. I say this: Zay Flowers is competing with OBJ, Bateman, and Andrews. But on a down-to-down basis, I think Zay Flowers will get more opportunities. Jordan Addison is second to me because I think the competition is Jefferson, Hawkinson, and I think he's a better receiver than KJ Osborne. JSN is 3 because you have DK and Lockett. You know, those are two 1,000 receivers in their own right. And then last one is Quentin Johnson. That's why I didn't like the Quentin Johnson pick a lot. I really don't like it a lot.
It's just the fact that Herbie's there. It allows me to have faith that.
Do you know where you're going? Pick 3.
No,
Drew
I'm actually
has
in
our
hell.
3rd pick in Dynasty.
I couldn't be in a worse position. I was angry.
How long is our draft?
We haven't started.
I don't know when is it going to be.
Probably when I get back from Florida.
In my dynasty, I have 4 first-round picks.
Oh,
You're in
really?
Dynasty?
Yeah, NBA.
Oh,
I tanked all
tough.
types of crazy. Like I tanked. It was all I have is Steph. And
So
PG.
yeah, remember when we were on the show and I was all bent out of shape, panties in a bunch. The fact that I had the 3rd overall pick. Yeah, I'm even more mad now because I don't like JSN to Seattle. I get it, Lockett's going to be gone, but for impact now and for the future, JSN, I feel like I'm back into a corner where I have to select him.
Well, it's Geno Smith though.
That's what I'm saying too.
He's great, so he'll make JSN great.
great.
It's great.
He is
Then on the
great.
other
Stop
hand,
sipping on Geno.
He is.
And
And
then
he's
there's-
talking about Herbert.
There's Justin Herbert, who did just get Quinn, who not ideally is one of my favorite guys. If Zay Flowers would have went there, I would have had to lock Zay to.
I would just
to number
lock Zay
3.
in right now.
I can't. I have pick 6, so I'm gonna get 2 of these 4 guys.
I would get Zay Flowers. Trust me, get Zay Flowers.
I don't think I'm gonna pick Quinn, although I know the guys in my league, they're thinking similar like me. So if I wanted to pass on Quinn, I feel like 4 or 5, one of those 2 bastards are gonna go with Quinn just because they're fascinated with the Chargers. But
Do you have the 5th pick? You have 6, you said?
I have 6.
I have 5. Okay.
Now Joe Dehls has to leave soon, but
I
before
do.
he goes, I
want
want to
Oh,
listen.
quick facts.
I'll be honest. Arizona, the Cardinals, a couple weeks ago, I thought were in the worst position of any team in the NFL. But them trading back from 3 to 6 has now made me rethink this notion because with the 6th overall pick, they drafted Paris Johnson. 2nd round, pick 41, B.J. Ojulari. They drafted Garrett Williams and Michael Wilson in the 3rd round, some high upside players. But look at this. These are the Cardinals' 2024 draft picks.
Loaded.
2 first-round picks, a 2nd-round pick, 2 third-round picks, actually 3 third-round picks, 2 fourth-round picks, 2 fifth-round picks, and a 7th rounder. All in all, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 total picks in next year's draft, and 2 of them could be in the top 10.
Yeah, one will definitely be in the top 10, probably the top 3 with Arizona. And not only do you have all those picks, but it gives you just so much room to move up and down the draft board next year. Wherever you need to see a need, they'll have all of the draft capital they need.
Are the Texans going to be outside the top 10?
They're going to be in the top 10.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, 2 top 10
I
picks.
think that
They
that's
could
why-
have. It could be 2 top 5.
That's
picks,
why I didn't love
realistically.
the Texans trade.
Yeah.
I would have liked to hold on to that 2024.
Are the
God
Panthers going to
forbid.
be top
Depends how
15?
great Will Anderson. If Will Anderson comes in
Yeah,
and
and
he's
it's him,
double-digit sacks
OD.
rookie
Then
year,
we apologize.
you got it.
And
But
the 2 third-round picks they have are from one the Texans, and the other one is the Titans. 2 picks that could be early 3rd round. next
Yep.
year.
for sure. Before I go, should I go real quick through my predictions for the
Yeah,
playoffs?
yeah.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so first we have Miami and the Knicks. I do think the Knicks. I'll be at this game tomorrow. Shout out to
I
Mojo.
hate
Let's
you.
Shout out
go.
to Mojo.
So awesome. Yo,
I'm
Jared
taking-
killed me. He goes, Section 110? Cha-ching! I'm selling those.
I do think the Knicks take this series in 6 or 7 games. I love Jimmy Butler. He's been a dog. I don't know if Duncan Robinson's going to shoot 74% from 3 again and they shoot 45% from 3. I think at some point Water's going to find his level and they'll come back down to earth. So I got the Knicks in 6, maybe 7. Sixers versus Celtics. We just got news Embiid's doubtful for game 1. I tweeted this out. It's going to be 10 days on Monday once they play since Embiid's last played. He's still not ready. There's a strong chance he will never be 100% during the series. With that being said, the Celtics never make it easy on themselves, so they could lose game 1 without Embiid. Embiid comes back game 2 and they win. You really just never know with this Celtics team. They play up and down to their competition, but I think ultimately they'll win this series and probably 6 games. And then the last one is probably the hardest. The Suns and Nuggets, since we don't know the Warriors didn't take care of business yet. Suns and Nuggets prediction. It's really tough. I was going back and forth this last night, but I do think the Suns will win in 7. We were talking before the show, going through an NBA article, and I think a lot of the issues that the Suns had in round 1, especially with the depth of the Clippers, just constantly being able to bring in bench guys, the Nuggets don't really have. They have their starting 5, but the guys off their bench, Jeff Green's playing 22 minutes. Then you have Christian Braun playing 12 or 13 minutes. Everyone after that is really playing like less than 6-7 minutes a night. So I don't think they have the depth, or at least the issues the Clippers gave the Suns. I don't know if the Nuggets gave them the same issues. Now, Obviously, they gave this team different because you have Nikola Jokic, who's a dominant player, arguably the best player in the league right now. Jamal Murray, know what type of impact he could have. Michael Porter Jr. just never passes down a shot. Doesn't matter how many guys are on him. So I do think the Suns win in 7. That's going to be a fun series.
Bye.
John.
Peace out, Dehls. Come on, Riv. What was that? Respect Dehls.
You get a pound for me.
Dehls knows I love him.
Respect Dehls.
Come on, John.
What's wrong with you?
Let's go.
Respect Dehls.
You said it 5 times.
Has he ever said respect,
Yeah, I
Drew?
got you.
Respect, Riv?
Never once has said
Are
respect.
you starting to
Drew, respect,
understand
Riv.
something?
I've been told you he's the R word. I've been told you that. This is clearly a R thing, you know.
My God, man.
Who cares? We're live.
Bro, I was kind of like swinging my chair back and forth. I was having the time of my life.
We're having a break. They ain't going nowhere.
Is that true?
Now, John, come up here. You're on for the NFL and NBA playoff predictions.
Yeah, John, your teams are playing.
All right, fellas.
All right, I'll
Bye,
catch you, Dehls.
handsome.
Oh, that was my ride.
I gotcha.
I know. He didn't take me to McDonald's too. That's why it's really
Fuck else.
So I have an interesting topic.
Hey, John,
What's good?
how was your weekend?
That Dell's playoff predictions upset me, but before that, it's been a phenomenal weekend. Omar Khan's my GM, so
I think everything Dehls does upsets you. I've noticed that.
everything you do upsets me.
It's all right.
You
Now-
notice how John's 2 least favorite people all the fucking.
Right here. Yeah.
Now listen, Heat versus Knicks preview prediction. I saw John make a little bit of a face. Now listen, John, when are you going to stop disrespecting the Knicks? You had us losing in the first round. You quickly flipped us out on that.
On the Cavs, I flipped.
And
aside,
also-
not the Knicks.
And also, I want to let you know, he can flip as many sides as he wants. He never flipped as many as me. So you better respect your lane, buddy,
You're right. Okay.
because I'm flipping more.
Congrats.
He's
When,
your junior.
when it comes to the
Oh, it's
Knicks
the third.
and the Heat, this is why I have the Knicks in 6. Listen, I'll give the Heat their respect. This is from Coop NBA on Twitter. Jimmy Butler attempted 50 pull-up jumpers against the Bucks, coming out of the series with an EFG of 58% on those shots. His average effective field goal percentage on those shots was 39% over the past 4 seasons. So this past playoff series, he took a 20% jump in his efficiency. And this year was the most efficient year of his career, and he was 43% on those shots, which means he was on godlike mode efficiency.
That's
and-
easy is.
The Heat took 152 contested threes in the first round, making 43% of them. In the regular season, they shot 34% on those attempts. And last year, which was their best shooting season to date, they shot 37% on those attempts. Meaning Jimmy Butler's mid-range pull-up jump shooting and the Heat's making of contested three-point jump shots, to me, was an anomaly. And here's the other kicker. Miami's EFG as a team on their 155 pull-up jumpers in a series was 59%, the highest mark of any regular season team over the past 10 years was 52%, and that was a 73-win Warriors.
Right.
What the Heat just did to me feels a lot like an anomaly. I think they come back down to earth, and I think Tom Thibodeau has a better defensive game plan for Jimmy Butler.
This guy's serious?
What?
Yes, I'm
Are you
serious.
dead ass?
What do you mean? Are you dead ass?
Did you just curse, John?
I'm
He
sorry,
curses.
but
He curses, bro.
I don't hear John.
No.
I don't
Listen,
want
because
to,
John
but
is
that's
John is about to
ludicrous.
say some
That's
baloney.
I really hear you curse.
John is about to say some baloney because John, before the season, was on his podcast and gave me a list of mid-ass head coaches and tried to downplay Tom Thibodeau.
Right.
And one of the guys he named was Willie Green, and he wanted to have a legit 10-minute argument with me on why Willie Green might be a better coach than Tom Thibodeau. How about you respect the coach of the year? How about you respect him? How about you respect a
This was a
coach
year ago.
and a front office
Right.
who made one of the best offseason additions in Jalen Brunson today? John, respect Tom Thibodeau
right.
because
And Leon
as much as you want to downplay Tom Thibodeau, defensively, he is a tactician. He's not going to play this drop coverage that Mike Budenholzer played one, because I don't care if Brook Lopez was the better defender than the regular season. Mitchell Robinson's a better defender than Brook Lopez. He can protect the rim just as good. He can guard in space just as well. And he doesn't have to sag off 5 feet in space and drop coverage. Mitchell Robinson will play up on all these screens. And guess what? We're getting Quentin Grimes back. We have Josh Hart. We have RJ Barrett. We have IQ. Some good perimeter defenders.
Do you have Julius Randle?
We're going to be doubling Jimmy Butler. Julius Randle was a no-show the first round. We beat the Cavs in 5.
Okay.
If Julius Randle even plays average, we're beating the Heat. And this is going to be an easy series if Julius Randle is on one. And then I look at this.
If he's on one.
The Miami Heat's hot three-point shooting. Jimmy Butler went from 35% from 3 to 44%. Vincent went from 33% to 42%. Martin went from 36% to 44%. Kevin Love went from 30% to 43%. Kyle Lowry stayed the same. Duncan Robinson went from 33% to 74% in this series. We are going to be better defensively. Jalen Brunson, we know he's him. RJ Barrett has been playing well recently, and he always plays well against the Heat. Last year, he had a 46-point game against the Heat.
In the regular season?
Yeah, but he plays well against them. So respect RJ, please.
I was just asking.
Julius Randle played good against the Hawks too in 2021, the regular season.
He did.
And Julius Randle, I think, will play well. And I think we beat the Heat in many areas. I think rebounding, transition points, our bench is better. We have more depth.
Rim protection, I'd take you guys.
Yep.
I think the Knicks are just a better team. And we're going to Eastern Conference Finals, baby. We're going to Eastern Conference Finals. And it's funny because
Knicks fan is crazy.
And I want to apologize to my New York Knicks because I slander Riv a lot because he was low on us because he called us a lottery team before the season. He didn't believe in Jalen Brunson. There's a lot of things this guy got wrong with the Knicks. But I say I wasn't perfect. Jalen Brunson, I was right on. Quentin Grimes, I was right on. I still didn't think the Knicks would be this good. I had them as a playing team, making a play-in. I didn't think there was going to be an Eastern Conference Finals team. But listen, we're legit.
I had them as a 10
We're
seed.
legit. No, you didn't. You had them outside.
Got them 11.
Who had in front of
You had the Bulls over them. So respect.
No, I don't think I had Washington.
Respect. You had the Raptors over them. You had the Bulls over them. The Knicks are making the Eastern Conference Finals. You could stamp that. And we talking about an ECF, Celtics and Knicks. We played them really well.
You do.
Listen, Knicks can make the finals too. But I'm going to just stop at the Eastern Conference Finals from now. I think we're making the Eastern Conference Finals. And it's going to be a good day in New York. I'm ordering a Jalen Brunson jersey today with the 150 you sent me. That's what it's going to. Jalen Brunson.
75. You got them 75 back.
This deal is over. No,
come on, bro. He missed 6 games.
Sorry.
Then Joel has to pay you his bread. What are we doing here?
He should. I agree with you. Drew. He should.
Unbelievable.
Now, John, what's your gripe? Because you've been down on the Knicks. You continue to be down on the Knicks, and your only reason you can give me is Julius Randle, but we just beat the Cavs without Julius Randle, basically.
Right. So let's talk about it. So the Knicks this year are 3-1 versus the Heat. Their only loss came in late March. Look, so there's a couple of different fascinations I have with this series. Number one is, can the Heat shoot as well as they did versus Milwaukee? And the answer to that question is no. But Milwaukee's defense is similar to the Knicks in the sense that they do give up open shooters. And what helped them against the Cavs is that they had 2 shooters and they could put 2 on the ball and pick and roll. They had nobody 3 through 5 who could space the floor. But with the Heat, we saw that small ball lineup with Caleb Martin. Bam's not going to space it, but he can knock down the mid-range shot. And also a guy like Duncan Robinson, who is getting hot at the perfect time now. They have a lot more shooting than that Cavalier team. A lot more. And Jimmy Butler this year did shoot a career high for mid-range as well. This was his best regular season. But we know Jimmy Butler, he is a playoff performer more than anything else. I think this series is going to be one of the hardest to predict because we don't know what's going to go on with Julius Randle. If Julius Randle is not playing games 1 and 2, the Knicks might lose 1 or 2 of those home games. And then if you're going to Miami down and you're playing against Eric Spoelstra, probably the best coach in the NBA that just beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games, I do not put my faith in Tom Thibodeau in that matchup. In fact, Tom Thibodeau, I think he's lost 3 different series 4-1 when he was the home team. So we're going to see here, he just won as the road team 4-1, how that's going to play out in terms of history. But there's also one more thing with this Miami team. It's that while Tyler Hero's out, I do think a player like Kyle Lowry and some of those other bench pieces can get him adequate minutes because Emmanuel Quickley gave them nothing offensively up until the end of that series versus the Cavs. And the same could be said with Quentin Grimes.
Facts.
My prediction would
And
be
Julius Randle.
the Miami Heat because I trust their star more in Jimmy Butler. But last round, I said I trust Donovan Mitchell more than Jalen Brunson. And I was dead wrong. I'm happy. Jalen, shout out to you. You're better than Donovan in the playoffs. But there's also one more thing here at this Miami Heat team. And it's that we've seen them in the playoffs overcome a lot of adversity. And I feel like for this Knicks team, while they were a lot more proven, a lot more ready-made, and a lot more experienced in that Cavaliers squad, this Heat team is different. They're not going to crumble in the Madison Square Garden the way the Cavs just kind of forgot how to shoot in some games, right? And some of those cold stretches, those cold spells the Cavaliers had, propped up the Knicks to be a way better team than what they actually are. If I had to grade the Knicks' performance in that series versus the Cavs, I'm giving them a C. Mitchell Robinson, I'm giving an A. They were great on the glass. The Cavs are giving an F.
You're being strong.
They played terrible.
You're
The
being
Knicks did
strong,
not shoot
John.
well. They're not a team that
And they won in 5.
Julius Randle was pretty poor up until game 5, where he's playing well, but even then his best game was when we went 4 of 9 from the field pre-injury. Julius Randle's coming off another re-aggravated left ankle sprain.
That's true.
So if Julius Randle's not going to be 100%, he already wasn't 100% last round. The question for this Miami Heat team will be, can you kind of punish them offensively where all of that pressure's on Jalen Brunson? It's going to be harder on him against a better Miami defense on the perimeter. And I think for as good as he was, as solid as he was versus the Cavs, that's going to be a pretty tough task if Reynolds is not on the floor at all. And then for RJ Barrett, RJ had himself a very, very good end to that series versus the Heat.
Amazing.
Or versus the Bucks.
Yes, correct.
He can continue it. Why can't he continue it?
I don't see why not.
He can do it.
I agree.
He's star RJ Barrett.
I do
Stop. Don't lose me. You have me. Don't lose
the
me.
Cavaliers were letting him get downhill going left, and that's where he's best. And I wonder, how will he game plan against that? Can they stonewall those drives going left? Until they force him right where he still struggled this year? That's going to be the $1 million question with Barrett. If he has to be the number 2, because we already saw him in that Atlanta series when they played him well, struggled big time. So this, more than anything else, is going to tell us everything we need to know about RJ Barrett. And look, man, you got to pick a damn side with RJ. Are you going to start, when he starts playing like shit, are you going to all of a sudden start to say, oh, we knew it, this is RJ? Or are you going to double it down? I feel like you've been so wishy-washy with the guy. It's something that I think is very misleading in some ways. You're so reactionary with it. And RJ is a very inconsistent player. When you're reactionary about an inconsistent player and shit starts to hit the fan, all of a sudden we start to take that back seat. I'm just telling you right now.
Tell me, so when the pressure hit him, he start folding.
I think RJ is a player that can perform though in the series. It's not that he
This
can't.
is your apprentice?
It's how
He knows him well.
The question is, how does Miami game plan against him? Right?
RJ?
I think Brunson's going to see more doubles in the series than he did against the Cavs. And I also think Bam Adebayo, he will be closer to 100%, getting a couple of days off. He has the hamstring strain, though. And I think that's the other matchup here I'm really excited to see. Julius Randle versus Bam Adebayo. Because that could be the deciding factor along with Barrett. And honestly, I don't think the Knicks bench is that much better than the Heat.
Yes, it
Though,
is.
I'm not
It's way
sure
better
about
than
that.
It's way better
Kyle
than
Lowry, I liked a lot.
It's
Some
just
of his minutes. Duncan
offensively.
Robinson
IQ's
shooting.
better than Lowry.
But IQ
But
is poor
what did
against the Cavs.
IQ give them offensively, right? Like he can space
Against
the
one
floor,
playoff
they
series,
can do those
correct.
two
I mean,
guard-on-guard
listen, hold up,
screens.
John. Let me ask you a question. You
This
picking
is a
the
tough
are you
series.
picking the Kings or Warriors now?
It's like in the Warriors. You kidding me?
Okay.
Warriors
I'm
in
just
7.
Warriors.
I gotta admit, Sabonis has
Hey
been playing
Drew,
some
was
solid
this the
defense.
4th time he changed his pick on this series?
It's not true. I picked-
So he went
You
Warriors.
picked the Warriors, you picked the
All right,
Kings, you
3.
picked
It was 3. It's 3.
Three.
So here's what
Third
happened.
time.
That is 4, but
If you let me
you went,
just,
no, John. Sorry,
Hey,
bro.
let
You
me
just
go.
spoke for
There's a video
75
that just
minutes.
happened.
No.
John, you spoke for
Split myself.
75
I
minutes.
did.
You said you took the Warriors. You said the Kings are going to win, and the Kings are going to close this game in 4 or 5. You said
They
it.
won game 3.
No, that's
It
a
was-
lie.
it was
You
game
said
3.
it's going to close in game 4 or 5.
Wait, hold on.
Which it
Hold on.
will.
Drew.
It's not true.
If they win game 3, which they will.
Which they will.
You predicted them to win game 3.
Stop
So
it,
you're
John.
wrong.
You
You're wrong.
folded.
I said
You're wrong.
the
You
Warriors
folded.
win
You're wrong.
that game, the series
You thought
opens
they
up.
lose. You thought they lose. You're
Stop.
wrong.
You said
You're wrong.
which
You
they
flipped 3
will.
times.
You're cooked.
No, I don't give a shit about that. I said if they win game 3, then the series is over.
Which
But
they
if-
will. You said which they will.
Which predictions.
Okay, so you're wrong. So you were wrong about that 3 times.
I made a
You've been
one-game
wrong about the
prediction.
series 3 times.
But then I said if the Warriors win game 3, it opens up, and that was the second
Hold
most
up.
important game, right? So
Listen,
I
at
don't
least
think it's that crazy
with RJ Barrett, my wishy-washiness with him comes every other 3-4 months. You change your prediction pick like 4 times in a series. You change your mind like
that was the only
like 3
series.
times in 2 weeks. Hold up. What is it though? Because when you were giving your analysis for the Cavs series, it was Julius Randle's going to lose you this series because he sucks. Now it's Julius Randle's the X factor, and the Knicks need him to beat the Heat. What is it? Julius Randle sucks? Wait, hold up. What is it? Does Julius Randle suck, or do the Knicks need him because we know he's a good player? We know he's a great player.
by default.
Or in the
dude.
last
So what
game.
is
the
it?
one thing
He's
that you
pretty
can
good
say
now.
to the Knicks' credit
They
is
play
that
better with
Julius Randle was bad against the Cavs, and they closed in 5.
And I don't think he'll continue to be bad. Listen, I think
God willing,
eventually
he's
he'll
healthy.
Why
be
do you
good
say
God
that? He's got
willing.
Bam
because
guarding him.
I think
because
Bam has to
eventually
worry
he'll
about
be
Mitch.
good.
True.
He has that's
That's
the
really got
he
Cody
has to
Zeller.
worry
He
about.
actually
We
played
can
fine against
win
the
we
Bucks,
can
so.
win on the glass once again in this series. Mitchell Robinson will dominate this series once again.
The
Well,
one
you could
thing
have said
I
that about Bam or Brooke and Giannis, and they didn't dominate like that.
But Brooke is not what Mitch Robinson is. He's not.
go.
And even the
Sure.
Heat versus the Knicks this year in their series, we did beat them 3-1. The Heat shot 42% from 3 in those games. They shot well too. And RJ Barrett plays well against the Heat. You got 26 points, 30 points, 46 points. He's played well against them. Listen, I think RJ Barrett will play well. I think
Win me
Brunson
over.
will see more doubles, but that's going to open up our spacing and our shooters. And we have a better bench. I don't give a damn that IQ had a bad series. Your boy Darius Garland had a bad series. You haven't mentioned him once.
He's
You
not.
haven't given him
He's at
criticism
home.
once. Ooh. Trey Young just bounced back and led the Hawks to wins, and you ain't talking about that once. So respect Trey Young.
Hey,
Actually,
to be fair, Garland did get a win. He did get one.
Because of him, they
Yeah.
won. Correct.
Emmanuel Quickly is still a better player than Kyle Lowry, and I think that Emmanuel Quickly will come to show up this series. Isaiah Hartenstein is better than any big man off the bench the Miami Heat can throw at the Knicks. And Josh Hart, if Quinn Grimes comes back, he will be off the bench as well. And he is better than any bench player the Heat have as well. Our team is a better roster top to bottom. It simply is.
With or without Julius Randle, or both. Without Julius Randle, too.
Without Julius Randle, I think it's Knicks in 7 still.
Hi guys.
River Brown here.
Yeah. So you have you never who'd you pick?
Oh, I've got the Heat.
Heat and I don't really care for the games.
I
You got the
always
Heat,
pick
right?
Game 6.
Yeah.
but I'll
Okay.
go
Okay.
7. Could be 5.
The Knicks showed out. You know, you gave him a C plus. I
was
don't know.
insane.
That was rude.
Their
you know,
offense could have been better.
their offense could have been better, but they're playing one of the best defenses in the league.
That's a fact.
So
Number 1 defense in
and
the
I think
regular season.
I think defensively, what they showed me was incredible. The way they were able to handle Mitchell and Garland, the way they were able to impose their will in the glass. So you got to give them credit for that. Just you know, so shout out to them for winning that. I was wrong in that. I picked the Cavs in I think 6 or 7 games. The Knicks ended up mollywhopping them.
Jig is up.
Yeah,
Different series.
no, that was Kings.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So now going into this series, Knicks and Heat. The Heat did a lot of historical shit in that first round. Losing Oladipo, tough. Losing Tyler Hero,
That's
tough.
tough.
This is a team that's lacking in depth and losing Tyler Hero would have been huge for a series like this, where
OD.
they're gonna throw doubles at Jimmy. They're gonna try to create a type of zone matchup for Jimmy because Tom Thibodeau, I've known him my whole basketball life. He is not going to let Jimmy just one-on-one ISO his man all day. Josh Hart is a great defender on Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler's in a different mode right now. I don't think one-on-one anybody can stop him at the very moment. So you have to throw doubles at him. You have to throw different schemes at him. I think Thibodeau will do that. I think the Knicks have the bodies to do that. I don't think Milwaukee had wings outside of Drew Holiday or bigs that can really do
Middleton.
that. So
I got you.
yeah, Middleton is a body, but he's not a good defender at this point.
Yeah.
So I think Grimes, Josh Hart, those are guys. Even quickly and switch, he's small, but he's a long long, lanky point guard that can defend. So I think that is really important. Jimmy's gonna get his, you know, but it's about the other guys. You know, can you limit Bam in transition? Can you limit Bam bringing up the ball and setting up offense? Can you limit the other shooters? Gabe Vincent had a big game 5. Can you limit him? Caleb Martin showed up in big strides. Can you limit him? I do think the Knicks are deeper. I do have the Knicks winning in 6-7 games. You know, I think this is going to be a dogfight with respect to Jimmy, but I think the Knicks are the much deeper team. I think Jalen Brunson's playing at a different level right now also, too. I think in the clutch in the fourth quarter, the way he's able to control the game is really, really impressive. Right. I do think Randle, even though he may not play good, they can still win because they're a deep team. RJ Barrett, it really just depends on his matchup because in the Cleveland game, you know, we love to harp on how good he played, but Cleveland wasn't really worried about RJ as much as you think they were on the defensive end. They were kind of, it had to be you had to let somebody beat you, and RJ Barrett was the one that they let beat him, and he came to show up. For Miami, this is going to be a difficult matchup for them. They don't have a lot of defenders. You know, Bam and Jimmy are great, but the other guys, it's going to be tough. I do have the Knicks winning in 6 or 7, though. I think they do end up in the ECF.
So for me, if the Knicks want to win this series, it's a matter of quickly getting it going this series because offensively, that's where I have concern on both sides of the ball. You mentioned a lot of really solid points about the Miami Heat. They were unbelievable shooting the basketball in that series against the Bucks. The Knicks defense proved to be a lot better, a lot more concise against the Cavaliers, but the two teams are completely different. Cavaliers are a little bit more guard-centric when it comes to their offense, where you look at the Miami Heat, it's predicated on Jimmy Butler getting going. Now, I agree with you, Riv. I think that with Tom Thibodeau, he's going to throw a lot of double teams at Jimmy Butler. The fear becomes, if I'm a Knicks fan, are these shooters going to continue to stroke it the way that they did against Milwaukee?
Mm-hmm.
That's where, if I'm a Knicks fan, I have a little worry, because if Duncan Robinson, I get it, he's been pretty poor these last couple of seasons, but you can't ignore that Duncan Robinson, when he's hot, he's a great shooter. Caleb Martin was phenomenal last season. Last series shooting the basketball. Gabe Vincent was obviously stroking it against Milwaukee too. A lot of these guys, Kevin Love, honestly, you got to give credit to Kevin Love for being acquired midseason, being able to defensively take charges. He's been a gritty guy. He's been knocking down the three ball consistently for them as well. So credit to Kevin Love, especially in his return back to the playoffs. But I do agree. I think that the Knicks are the deeper team, but my concern, I'm picking the Knicks in 7 games. I am. However, the concern does become, is this offense trustworthy? I do believe Jalen Brunson is going to be more than fine. I don't think Miami has the answer for Jalen Brunson. They're going to throw bodies on him. They're going to try and double team him. But that's where, is Randall going to be the Randall that the Knicks need to be? Is Quickly going to be the Quickly that was in the contention for 6th man of the year? Grimes, is he going to come back and get going the way that he was towards the end of the season? Josh Hart, he's been phenomenal. A top 3 addition at the trade deadline. He's shooting over 55% from the field, shooting over almost 45% from 3. Josh Hart has been phenomenal. Can he continue to keep up this trend? So I do believe the Knicks are deep enough to beat the Heat. I do think they do have the bodies defensively to defend well against the Heat. The concern is, are these Heat players going to knock down their jumpers? If they do, I say 7 games, because I understand the mission that this man is on right now. He is on a different level. He has been the best playoff performer in the 2023 NBA playoffs. I'm not hearing that, because against the number top 3 defense in the league in the Milwaukee Bucks,
it's
to be averaging 37 points per game, to have the efficiency that you're doing, to be the 8th seed, also being the number 1 option, not playing alongside Kevin Durant. And that's not a knock to Devin Book. It's just, when you have 2 guys that are just playing at this alpha level, you have to start to really be precise in your evaluations. He's playing alongside Kevin Durant. Jimmy Butler is the one. That's the guy that's getting it done for the Miami Heat night in, night out. So no, he's averaging 37. I think Book is also averaging 37.
So I'm looking at it. So Jimmy went first game 35-11, then 25-3, then 30-5, then 56-9, then 42-8. Booker went 26-4, 38-9, 45-6, 30-7, 47-10. So
they've both been
amazing.
It's just
Jimmy had the 56 points.
It's just
the
also,
50 though is woo.
It's
close,
Jimmy
though.
Butler is the one on his team. As great as Booker is, if you want to argue that Devin Booker's the one on your
He's
team,
the one right now.
for sure,
He is the one
fine.
right
But
now.
it's Kevin Durant. You understand is the better offensive player. So regardless of that fact, that's why I have Knicks in 7, because I think that Miami, the way that Jimmy Butler's playing, they deserve that credit. If the Heat shooters can continue to shoot at this level, I think that it will be a phenomenal series. However, I just think that the Knicks are deeper. They do have the better defensive presence, and offensively, they have more options than the Heat do. I just think the Heat they lack the depth, and that's ultimately what it is. Credit to Spo. He is the better coach in this series, but Tom Thibodeau does need his. Tom Thibodeau has been a lot better than what people want to give credit for.
You're right.
Because especially against the Cavaliers, he
This
outcoached
year he
JB
had an up
Bickerstaff
and
so
down
bad
year.
that JB Bickerstaff's on the hot
Yeah,
seat
Drew.
now.
Sure. Tom Thibodeau's not good. Josh Hart wasn't a good trade. There's a lot of things you're not right about when it comes to the Knicks.
And then again, the big part of why the Knicks were able to have so much success against the Cavs is because whenever they tried to get into the paint, they met bodies.
They bullied
Jimmy Butler,
Cleveland.
he's going to be met with bodies. And that's where the concern becomes. Is Jimmy Butler going to be willing to continue to get himself beat up He will. He's Jimmy Butler. He doesn't fear that moment. But the shooters need to be big if the Heat want to win the series. I don't trust it as much as I trust
This is what I'm
the
looking
Knicks.
out for in game 1. Because these shooters are shooting lights out right now.
They're amazing.
And I think that doubling Jimmy game 1 right off the bat and allowing these shooters open shots
Mistake?
is a mistake. if you want to kind of simmer down their momentum.
No, you got to fill it out.
I think that game one's a fill out. Jimmy Butler gets single coverage in game one.
I don't disagree.
Josh Hart, Quentin Grimes, they guard him single coverage. You stay on these shooters.
Let's switch, just let it happen.
RJ's a solid defender as well.
You get these shooters to get contested looks once again, and I think that number comes back down to earth this series. Then as the series goes on, you send doubles, or even as the game goes on, you send doubles depending on the moment, get the offense out of rhythm. But ultimately, listen, another reason why I feel good about this matchup is that Jalen Brunson is a defensive liability. I know that he can get hunted. But outside of Jimmy Butler, there's nobody on the Heat that I say, damn, Brunson's on him.
Right.
Like, it's Max Strus, Gabe Vincent,
Shooters.
Caleb Martin, Kyle Lowry. If Brunson's on them, I'm like, all right, fine, I'll live with it.
And Brunson's stout one-on-one. He's fine.
Yeah, like
He's
if it's against
honestly
Butler, they're probably going to hunt that switch a lot.
Mhm.
But I think, we'll do a good job on making sure Brunson doesn't get onto Butler. And that's the only guy we have to worry about versus the Cavs. It was, we don't want Brunson on Mitchell. We don't want him on Garland. And I think that we do have the defenders to stop Bam from having a good series. Mitchell Robinson can lock up Bam for this series. And as good as Butler has been, he's averaging 38 in the first round. That will not happen in the second round. I don't believe he's averaging this in the second round versus the Knicks.
I do think Hart's a much better matchup than Drew, who's 6'3". But here's the thing you said before, how Jimmy's going to meet bodies. Look, rim. Mitchell Robinson was the rim eater in that series, but the Cavs did not have a big who could stretch you out. Bam can, and part of why I like Eric Spoelstra
Bam
so
can,
much
what,
in
like
this
10
lineup.
feet?
I was going to say minimally.
Well, did you watch the fourth quarter of that game 5 where 4 possessions in a row in the fourth quarter? Eric Spoelstra has had Bam take up the ball on the floor, and he pulled Brook Lopez out the paint where, just like Mitchell Robinson, he is best as a drop-back big where he's elite. Then all of a sudden, you've got a lot of action opening up off the play, and now Jimmy can get going downhill one-on-one. It's the same thing if Bam's making those mid-range jumpers, because Mitch, he can hedge, he can go up on a ball screen, but now you don't have him at the rim where he's at his best. He's also not going to be there to rebound. That's the Knicks' bread and butter. That's what won them that Cavs series. That's why I'm saying, like, look, they did not play well. The Cavs could have won that series, but both teams shot like shit.
Just
and the
losing
Cavs
in
the fourth
5.
quarter
I don't know if I
played
can
poorly.
agree.
They got
King.
blown out like 3 times.
Also,
both
Mitchell
hold on.
Robinson-
at the Garden, they could have won both of those 2 games, and the Cavs and Knicks both did not play anywhere near.
Okay, and the Bucks could have won those despite
The
the.
teams were awful.
despite
the
Offensively,
Heat's-
they were shooting like 30% each.
Okay,
the
cool.
Cavs 27
Okay,
or
cool.
31%.
We want to do that. Despite the Heat's Herculean shooting performance, that was godlike, Greek-like efficiency.
You know they led the league
The
in
Bucks-
3-point percentage last year, right?
Not this year,
With the
though.
same, this year they won the better teams in the league in the second half of the season. We're in the second half of the year.
Okay,
right now.
but this year they were not that. All right, they
are
were
right
not
now.
that.
They've revved it up from a really poor.
They
start.
are that for 5 games. You're
No,
doing.
no.
Okay, but
They're
listen.
top 10 in the second half of the
But
year.
listen, this is what
regular season.
I'm saying. Despite the Heat's Herculean efforts and Jimmy Butler being Superman, the Bucks could have won game 5s and 4. They were up
Right.
double digits with little time left
That's
on the
actually
clock.
easier to say than
The Bucks and Heat series is
Both
much
both
closer
ways.
than the Knicks and the Cavs one, without a doubt.
Yeah, the Knicks
They're
are
both
whipping their
close.
ass.
And
bro.
also
Well, in
comparing
game 5, it wasn't
comparing
close,
Mitchell
but for the better
Robinson and
part
Brook
on the road, it was.
Lopez is not fair because Brook Lopez is not an agile center. He is slow on his feet. That's why he's great in drop coverage. But that's why the Bucks are also susceptible to a lot of pull-up mid-range jump shots. Mitchell Robinson is a lot like the defender Nick Claxton is, where he can go out in space and guard. Mitchell Robinson can guard in space. He can play up on these screens.
But they wasn't.
I don't know about that, man.
They-
He's,
He
I
has
didn't-
better. He has
didn't-
Mitchell
better.
Robinson is built just like Brook Lopez. They're
He's
very
No,
skinnier.
he's
similar.
not.
He's
Mitchell
skinnier.
Robinson.
I know he's not 300 pounds, but they're the same type of mold.
They wasn't
He's a lot
letting-
closer
No,
to
they're
Brook
not the
Lopez
same type of
than-
mold.
Nick
They wasn't-
Claxton compares
they
to
wasn't
dogs.
let- they wasn't letting
Mitchell's
They're
closer
much
to Claxton than he is to Brook.
But they wasn't letting
Lopez.
Mitch. They wasn't letting Mitch switch on Donovan by himself. It was a lot of doubles and hedges. He
Of
wasn't-
course, because you
yeah.
want Mitchell to get rebounds, but Mitchell Robinson is a better help and recover center
Yeah.
than Brook
But with
Lopez
Clax,
by a large margin.
Clax, they let Clax switch like one-on-one. They
Yeah,
let
that's
Clax
like-
switch.
like
That's the
best
difference.
Center switching in the league.
It's Bam, bro.
I think he's better than Bam. Maybe it's close, but it's,
It's
you know,
Bam.
top
This
two.
is from the Bam defender.
I'm the Bam defender
But
Claxton basically is a
he's starting to
guard
fade
one-on-one.
to this guy.
because I'm realistic.
Yeah, facts. That's why.
we're
That's
really
why.
saying Mitchell.
No, I don't think he's Brook.
and,
But I don't think he's Clax.
bro. Listen to this.
He's somewhere in the middle, which is great.
That's his clip.
Listen to this. We're saying that he's saying that Mitch Robinson is a similar type of mold to center to Brook Lopez when Brook is 7 foot 282
he's a
pounds
big
Yeah.
dude.
and Mitch is 7'1", 240.
He's not 240. He's 260 at least.
Mitch
Who's
Robinson
Mitch?
is 240.
Basketball Reference not updating that. My brother.
Well,
Oh, so he's
Brooks
you
300.
want to think he's 260
He
at
was
least?
275 a year
Brook
ago.
like 300. Brooks big.
Yeah, he
No,
is a
he's
big
300.
dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Brook is
It's
big.
a 40
Nick
pound
Claxton's
difference.
like 190, 200.
Yeah. Nick is
Yeah.
a little
Maybe
skinny.
210, 215. But I understand where you're coming from, but it's just a matter of
Is NBA.com not updated either?
None
I
of
would
that shit
imagine.
is
Don't
updated, man.
Don't they like have like a
Nah,
lot of
they
really
lie.
accurate
They lie. They
measurements?
lie.
Like
Okay.
they're not 100%.
I don't, but they
Nah,
they,
but
they have
20
got 'em
pounds,
accurate.
John?
You've got to use the eye
John,
test.
20 pounds is a lot.
Okay, Drew.
240 to 260 is a
Drew,
lot.
Well, yeah,
Drew.
I'm saying it's probably 260.
Drew,
That's
basketball.
muscle.
Drew, basketball reference, ESPN, NBA.com. Mitch Robinson is 240 pounds.
They don't update that.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago.
They don't. Yeah,
John,
they don't. Yeah.
I'll meet you in the middle.
Sure.
Maybe he's 250. To give him an extra 20 pounds is
All I'm saying is
generous.
to say he's Brook Lopez, bro.
No, I
you
mean-
obviously he's
Pack
not
on
watched Mitch
21.
Robinson.
John, you know what I mean? Like 20 is a lot.
Well, he was 280 last year, so like
He did lose. A
He
lot
was
of weight.
280.
Yeah.
So Mitch Robinson lost 40 pounds.
I'm saying.
I
Probably
said let's meet in the middle. 250.
That's what I'm fine with that.
Even then, Brooks like 300. So what are we
Yeah,
doing?
no.
Okay, at the end of the day, Mitchell Robinson is not a similar type of center as Brook Lopez
Let's not-
defensively.
yeah, I
They're
wouldn't
not
say
the
that.
same.
I wouldn't say
He's
that.
They're not the
better
same.
switch defender and pick and roll. He can guard higher.
He's
up,
more
but
agile.
That's not the point. It's not about Brook Lopez. It's about against Bam. If he's
That's not the
making mid-range
point.
jumpers, dude, like that means Brook.
How
or
often
Mitch
is
No,
maybe
it's-
how
out of the
often? But
game.
how often is Bam making mid-range jumpers
If
that you
he's
really gonna have to
initiating the
worry about
offense
that?
The way Eric Spoelstra had him.
I'll be honest, we're
before.
cooked. Nick Claxton's 215. They're cooked.
Yeah, I mean that's like somewhere in
That's 35
between. Yeah,
pounds.
regardless.
Well, no, the difference in how Brook
Oh, he's
Lopez and
40
Mitch
difference
guard
on the
Bam, there's two completely different things. Brook Lopez, when Bam Adebayo is taking the ball up the court, he sagged off like 10 feet, bro. He's not even on him, remotely close to him, because he's in drop coverage. Mitchell Robinson won't be sagged back that far because he can help and he can recover. He's not going to be 100 yards back on Mitchell on Bam Adebayo defensively.
Brook
Kyrie
wasn't
Irving is
either, and that took him out the
194.
paint, man.
Claxton's
That's how
like
you get
15
Jimmy going
pounds.
off the ball, and that's something that he can go to.
So you don't think
It's
Mitchell
hard to
Robinson
get
can recover in those instances? He's shown it a ton.
10 to 15 feet with Jimmy in a split second. It's pretty tough. For
And
a center
I
to do
think
that.
that Tom Thibodeau will tell Mitch Robinson that, okay, you're more likely to live with a 20-foot jump shot of Bam Adebayo than Jimmy Butler driving to the basket with single
that's
coverage.
just one slight adjustment I'm talking about that Spoelstra can make, and he's made many different ones.
Ultimately, what cost the Bucks?
going to throw something out that I don't think the Heat have shown or did do in that series versus the Bucks.
Okay,
He's the best
sure.
coach in the
Okay,
league.
okay, sure.
Okay, sure.
Oh,
You're just
oh,
overlooking the best coach in the NBA. buddy. What do you mean? Okay,
ultimately,
sure. He's,
ul-
yeah, whatever. He's
ultimately-
not bad.
That's what
ultimately-
Rick Lopez is this. Like, come on.
Ultimately, the Bucks lost the series because they played drop and the Heat were killing them in drop. The Knicks are not going to play that type of
The
defensive
Bucks
coverage.
were not only dropping.
And sure, you can say, oh, yeah, well, Eric Spoelstra will throw this little wrinkle. And yeah, then the Knicks are fucked. There's nothing that can happen. Oh, yeah, like Tom Thibodeau can't also do something to adjust to that adjustment.
Rev, is Tom Thibodeau known for his adjustments in the playoffs?
Not back in the day.
Is Tom Thibodeau known for having a coach of the year? Is John Tortorella known for
Derrick
comparing Willie
fucking
Green, a
Rose,
rookie coach,
baby.
to Tom Thibodeau?
That was a year ago.
Is Tom
Fine,
Thibodeau? Is
don't
Tom,
bring up old tapes that
is
are
Tom?
proved.
Is
Derrick
Tom?
Rose, baby.
Is,
I don't
is
like
Tom?
that.
Is Tom Thibodeau known for
I'm
being the
not saying
coach
Tibbs
that?
Tibbs is a good coach. I
Is
just
Tom
think Eric
Thibodeau known for
Spoelstra's
being
more
the defensive
innovative.
coach that helped the Boston Celtics win the championship in 2009? Is he known for
This
that?
is-
08.
we're
That's
all
what he
aware
meant.
In
of it.
08?
Honest
The
mistake.
point is, Eric Spoelstra is probably the best coach in the league. Tom Thibodeau's a good coach. There's a lot of really good coaches in the league.
That's
But
right.
Eric
No, the
Spoelstra
gap is
is
obvious.
a great coach.
The gap
I
is
think he's a
obvious.
lot more creative offensively and getting his guys going downhill. And against
Good.
this Knicks defense, he's going to be well prepared. He's always got to maximize his talent. And the last thing, too,
Good.
before we wrap this up, can we talk about this for a long time? The Heat do have shooting. Like, I know they shot 34%
do.
in the regular season, but they were like 31, 32% to start. They get up to the higher 30s in the second half of the year. This was the same exact roster, minus Tyler Hero, who was second in three-point makes last year for the Heat,
Mhm.
as a year ago when they shot 38% from
He's not here.
Easy.
None of this.
Easy, Joel.
No, I'm
If
just
you're gonna,
John. Are you gonna
if you're
after
gonna double-
game one when the Knicks win? Are you gonna come back and say Knicks are gonna win the series?
no,
I'm just wondering because you said that with the
pot
Cavs.
calling the kettle black. But
it's wild too.
No, I'm just.
Now,
I'm
John
just
won't
asking.
flip on the Knicks. He's
I'm
standing
asking.
on this.
No, I flipped on the Grizzlies because John Moran got hurt, and I think that's why you're thinking I'm a flip on this series.
even though he came back and was fine.
Well, I thought in game one.
We did
afterwards,
all
he
think
wasn't
he would be
True.
out for a little longer.
So I was like, it's
Am
still
I
the
mistaken?
Grizzlies, but
After game one, John went from Cavs over Knicks to Knicks over Cavs.
Correct.
Grizzlies over Lakers. Lakers over Grizzlies.
We all
Because of
did that.
John Moran's
We all
injury.
did that, so I
That
don't
was
care.
based off
yeah,
of Ja's
okay.
injury.
And also Kings
I
over
actually
Warriors.
said when Ja came back, the Grizzlies were winning. I was just wrong.
And also Kings over Warriors.
Kings over Warriors just based off Game 3. It wasn't a series prediction as
You
much.
picked the Kings over the Warriors.
Because I
John,
gave the
just take the
caveat.
L. Just take the
No,
L.
I
He gave the caveat.
If the Warriors win,
You
the
said
series
which
opens
they
up.
will.
Yeah.
You folded.
No, I mean, that was just a prediction. The Kings will win the game. What if the Warriors could?
And they would win the game and eventually the series.
No. You said which they will when you said this series will be over.
No, I'm
in
just
4 or
wondering.
5.
Okay, listen, because I could respect the Knicks pick. If you guys wanted to pick the Heat, I could respect it, right? But I just want to know that after the Heat come back down to
I'm
earth
torn. This is
with their
hard.
shooting, if you're going to come back game 1, game 2 and say, you know what, I think that I overlooked this Knicks team and this Heat team. Actually, they don't have these great shooters that I think.
To simplify it, what really is that's it. That's how I look at this series, and that could be the difference between the Heat losing and the Heat winning. If these shooters continue to shoot the ball that they did against Milwaukee, it gets scary. That's where the concern really starts to settle in for the Knicks. But I am under similar belief. I just feel like defensively, the Knicks do have the personnel to defend well. They are.
We're pretty stout
They
defensively,
are.
so I got the Knicks, man.
It'll
Yeah,
be a
I just
great
don't. I just
series.
I
don't
don't even
like.
like the
I like
Knicks.
this respect. It's been a lack of respect for the Knicks this entire time from this guy.
I have respect to them.
It's
I
been a lack.
respect the
It's a C plus at best.
Yeah,
Mr.
that was
Cavs.
hilarious.
C
I thought it
plus.
was
No,
just-
that was insanely rude.
A C
Offensively,
plus.
The Knicks play well offensively.
Defensively, they were
play
great,
terrible.
Mitchell
Offensively, no.
Robinson,
I don't
Rick
agree with that.
Lopez,
The
and
Cavs
drop.
were so bad offensively from a shooting perspective and made it such an easy
But I
matchup
think
for the Knicks.
to
Like
be-
the Cavs didn't have the personnel.
Yeah,
So the
but
Knicks didn't have to
I feel like the
adjust.
Knicks forced us to look at them to not have that personnel. They didn't let Donovan play 1-on-1. They didn't let Garland play 1-on-1. They basically made their bigs useless in pick and rolls. They basically made their bigs useless on the glass.
I would have said it was a B plus performance by the Knicks defense, but a D level performance by the offense. And that to me is a C plus.
You know,
Their offense was bad. It wasn't
wasn't
rough.
good, but
I don't think the offense was good either.
The role players-
95 points. It's a lot easier to win the game, right?
I
And it's
feel
not
like
a
that's
shot
a
at the
real
Knicks.
playoff
It's
game.
just honesty.
That
They
is a
didn't-
real playoff.
The Knicks didn't play a great series. They played a solid, and they surely were a lot more prepared.
You know what I
in a
think it
better
is, John? You're
matchup,
used to the
but-
high flying offensive loud points, but a 95, like 100,
Yeah,
that's
the-
a real
the Knicks
playoff
are
game.
just a
I-
hard nosed,
I don't
gritty
agree with you.
team.
I
That's what
like
they've
that
been all
style,
season.
Shot making and efficiency matters, right? And that
the-
Cavalier team wasn't built for
But in the playoffs,
playoffs.
efficiency becomes a little bit overrated at times.
Okay, you're right
Because
about
not
that.
many
Yeah.
players elevate.
You do need
There's
some
really
of it.
few
And
that
I feel
do.
like for a lot of the Knicks' younger players, besides IQ, Quentin was hurt as well, and Julius, that's a team that can be a lot better than what they were offensively. So if anything, I'm giving the Knicks credit by saying they can be a lot better than that. That was a C-level performance, and they still won the series.
So
No.
what would it take for
But now they're playing an experienced Heat
what-
team.
What will it
so-
take?
how
to win
many
the
points
series?
would have it taken for you to respect the Knicks
I
point
just
output?
think not shooting 29% from
Yeah.
three and offensively having.
Because
a little
Drew,
more
I'm
going
looking
for you,
here,
being creative.
and I know it's not a fair comparison because it was the ECF last year. The Heat scored 102 points, 109, 82, 80,
They also have a worse
111,
offense.
96.
Now,
Jimmy scored 50 points out of one of those
I'm
100
talking
point
about
games.
That's
ECF. This was
Oh, I'm
ECF
sorry. I was
last
about to say Jimmy had
I'm
half
talking
a
about
He
point.
had a 40-point.
Usually, playoff games are like this.
yeah, their offense was better last year than it was this year.
Was it?
for Miami. Or,
With Tyler Hero out now,
Oh,
yes.
Miami. Oh, I think it was like they both weren't that good though.
I agree. It
Yeah.
was Jimmy Butler
backpacking
saying, "Come
again.
on, y'all, let's go." That's really the only. That's why I don't know why we should have.
Jimmy
gotten
had
to this
40 in the
fucking
TD
50-minute
Garden.
conversation when in reality
They have beef.
the Heat are Jimmy Butler and the shooters around Jimmy. If the
Right.
shooters around Jimmy can show up, then John, yes, the Heat will win. But
They can still
the
lose.
Knicks. And that's how I feel.
Listen, I'm sorry. It's just the Knicks disrespect
They have
is
beef.
annoying.
No, John,
I
it's-
think it's disrespect.
it's
just like
before-
laying it out.
Before the series, it's the Cavs are going to beat the Knicks easily. The Knicks don't have a chance against them after game one. Oh, yeah, the Knicks are by far the better
You
team.
didn't give the Knicks
All
a
it took
chance.
was a game.
That's not true. I said it would go to 7 games, Cavs Knicks, and I said it's going to come down to the stars. And Donovan didn't come to play, so the Knicks.
And Julius
Garland.
Randle didn't come to
And
play.
that was why after game one, I was like, Donovan played well. He's probably not going to continue playing at this level, and it's going to be tough for them to win this series. And I even said, we were talking about this with OG. It is predictions and like what actually the outcome is versus your opinion. So like, what would it be? Outcome versus predictions. What was it we're talking about?
I got you. I know what you're talking about.
basically,
how-
basically, but
There's the
basically,
outcome.
It's saying what you think will happen, but you have to give your reason. Talking about the other team, your analysis on the other team, but why your pick will weigh out those.
So reasoning versus
other
outcome.
reasons.
My
There you
reasoning
go.
for that series was the Cavs bench would be much worse and the Knicks bench would be much better, but I thought that duo would play better. So
Okay.
my reasoning was there. Just the outcome was just dead wrong.
but
because
their
Donovan
duo
was
play
so
better
Sorry,
than
it
our
happens.
duo. Julius Randle didn't come to play, and we still won in 5.
Well, I think we all knew Mobley would
I
give him
did say
trouble.
the Knicks
No,
bench
but
would
I
be the
didn't
X
know it'd be
factor
this.
coming in. That was
And
my
Randle
winning
averaged
5.
13 points.
That's
bro.
that's the impressive part. That Randall was that, and they won in 5.
I think that's a testament to that. They don't really need
OD.
Julius Randle.
OD.
And the further you
And
get in the
honestly, we
playoffs,
hadn't
you
even
need
spoken
that.
about
You
Obi
need that.
Toppin.
You need Randall?
What he was. in the
All I'm
regular
saying is
season,
that
you
I
need
feel
that
like a
role.
lot of your
But I don't think he'll
analysis for
ever-
this series is
John.
rooted in a hot first round matchup.
John, he'll never
And
be that in the regular
they-
season, the playoffs.
They had a hot first round
He'll be in the
matchup, but
regular
they're not
season,
going to
he'll never
shoot
be
like that. Like
He's about
they're
to
not
play
going to shoot
They
play.
shot
close
like
to
that
that.
last year.
Don't
in the
get
playoffs.
easy.
No, they
He almost went to
didn't.
the sun.
They didn't shoot like that last year in the playoffs because it was an anomaly what they shot in the first round.
Last year in the playoffs, they went to the conference.
They didn't
finals
shoot
with the
that
same
way.
Exact roster minus Tyler Hero.
They
also
didn't
played some
shoot that
dog
way,
shit ass
though.
teams, to be
They
fair.
played Philly.
They beat Philly.
And Embiid
but-
missed 2 games.
Yeah, he was missing. a couple.
Facts.
We
He
don't
wasn't
care though.
100%.
'Cause Giannis
You
also
can
missed
say
2
you
games.
can say Miami
Right.
shot well. You can say Miami shot well last year.
Consistent, you bastard.
I'm always consistent.
The Heat
Ass.
shot 44% on contested 3-point shots. They did not shoot that last year in the playoffs. They did
Looking at
not
it right
shoot
now.
that well last year in the playoffs.
But they showed
Their
you if you're
EF
not
their
shooting that well,
EFG
it can
as a
still make
team
run.
on pull-up jump shots was 59%. Not even a 73-win Warriors shot that well. So no, this first round was an anomaly even for them. It was one of the more anomalies of all anomalies.
The Bucks did help
Are you
the Heat
looking
up
it
by
up?
missing some threes.
Yeah,
and
it's
that,
not looking
that
good
got
for
them
John. I'll
going.
be honest. It's not looking good. I'm looking at the 3-point percentage in the playoffs last
I
year.
just want to know,
And
John.
it wasn't as good as I thought. What was it at? 37%?
Well, PJ
38?
shot 45%. Duncan shot 38%.
As the team in the playoffs last year, what did the Miami Heat shoot? My prediction would be like 37%.
37%.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Maybe it's a little bit lower than that.
They shot. Wow, John. You are correct. 37%.
And that's
That's what they
good.
shot last year, though.
That's still good.
But
That's
that's
really
what
good, man.
that's what PJ Tucker. What did he shoot?
45% from the
And that's what
how many
Tyler Hero
attempts on
shoot.
PJ though?
Like 17.
Come on.
17.
It doesn't matter. They shot 37%.
Yeah,
Doesn't even
yeah.
matter.
Facts.
And what did Tyler Hero shoot?
Um,
Well, Duncan Robinson
he
played
shot
like one game
39%.
last year in the
He shot
playoffs.
39%.
Okay, so those are
So-
2 players that they lost that are not on the team currently.
Okay, let's do this, buddy. Kevin Love, Duncan Robinson. Those are better shooters than PJ Tucker, who takes 1 3-point attempt a game, and then Tyler
Kevin
Hero.
Love is not a better shooter than PJ Tucker right now. Well, at the time, last year versus this year, he's not.
Next topic.
Kevin Love was shooting 29% with the Heat in the regular season.
PJ Tucker shoots from
He had a
one
great
spot or
series.
one
Yeah,
spot.
I was gonna say I'd take Kevin Love as a
All right,
shooter.
I just want to
Last
last question, John. What's the
Please
deadline?
let's talk
I'm
about this
gonna give you a deadline.
Let's do it.
Game 1 or game 2? When are you gonna switch your pick?
I'm going to switch my pick never because it's not going to be a switch.
Okay, cool.
I switch my picks based off of injuries in round 1. John Morant,
Cool.
Draymond
Oh, okay.
suspension.
Yeah,
Draymond suspension
nice.
was why I didn't give the Warriors a chance. And the third series I flipped, what was it? I didn't remember. So, like, it's
You
based
picked the
off
Knicks after
injuries.
game 1 versus the Cavs.
Right. Oh, that was the series I flipped because I said, okay, Donovan Mitchell, if he continues to play this well, they can win, but I don't think he will. And therefore, the Knicks bench will get
All
a
right.
W. So my analysis was right. Just the outcome, the prediction was wrong. We
Some
all make wrong
Maggies.
picks sometimes. So.
That's what I want.
That's worse.
Maggies.
Okay, so
Food?
game 1, game 2. I'm gonna give you a game 3 deadline. That's my deadline
I'm
for
only
you.
getting hungry.
I'm not going to change
I'm
my pick in
starving.
the series.
That's the
If-
game 3 deadline. I'll give you a
If
game 3
Julius
deadline.
Randle and
Yo,
RJ
throw money on
Barrett
this series
play out
then.
behind,
John's,
money on the
Throw
series?
money on the
John's not
series then.
of age. to
He's
gamble.
underage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, John's not
If
of age to
RJ
gamble.
and Julius play well and the Knicks win,
Oh
then
yeah, they're
it's
gonna
not.
win if the fucking best players play well.
If
Yeah.
they get hot. If they get hot,
Yeah.
the two guys are
All
relying
right.
on, especially Julius, tougher shot making.
Oh yeah. Hey, listen, Drew. Listen, if RJ and Brunson play bad and the Heat shoot well, lights off of the series,
Well, that's how
they'll
the Knicks
win.
win.
Yeah.
The Knicks are going to win
Yeah.
if Julius gets
Yeah.
hot and he's
Got the
playing in
bro.
game 1.
For
or two.
sure. For sure. Yeah.
I'm just saying that's how the Knicks will win the
Training.
series.
Okay.
So if
No,
they
no.
do that,
I'm telling you how the Heat gonna
then
win. If the
let's
Heat
go.
shoot well and the Knicks
That is
best
how,
players,
that is correct. That is.
Okay.
That's the way they win.
if the Knicks
was
best
nice
players
hours
play
today.
bad and the Heat shoot well, they win the series too. And Jimmy Butler continues to average 30, they win the series. That's my prediction.
Heat shooters have done it in the playoffs. Julius
Sure.
has not.
All right.
So,
All right. Next
Next topic,
series.
Fluff,
Yeah,
please.
come on.
Sixers
please.
Well, to
versus-
be fair,
30
this
minutes
this
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 time.
conversation should be quick. Go ahead.
Sixers versus Celtics.
Fuck no. This is gonna.
Yeah, hard nose. It's pretty.
Now
simple.
for me, I'm taking the Sixers in 5. The Celtics in 5 games.
even with Embiid,
He's might not
Embiid
play
is
game 1.
Embiid is
know.
doubtful for game 1.
I see it. Go ahead.
And this is even if he played, I was teetering between 6 or 5 games
Me too.
because Joel Embiid averaged 4 assists in the first round, 5 turnovers per game in round 1. He struggled in the Brooklyn series with double teams, and the Celtics are going to throw even more double teams at him. Not to mention, I don't like what the Sixers players have been doing down the stretch of the season.
Okay.
Joel Embiid saying that championships basically don't matter. It's not the only thing that
end all, be all.
matters.
I'm glad you're seeing the light.
that didn't rub me the right way.
I love that. You're a big championship guy now.
I'm a championship guy when it matters. And B needs a championship.
Agreed.
He has a player on his team.
Don't do that.
He has a player on his team that's starting for a championship in James Harden.
Facts.
And that goes to my James Harden point.
Talk to me.
The fact that he needs a championship and this motherfucker was in Las Vegas at a club smacking somebody on video.
Who?
I didn't see that.
Hey, who?
I didn't see that.
James Harden.
Really?
Yo.
He was a light slap. It was a light slap. It wasn't nothing crazy.
I thought you meant like some real shit.
The fact that Embiid's dealing with an injury and he even isn't 100% locked in on a championship, and James Harden flew out to Vegas to enjoy his time off when he could have been prepared for the Celtics series, it rubs you the wrong way. This is playoff time. This is where you win your championships. And your best player is injured, and your second best player is out at the club.
Yeah.
And he's in Vegas.
It's very real. It's like shit. It's like he's having a conversation with dude. He
Just doesn't stop. This is the guy they want to mentor in Houston. They want to be a mentor.
Yeah, this is. I'll tell you
Houston.
what, Joel.
The fact that I see these players aren't fully locked in outside of Tyrese Maxey and
Like I
Tucker
said,
possibly
Maxi's locked in.
rubs me the wrong way.
Tobias has been playing
PJ's
well.
not going to be locked in. You're not certain of that?
He will be
Oh,
locked
there
in.
you go.
Tobias,
that
you're gonna give him.
Locked in.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But I'm saying if you
I
want to
told
beat the
people.
Celtics,
yeah,
Remember my spiel.
if the Sixers want to beat the Celtics, Embiid has to be A+.
Agreed.
Harden has to be A+. Maxey has to be A+. Everybody has to be A+. And I'm thinking Embiid's going to be a good C. I'm thinking Harden's going to be a good B- at best
bro, this is your team. What's going on?
because
Joel Embiid's got a spring
Embiid's
LCL.
injured. He's going to play with a knee brace on, and Harden is out at the club.
No,
I got Celtics in 5.
No, I know. He's
Didn't
not.
do anything in practice.
Yeah, that is pretty
Doubtful
nuts.
for game one.
Because he keeps always
So-
flopping and hitting the floor. That hurts.
If Embiid were
Well,
to
you're
have
sad, so you
played,
might as well just keep flopping. And you'll get better.
if Embiid were to have played, I would still have the Celtics in 6 games. But without Embiid, I still see this going Celtics in 5. I have a very tough time regardless of whether Embiid plays or not, just for the fact that the Celtics have Philadelphia's number. Philadelphia has had the answers for Joel Embiid. And the Celtics, although they did not play their most consistent basketball against Atlanta, they lost a game where DeJounte Murray was suspended. They should not have lost that game in Boston. The fact they were able to close out in Atlanta, Jason Tatum have a nice performance to end that series. I think that the Boston Celtics they were similar to how Giannis was saying Milwaukee was, their focus was championship. I feel like Boston kind of took their eyes off the prize in that series. They didn't really go full pedal to the metal against Atlanta. But now you're playing Philadelphia. They understand it's time to lock the fuck in. And I think against Philadelphia, who already has a injured, and who knows when and what game that Joel Embiid will return to. But I just think the Celtics overall are a more trustworthy team, more complete team, both sides of the ball. And in terms of the coaching battle, Joe Mazzulla versus Doc Rivers, flip a coin, because Joe Mazzulla this is his debut as a rookie head coach. Doc Rivers has not been historically known to be a great head coach. So I say flip a coin because we need to see how Joe Mazzulla adjusts in this series. If Joel Embiid is going to be playing, how are they going to play defense on Joel? What are they going to do against James Harden in that pick and roll? But I think regardless, not to overthink this too much, because if Joel Embiid's not 100%, they're not beating the Boston Celtics. So I'm going to go with Embiid, Celtics in 6, without Celtics in 5.
I remember when I went on my Embiid spiel and I talked about Tobias being locked in, Maxey being locked in.
For real.
I thought Harden was locked in.
Me
you
too.
know? I thought, he's been playing well
Sometimes
this
you
year.
need to hit Vegas. Remember Dennis Rodman said, yo, I need a vacation.
Dennis Rodman is a completely different type of guy. He's just completely
He's not your point guard.
Yeah.
Try to defend Harden. I'm
He's
trying.
just, but I think this series would have been a lot interesting if Embiid was healthy. He's going to be struggling on the knee, and I can already see the excuses getting ready to pile up for Embiid if he plays bad. Unfortunately, I have the Celtics in 6 games
Why unfortunately?
because I hate the fact that Dehls is going to be happy. But unfortunately, I have the Celtics.
Do you feel that
in
way
6
about
games.
me and the Lakers?
Yeah, undoubtedly. But I think
But that makes sense because you've been wrong about the Lakers.
I'll come to the good side.
You have recently, and I appreciate that.
But you gotta not like what you've seen in that Nets series. Offensively, they wasn't good. They was not good.
They weren't.
Even Maxey was great in Brooklyn. I thought down the stretch, closing games, him and Tobias, that little duo was really, really good down the stretch. But against Brooklyn's a great defense. They weren't good. Joel Embiid wasn't making great passes. First game it looked good.
Yeah.
You thought it was strides to be made, but then it just got bad. I think the double teams will be coming, especially for Boston, because their big man depth is lacking.
For sure.
And Rob Will is one play away from me. He's also another injury-prone player. Al Horford's a little old in the age.
Rob's look good though.
Yeah, but you don't want to put that on Al
what you're
Horford. So you
saying.
want him to be ready for the finals. If you do eventually get there, you don't want to do that. But Embiid, Harden, you need 8+ games from them. Tyrese Maxey needs to be that third guy for you, especially with the way Derek White's been playing. You know, he's been a really, really, really good all-around player. Tatum, obviously, he's going to have his 1 or 2 stinkers, but for the most part, JB is another guy you have. So these are a lot of guys you have to account for. And then, of course, they have Brogdon. They still have Smart. So with Philly, it's just I thought they match up well, but with Embiid's injury, with Harden looking like he's not locked in, although I think he'll be okay. I think he'll come to play.
Yeah.
Maxey, and you're putting a lot on Maxey and Tobias Harris. The depth is still a little bit concerning because they don't have a real backup bid, but that's good in this matchup. I do have Boston in 6, so I think they close this one out. I do think Embiid's injury is going to be tough for them to overcome unless Harden puts on 8+ masterclasses back to back to back.
I feel a Harden game 1 masterclass incoming.
Game 1 guy.
I think so.
I'll be honest, I've seen Kyrie do a masterclass and they still lost.
I think they could lose that game.
Yes,
Whatever Harden's over is on points, I'm taking it. I feel confident in that.
I have to because Embiid is doubtful for
That's what
game
I'm
1.
saying. Embiid's not playing.
This sucks because this could be an amazing series if Joel Embiid was 100%. But with this knee injury, he's doubtful for the game 1, but he's also only going to have 1 day of rest in between games. So it's easier for the knee to get inflamed. It's going to be tougher to rev up because they're going to need him to play 38 minutes. One thing, we're going to see a lot more Grant Williams in this matchup because Grant was out the rotation for basically half the Hawks series and for the better part of the end of the regular season too, played his most minutes against a Joel Embiid of the post. But the issue here is this is just a mismatch on so many different levels, the 76ers. You have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the opposing wings, but I also think for Harden, this is the wrong type of series for him because they have so many switchable guards and wings who have more length and size.
To be fair, Trae Young just averaged damn near 30.
He did say it was 30 and 10, right?
I do think Trae Young, you were right about that. That's a great point.
But Harden has been struggling a little bit.
Trae was still struggling late in games. Game 5, I think that Celtics defense is just a lot more malleable for the stage. But the other part to it, the 76ers, when Embiid is on the floor, the one limitation he's had in the playoffs for years now is when he gets double teamed, he still struggles to read out the post.
There's no adjustment.
The Nets had a lot of length, a lot of wings that will throw bodies at him. They did a good job being aggressive, and they were physical with him. The Celtics are a very similar matchup where in many playoff series in Joel Embiid's career, he's averaged more turnovers and assists. And he's been, let's be honest, when he's under pressure, a passer that often fails his teams. He could lose his handle. And I think for Philadelphia, even if he were 100%, this was going to be a tougher matchup. I have the Celtics winning 5 or 6 games because I think at some point Embiid's going to have one of those monster games. Even if he's not 100%, he is that good. He has been that great this year. But then again, he's going to get to the foul line a little bit less.
There's just
saw that in the first round.
There's just no other, like, when you watch them in the playoffs, there's no other play that they run outside of the Embiid in the middle at the free throw line. Right. And there's no adjustment. There's just Harden pick and rolls. He goes to the left or the right. Embiid's in the middle. He gets it. And then he's not a good passer, but you keep repeatedly running the same play, hoping he'll get better.
That's the issue with Doc Rivers. Is like, is there more to this offense you can unlock? But you
have a lot of good players.
Because you do have Tobias Harris. Like, look, when Tobias gets his touches in the post and he can work in between, he's a good player. But it's like, how can you stagger those?
You can hit Maxey is great in transition. He's great at finishing really at the rim. You can have him off cuts, have him coming down off pin. Like, there's a lot of actions you can run with this team. You have a lot of versatile players. You just choose to run this same bum ass offense, and it's just going to continue to be bad.
I wish we get like a prime Greg Popovich coaching the 76ers team. And you could use Tyrese Maxey, well, not the same playmaker Tony Parker was, in a similar type of role. Mm-hmm. Of course, Joel Embiid's not the type of passer Tim Duncan was either, but I feel like stylistically, the 76ers could be akin to that San Antonio team from the mid-2000s up until 2014 if they had a coach who could actually maximize that offensive talent. And the other thing, too, of course, for it to go to 6 games, Tyrese Maxey's going to have a monster performance in there as well. And if he's going to have to be the guy against his Boston defense, there's a lot more attention on you. It's going to be a lot tougher for him to be at his absolute best.
Guards are tough, smart, white, all can defend. Brogdon, the defenders.
It's like the 4th best guard defensively. Brogdon.
What was the third thing you said?
I said smart, Brogdon, white can all defend.
Okay, good.
What you thought I said?
I thought you said small guards are tough. They're fast, strong, white.
Oh no!
Oh my god!
You said smart, white.
I said the guards are tough for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I have Celtics in the 5. I have that.
Damn, Philly. Well, another year of you
This sucks
Harden not
because
winning a ring.
2020 they didn't have Ben Simmons. They got swept.
But that's why he's
I'm
going to
hoping
Houston.
Embiid-
He's going to team up with Ime, Victor
He's going to
Wembanyama,
take Jalen Green to the club.
Jalen Green. You know what I'm
Jalen Green's
saying?
about to get traded.
Yeah,
That's a
I think
BS
it's
rumor.
He'll take the whole team to the club.
I
Houston
hope
clubs.
it's a BS rumor.
What
I
does
don't
this
want
mean
him
for
traded.
Philly though if they lose in 5 games versus like the Celtics? Is it like
Hopefully, we get sick of hearing
hope we
Embiid's
get
a
healthy
top
next
3
year?
player in the world.
Well, listen,
he
Embiid
is when he's healthy.
Embiid at his best is that good.
He is.
The problem is, and I think it's unfortunate, but we're never going to see Joel Embiid healthy in the playoffs. It's as simple as that. We haven't seen him healthy to this point, and every year it's the same thing. It's just not going to happen. At this point, his knee is just getting worse. I don't see a scenario where he plays a regular season, he plays 50 or more games, and in the playoffs, he's healthy and ready to
There's a
go.
lot of weight on that knee.
It does
Big
make you
dude.
appreciate too the fact he's gotten to this point because he played 31 games his first 3 years. And we kind of thought, kind of like Zion, is he never going to play for the 76ers? But he overcame that foot injury. I do agree with you in some ways, but I just hope this guy can stay healthy. If he could stay healthy for one playoff run, the 76ers
It's like a
would be a bona fide
second
contender.
or third year getting hurt in the playoffs.
Joel Embiid is
Every year,
already
like 2020.
deploying tactics to avoid getting injured, like falling to the ground, so he doesn't have that impact on his legs. Joel Embiid actually falls to the ground when he gets a little bit of contact. You never see him just flail
Yeah,
down.
but that,
I've
that
seen
doesn't that make
many
it
times.
worse?
Yeah.
No,
That's-
he said before that's a tactic to not get
Oh.
re-injured.
I thought it makes
So-
it worse
He already does that to
because he flops hard, bro.
he already
Yeah.
does that to not get injured, to reduce the risk of injury. And if he's doing all this and he's still getting injured,
Better
I just don't
So you're
see how
saying,
he's
Better
like,
call
gonna
him
make
LeBron.
Just flopping is like kind of to reduce pressure in certain points of games.
Yeah,
call LeBron. Tell him you need that summer package. You
That's
know?
a fact.
it's because the body takes the fall and not his legs.
Okay, got
That's
it, got it,
why.
got it.
The impact isn't, you're not fully going like this, you're going like this, kind of falling
Okay,
to the
okay,
ground.
okay. That makes sense. I didn't know
Last
that.
series preview:
Here we go.
Suns versus Nuggets.
So pumped up.
This is another one that could go like 45 minutes if things
It
go
won't.
south.
It
So
won't.
let's
Listen,
hope.
for me,
spiel.
listen, it's not going 45 minutes because he disrespected my Knicks. That's why I went 45 minutes.
All right.
Don't disrespect my Knicks. And the Knicks actually own the head-to-head playoff series record against the Miami Heat.
Really?
What is it?
3-2. 3-2.
Back in the days.
Oh.
of
We
Philly
actually
versus
beat
Moran.
them. We actually beat them in 1999 when we were the 8th seed and they were the 1st seed.
Ah,
That was the year we made the finals.
is that with Alonzo Mourning?
That was
Sure
what
as
the
hell
Lonzo
was.
I have the Suns in 7. I like both teams a lot. I wish both teams could advance.
Shocker.
What the hell is that?
I don't know.
Let
Here
him
we
go.
go.
The Nuggets, I would love for them to make the finals. I would love for the Suns to make the finals. It's as simple as that. I think it is concerning that Booker played 43 minutes, KD played 44, and Chris Paul played 39 minutes. I'm not sure if Cameron Payne's coming back in this series. If he is, then it would be a huge boost to their bench. I just look at the matchup still. I think Booker gets the Murray matchup with Torrey Craig. You put Torrey Craig on MPJ for length, CP3 on KCP, KD on Aaron Gordon, so he can help and he can be a roamer, and then Ayton on Nikola Jokic.
Food.
I think Jokic dominates this series.
Correct.
He's actually a really good matchup for Jokic. He has been
He is.
historically. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
Ayton's
I
a
thought,
really good
didn't
one.
you just say share with me the series last time they faced out?
Nikola Jokic outscored him a lot, but
Which
you have
makes
to
sense.
you have to remember that Chris Paul averaged 26 in that series and D Book averaged 20. And
That was
Yo-
also when Jokic was playing by himself.
no, I'm
First
saying,
MVP
but
year,
that's
too.
why he outscored him too, because
Correct.
Jokic didn't have to share the scoring with anybody else.
Fair
It was
enough.
just all him.
Fair point.
And has played well against Jokic. It's a good matchup.
Very good.
And even Denver's bench, it's Bruce Brown, who's good, Jeff Green, inconsistent, Christian Brown, rookie,
That's it.
good, but that's where it ends.
Yep.
I think the depth with the Suns and the Nuggets is similar, and these star players are going to have to play an absorbent amount of minutes to stay in this series and to win. I'm trusting the star power in this series. I'm trusting KD, I'm trusting D-Book, and I'm trusting Chris Paul because of his mid-range prowess. And I do think that it's just a bad matchup for Denver. Having Jokic and drop,
Right.
hitting those mid-range jump shots. What concerns me with Phoenix is their lack of three-point shooting. I think that the margin for error here for them is if they're too reliant on mid-range jump shots, and the Nuggets are hitting three-point shots at a high rate and they're shooting them at a high clip. Because ultimately, even if the Suns are killing the Nuggets in mid-range, if Denver's going back on the other side of the floor and they're getting Jamal Murray, MPJ, KCP threes, then ultimately that outweighs those 2-point makes that the Suns are making. I think the math is slightly in favor of Denver, but I'm going with the star power with Phoenix. I think the Suns have the star power. I think KD coasted in the first round, and he's going to be even better in the second round, and I have them winning in 7 games. I'm more comfortable saying the Suns in 6 than Denver in 6,
Okay.
but I think it goes 7. I think Suns in 7.
Does this series remind you guys of the Bucks Nets in 2021?
Not even close, buddy.
Not even close.
Well, explain them.
It's a legacy series from both sides, but it's also one that can go either of the two ways. The Nuggets are the underdog as the number 1 seed, but they also are a team you can trust more because of the continuity.
Mm-hmm.
KD's coming back though off that injury. He's getting more and more comfortable playing off of Devin Booker, who just has best series. I would like to note Devin Booker did that against a terrible Clippers defense, but he still was on one, and he's playing at the highest level so far in his career. What I'm most curious to see is that we know Nikola Jokic defensively has struggled in the playoffs, and this year we saw that versus Minnesota where, Steve Jones, I think, tweeted this out, where he just doesn't, he knows he can't protect the rim, and so he gets to a point where if you drive on him, he'll like kind of half-heartedly try to set a charge, but he really, and it really not really, doesn't set the charge, and then a guy blows right by him to the rim. So for Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, each of these two guys can average 30 points in this series. The question is for Phoenix, what are you getting from those other 4 to 6 guys you're playing? And that is a $1 million question I do not know the answer to. And here's the thing I'm most interested to see. We know Chris Paul can be food defensively. I'm looking for some Denver, maybe inverted pick and rolls where they have to force CP to switch going downhill. At 38 years old on that age, he just can't move laterally like that. And if you're getting Aaron Gordon coming off curling actions, going downhill on him, MPJ, Jamal Murray, those are 3 guys that can't attack the rim and are really good to elite finishers. That's going to be the first thing I'm looking at for Denver. But the second thing is that second unit the Nuggets have. Is it good? No. But do they have a second unit they can rely on? Yes. It's Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, and Christian Brown. I think Christian Brown's a really good matchup defensively for Devin Booker, and that's a guy that can play 15 minutes. The question is, are you going to get enough, though, from that Suns bench? Because we don't know who's going to come off of it. I think they'll keep rolling with Torrey Craig because he was so good in round 1, but is he going to continue shooting 60?
Sniper.
Is he going to continue shooting 66% from 3?
40% possibly.
He's playing his former team in the Nuggets. I wouldn't be surprised if he continues to make 40%. But then what happens after that? Is Josh Okogie going to play a large enough role off the bench? And if so, is that going to be enough scoring, enough off the bench when KD or Book's off the floor? I think if one of them is not in the game, the Nuggets can single out the other one and send doubles and triples because the Suns don't have shooting. Like, I've talked about this a lot. Damian Lee should have not had his bench role revoked. Because he did, he's now not in a rhythm, which he was in earlier in the year. So now your best shooter is not going to be able to play. Landry Shamet, he's done nothing all year long. I don't know how he's still getting minutes, but he is. I don't know if he made a single 3 in that series, too. He's getting paid $10 million to make threes. So the Suns don't have much floor spacing. And that allows the Nuggets to put more pressure on them in that in-between space. The Suns, for as difficult as it is to guard Kevin Durant, you can put a lot of pressure in there knowing they're not going to get to the rim, they're not going to get to the foul line, and they're also not going to take a lot of threes. So it's not just the math game that concerns me for the Suns. It's the fact that, dude, they can only win in one way. And if KD or Devin Booker get tired in that altitude with only 1 day of rest in between games, the Suns might be cooked in any matchup. And that's less to do with the Nuggets. It is tough to mass produce elite mid-range shot making when you don't have much time in between games and you don't have fresh legs. So that's what I'm really worried about here with these Phoenix Suns.
I've seen player interviews where they've said that playing a game back-to-back helps them because they're more in a rhythm for those games. Yeah.
What happens when you lose those legs, though? Didn't we see that last year a little bit with Kevin Durant?
I don't think D-Book will lose his legs. I'm worried about Chris Paul. Kevin Durant and D-Book, I think, will be fine.
Even playing 45
he
minutes?
He has right to, because remember, John, you remember when you, so like, we don't play at their level, obviously. But you know how when you go to the park, right, or you go to the gym, you play like 2-3 games, and you don't want to sit because once you sit and you lay down, that's when your body start feeling that, all that adrenaline comes down, and you start feeling that pain, but that's why you want to keep playing. So you keep, that's kind of like what PG was talking about.
I think with the playoffs, I want to get back after it again. Like if after you lose or win, I want to go back out.
Once you sit down, you start feeling that shit.
Important note, Cameron Payne was available to play for game 5, but Monty didn't play him.
He played a few, I think.
So he'll play and he'll be available this series. I think if the Suns have 3 players, Campaign, Okogie, Biyombo, maybe Warren gets some minutes, I think that's okay. I think that's they can do something.
Campaign's an X factor in this one because he is going to be available, and if he's making shots, that's something they can definitely.
And I think if Campaign is available in this series and he plays well, now that drops Chris Paul's minutes from 38 to 30, and he's fresher because Cameron Payne can take on 20 minutes a game a night and average 10 points and be an X factor off the bench.
I do want to remind you that last year he shot 29% in 13 games. So it's been a couple of years.
Playoffs?
He was good. Yeah, in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Been a couple of
Dog
years.
shit.
He shot 37% in the regular season this year.
Eh.
So he was good this year.
Dude, I don't know.
I still haven't picked an answer.
I don't know.
I think you know what's funny, because when we did our Clippers Suns conversation, people some of us was like, oh, the role players aren't that, they're more names
Yeah.
than good, and then we saw them play the Suns, and the more names than actual play pretty much died because they were really, really fucking good. And now you know that Suns Clippers series, obviously we can play the hypotheticals if they were healthy, blah, but what we've seen from what we got from the Clippers is defensively the Suns have issues.
For sure.
Serious issues. Offensively, we know when you have Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, it's gonna be fine. But defensively, and then John likes to say this a lot, but it matters. The heavy log minutes for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, it's tough. I mean, now you're playing a Denver team who provides a different challenge, provides different matchups. They move a lot. The Joker is the primary ball handler for the most part. They run a lot of actions. And this is a team that KCP can get live. He can shoot the three ball. Jamal Murray can get live. He can shoot the three ball. Aaron Gordon in cuts. Aaron Gordon down low. He can get it going. Sometimes in mismatches, he can take advantage. He kind of reminds me of how Wiggins, when they run those little sets, he gets the mismatch. He gets the ball right in the post. Easy work for him. He should make it 9 times out of 10. Bruce Brown, I love that you mentioned Christian Brown because I loved him coming out of college. It's one of my dogs. He's a guy who can give you that defensive effort. It's interesting because I've been telling Drew this and Dehls, I have not picked an answer. People keep asking me. I still haven't picked an answer because I think this is probably the most intriguing second-round matchup outside of if the Warriors come out. I think Warriors and Lakers is another one that's really intriguing. But this one is one of them ones. I think this one can give us, and I see what you say with the legacy part. It may not be that, but I think the Joker's legacy, low-key, is on the line. Not historically, but right now his legacy is on the line.
For the moment, yeah, for sure.
Kevin Durant right now, his legacy is on the line. D-Book, for the most part, his legacy is on the line
Chris
right
Paul.
now.
CP3.
Chris Paul, his legacy is on the line. Like, this is one, like,
That's it.
I slept
yeah.
on one. DeAndre Ayton.
Oh, fuck
Yes,
DeAndre
it
Ayton.
is.
Yeah.
DeAndre
slept
Ayton
on
is
one.
the
Yes.
X factor in this series.
Agree.
You know what I mean by the
I get what you're
obviously.
saying. And
You're right.
another one,
Yep.
Jamal Murray's playoff superstar status
Bro,
is on the line
That's
right
what
now.
I'm saying. I'm surprised neither of you
This-
mentioned it.
this-
Jamal versus Devin. That is the
Awesome.
story
I'm so
of this
excited.
series.
And this is a guy who people have mentioned a lot. If he could be a playoff superstar, that puts Joker and Jamal versus Kevin Durant and Devin Booker.
Don't forget the other 2018 top recruit, Michael Porter Jr. I think that's the other
Facts.
X factor. MPJ versus Ayton.
the next
MPJ
greatest shooter of all
is-
time, right?
That's what they keep saying. It's one of the best 6'10" shooters ever, right?
That's a
I mean,
fact.
listen, MPJ can match shooter for shooter anybody on that court because he's just a sniper with the ball, and he's pulling up over anybody and everybody.
The confidence he has in himself
Nuts.
is uncanny.
And I love it.
Not a shot.
I just really wish he would work on his dribble moves in the offseason.
Has
Really,
to
really.
anything.
Yeah,
starting to develop a little bit of a feel slowly.
I need more because this looks nasty.
But are you upset necessarily that he's so catch and shoot? I feel
No,
like I'm not.
I just feel like he would be more and more dangerous if he can
Yeah.
pull
Yeah,
up.
6'10",
Yeah, like you see,
that.
but
Yeah.
the Suns, the Denver. It's interesting because remember when you watched Denver versus the Suns previously, and what made them so bad, and Joker was so great offensively, but defensively he was so terrible because they made him so tired on the other end in those drop coverages, hitting them with just a bunch of mid-range. And now you have Kevin Durant, who's probably the
mid-range
best
goat.
mid-range shooter
Uh-huh.
in the NBA. Like degree of difficulty, no matter who's in front of you, no matter where spot you like it, Kevin Durant is the one to give it to you. And then probably maybe the second or third, you could throw DeMar in the conversation. But in terms of the playoffs, Devin Booker is the next best mid-range shooter. So the matchup is going to be a struggle for the Joker. Bench minutes have been a problem in the mix of the season for Denver. But in this series, I'm going to go Denver in 7.
Let's
go,
baby.
Yeah, I think I'll take Denver in 7. I think the offensive firepower, they can definitely match it. And they can
Facts.
give you that spurt defensively. I think the role players that they have are really, the continuity is there, the chemistry is there, and they can flow like no other. Plus, Denver is rocking. They give you that type of feel that you like to see. I just think Phoenix's role players, if I think Denver's role players can give you not 100% of what the Clippers role players can give you, but maybe 80 to 90. And then the Joker's that star,
Right.
Jamal Murray's that other star.
Yeah.
You get that from them. I think that's the key. So I'll go Denver in 7, but I am honestly not feeling my answer.
That's surprising. 10-15 seconds. Because I remember when the Suns beat the Nuggets in the first round 2 years ago, And we sat here and we said, listen, even if the Nuggets had Jamal Murray, the series is still a 5-game series.
Yeah. I think the Joker is 10 times better than what he was 2 years ago.
It's fair, but the Suns also have KD now.
And MPJ
But I think Denver's a better
is
team than they
real-
was
yo,
2 years.
Will
But Kevin
Barton
Durant
playing
is
that series?
very.
I don't know. They were starting Austin Rivers and Facu back then, bro.
That's
That was-
such a
But
That was the
Jamal
worst
Murray
matchup I've
offensive
ever seen.
doesn't change what they were doing to Jokic and Drop.
nah,
That's
but
that's factual.
That's
I think
Those games were
Jokic
close.
and Drop
Maybe
was
I'm
the
wrong.
biggest.
Weren't those games closer though?
No,
the
the
last two were blowouts, I think.
the JaVale
Okay.
McGee minutes were
Yeah.
what kept Nuggets afloat.
You know
But I
what?
think-
I can
But I
say-
think when you think about, you go to that, Chris Paul has declined since then.
Yeah.
Aiden has not improved. You obviously add Kevin Durant, you lose a lot of the depth in the wing defense you had that year. With
Yeah,
Denver,
Mikal and Cam.
with
KD
Denver,
replaces what Chris Paul did in that series.
no, I agree. But I'm saying with Denver, they got better. Joker got better. Jamal's back. MPJ's back to shoot. He wasn't good that series either. MPJ, I think, was
No.
dog shit that series.
So was Aaron Gordon. Aaron
Yeah.
Gordon's
Aaron Gordon
year-
actually got better too.
First year playing.
Yeah.
Like this is Aaron Gordon's first year playing Jamal Murray. Think about it that way.
so.
Talk to me, Drew. Where you going?
I think
It's time to pick.
I'm official.
All right, here we go.
It's
You don't
de-
like the Suns.
I don't, and it's not personal. I don't like the Suns because I wish they would have shown me more against the Clippers, and I'm glad that I got my refocus back because
could be
that's
this
what,
series.
that's really what I wanted to start with. I would have loved to see a healthy Clippers versus this Suns team that ended up winning because I would have liked to see what the Suns were actually made of going against a team that's a strong competition, not one that's without Kawhi Leonard and without Paul George. Even without Paul George, it showed that the Clippers were a valiant opponent to this Suns team. And so I look at the Denver Nuggets and I see that if there's another team in the West that can go tit for tat with them offensively, it's the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets have Jamal Murray, who's playing at that level that we saw him last time he was in the playoffs. He was absolutely phenomenal against Minnesota. You have MPJ, whose efficiency is just unbelievable for a guy that is simply just get the ball, put it up, no hesitation. My confidence is unlimited. And then Nikola Jokic, who simply just knows how to facilitate an offense as good as anybody in the association.
Damn right.
You have Aaron Gordon, who is one of the better role players in the game. Bruce Brown provides great minutes off the bench. KCP is one of the better role players in the game as well. Great 3-and-D ball player. The Phoenix Suns, if they were better defensively, I would have gone and favored Phoenix because it's Kevin Durant, it's Devin Booker. The two best, that is the best offensive duo in basketball. I would lean them if their defense was more trustworthy. Not saying that Denver's defense is extremely trustworthy. No. Do I agree with you that the drop coverage is going to kill Denver? Yes. I think that that's going to be an issue. But the difference between 2018 and now is that, or excuse me, what year was that? 2020. Thank you very much. The difference between 2020 and 2021 and now is that the Nuggets are just better offensively. They're significantly better offensively where, yeah, maybe they might get burned defensively, which is what I'm envisioning this being a very high scoring series. But Denver can go right back at the Phoenix Suns. And I don't know if the Phoenix Suns can stop the Denver Nuggets. I think that Nikola Jokic needs to be the best player in this series. I believe he will be the best player in this series. But why it's so important that he does that is because you need to allow Jamal Murray to get into his spots. You need MPJ to get into his spots. And Nikola Jokic just does a flawless, seamless job of getting everyone into their spots. But he needs to be aggressive offensively. DeAndre, and you guys can tell me that he's a good matchup, and he's been historically a good matchup for him. He needs to understand that he is Jokic, and he needs to know when it's time to put the ball in the basket. I think that I did take his assist tonight, his over, because it'll be a feel-out game. It's 9.5. I mean, Jokic lives at 10 assists, really. Let's be real. But he needs to assert himself scoring the basketball this series, and I think that he will do that. I'm going Denver in 7 games. I think that this is going to be a tremendous series, but I just think that if there's any team that can combat the Phoenix Suns offense with another great offense, it's the Denver Nuggets. And I slightly lean Denver's defense over Phoenix. And Phoenix, who does lack spacing, I think that Denver's shown that they have a lot of spacing, and on top of it, the best big man in the game.
So the Suns and Nuggets
Wait, what'd you
series
say?
2 years
Arguably.
ago.
No. What'd you say? The best what? Big man in the game?
Arguably the best big man in the game.
I got
So
him,
2
y'all.
years ago in the series,
Give me Anthony Davis 10 times out of 10.
Oh, here you fucking go.
the Suns beat the Nuggets game 1, 122 to 105. Game 2 was 123 to 98. Game 3 was 116 to 102. and Game 4 is 125.
I don't know what you remember. That series was his ass whipping.
I didn't.
It really
remember
was
that
bad.
series
Yeah.
for a reason.
MPJ shot 38% from 3 this series. He averaged 15.
I'm telling you, Jamal Murray being healthy, obviously Jokic being better, Aaron Gordon now being added to the mix, KCP now being added to the mix. These are just more reliable guys. Bruce Brown, of course. These are just more reliable guys than what Nikola Jokic had to work with.
And
I
so-
remember that year was when Nikola Jokic is off the court. They're simply the worst basketball team in the association. Now it's a completely
Surprisingly,
different story.
Cam Johnson only averaged 5 points that series.
Yeah.
So
Really?
one of the players that was in the KD trade, Jay Crowder averaged 12 points. He shot 55% from 3 that series. Chris Paul averaged 26 and 10. Booker averaged 25. And Booker didn't play super well. He shot 49% from the field and 30% from 3. Mikal averaged 16
No, it was the CP3 series.
and 18 averaged 14 and 10 that series.
It was the CP3 series.
He
He was
shot-
amazing.
He shot 6 of 8 from 3 and 75%.
He played the second most minutes on the team also.
Yeah, no. Nikola Jokic defense rating was 121 in the series.
Yeah, no, he was
the
getting
team's
Might have well
best.
been 150.
Yeah, it was bad.
Put it all up.
It was bad.
But now there's a little bit less pressure on him offensively, and I still think that he's going to get his.
We got the Jamal Murray jersey in here.
Yeah, it is in here for sure. It's right there in that closet. Yeah.
I want to pull it out.
I'll tell you what, Fox better close out because next show, LeBron's getting put up if y'all lose.
Listen, Suns in 7, but either way, I'm happy with either team.
Mhm.
I
pretty comfortable
I
with whoever
cannot
wins.
wait to see that Jamal Murray jersey.
Tell you what,
in 2
Jokic
weeks.
versus AD.
Or I guess
hope you're
2
ready.
months, so it'd be the
Hey.
Jamal Murray jersey.
Be ready because the Western Conference Finals, if and when Jokic and AD link up,
You
it's
know
going to show you who's the real king.
That is so cool. We're either
You know what's crazy? You know what it is,
Imagine Moore is really
John.
Thank you. What
John-
about D'Lo?
You know what's funny about this guy?
ball top.
it's so cool, Riv, because if the Suns win this series, we're either gonna get a KD versus Steph Curry WCF or KD
LeBron.
versus Fox WCF.
Oh. Or LeBron. I think all of those would be dope. But you know what's funny about this guy? Like
Talk to me.
he says, "Oh, better prepare because the Joker plays AD." He's so quick to put AD over the Joker, but he just refuses to acknowledge Joker as possibly being the best player in the league.
He might be. Could
Are
be.
you?
He could be.
Are you the R word?
Dude, what are you talking about?
What's going on?
Dude, come on. Strong allegations. My girlfriend's a Caucasian woman. Come
Right.
on.
I'll let you beat it for today.
Thank you. I mean, I hope I
Did you pick
beat it for
Denver?
life. I did.
Oh, we're here.
Screw you. What the fuck are we doing?
I mean, I remember you this year. You tried to put Embiid over him, and now you tried to put.
That's a conversation.
There we go.
That's not a combo.
And then Giannis, you refused to drop him.
Giannis is better.
But now Steph all of a sudden jumps out the
Not all of
woodwork,
a sudden.
and he's better. And now
I've
maybe,
given credit to Steph all year.
yeah,
Don't
but
fucking
now
do
maybe
that.
AD
Well,
might jump back to shit.
AD's been bugging.
It's like, when is Joker gonna get shot?
AD's the
Say
best
so.
defensive player in the game. Sue me.
2019 was Kawhi. 2020 was LeBron. 2021 again. 2021 was Giannis. 2022 was Steph. 2023 will be Nikola.
2020 was LeBron and AD. They were like
Yeah.
co.
I agree, but
1A, 1B.
LeBron
I
was
was wet
the guy,
watching.
You know, so
1A, 1B.
This is from Sean Fleming.
I'm glad we let that
You're
slide.
probably planning to do it later, but thoughts on Celtics Sixers in round 2? We all have Celtics in 5 games, pretty much.
Correct. Pretty much. If Embiid
Shout
plays,
out
I
to
got
Sean
6.
Fleming, though.
that's big time.
Great super chat, $50. Thank you, Sean.
Hey,
We appreciate it.
good looks. Round of applause for the GOAT. Thank you.
Aiden Ramirez, who is going to be bad enough to draft Caleb Williams at number 1 next year that didn't get a QB this draft? I'm having trouble figuring it out.
Arizona.
Shut up. Washington is going to try everything they can to get it. I don't know how it's possible, though. Unless
I don't
they're
know if
absolute
Washington-
dog shit next season, which
They're
I
gonna
don't
win
think they
7
will.
games.
Their defense is really good.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders are really, really bad
They
next
need it.
year.
Not crazy.
That would be dope. Caleb there?
No.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Denver.
Look,
Well,
my early 3
Screw
teams
you.
in the running for this pick, I think it's the Raiders, the Cardinals. I think the Rams are a sneaky pick for this top pick, too.
Cardinals definitely.
Is there any chance the
They had a good draft though.
And
wanna
the,
say
the
the
Titans or
Falcons?
Texans. One of
I don't
those
think so.
The
Yeah.
Pelicans are gunning for the playoffs. I think.
Okay.
I would
Tampa
say
Bay.
the Cardinals, Tampa Bay,
That's a good one.
and there's a third team in there. Maybe Houston.
Titans. Who knows?
This
I
from
doubt it.
Spencer
Titans are better than Houston.
Cifuentes.
Yeah.
John is Flip Aside Senior. This dude is
Ooh.
wild.
Okay, Spence.
Spencer again. Drew, I was riding with you in the Lake
I
Show
saw this.
until that horrible Joe Burrow ranking.
Yeah.
Go Bengals, Joel. Sixers in 7, Knicks in 6, Suns in 5. Love you, boys.
Shit.
Me too, man.
Shout out to Spencer, man.
Spencer.
Go.
Spencer with an S. That's a goat. Goat spelling.
Tomorrow's a legacy game for me.
It is.
And I'm mad as fuck. It's at 3:30 p.m.
I want you to know, with all due respect, I'm rooting for the Kings.
I don't care. You want to. I understand why.
And this is from Pick Aside
But,
Me.
hey, listen, I'm not scared of
Scared
either.
of competition.
Me.
Steph's legacy
Me.
makes it better. You should want Steph. You want the
I
legacy.
do.
one.
You're right. You know what?
That's why.
Warriors.
That's
I'm
only when
probably going to
Grizzlies-
wait months for my jersey.
He's cooking.
Is it Santos?
Just like my
Of course.
hoodie. Yeah, it is.
Well,
Santos.
bro, are we going to have to wait on this double or nothing before we announce it?
We can announce it because
No,
in
we can-
case I have
let's
a
wait.
star.
Let's wait.
Are we doing a we should do a pregame, not a pregame. We should do a postgame tomorrow
I'm with it.
after the because we have to talk about whoever wins game 7.
Yeah,
I want
facts.
to
we,
Because
I
then-
mean, yeah, we just did an episode today. I was going to say today, Nuggets Suns.
Yeah, we'll do a reaction tomorrow.
show.
No,
both games.
because we got to
Not the
talk
big
about
game.
Lakers and wherever they play.
Yeah,
okay,
because
so
we already
we'll-
clinched.
we'll
You know,
announce
my
it.
team clinched.
Respect. You played gritty.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, this Fox guy's fucking aggravating. What do you want me to do?
I told you Fox was like that, man. Try to tell you.
You did.
So I tell you, De'Aaron Fox is.
You also told me
Man.
Kevin Herter was a sniper.
He
Just take
has
the L,
been.
just please, for the love of God.
Want to bet Game 7? Game 7, he's coming to
God,
play.
He can't take it out.
No,
just
he
has
can't.
to-
He
just-
can't.
Game 7, he's coming to play.
He also told me Sabonis would cook.
He has been cooking defensively.
Yeah, one game.
Doing
Congrats.
his
Thank you,
thing.
John. He's
Sabonis has been a firm 7.5 out of 10, maybe 8.
Sabonis hasn't been their second best
And
player. He's
eight-
their all-star.
And 8 is an over.
Who's their second best
Malik
player?
Monk.
Okay. All right.
You're
All right. Not crazy at all.
All-star.
Yeah,
not
no,
their second
Malik's
best
been
player.
OD.
They actually won last game. I think he didn't really play the fourth. He was pretty much fouled out.
And this
De'Aaron
from
Fox,
like 20
Steph
minutes.
Curry. Is it close in who's been the best player?
I
this
do think
series?
it's really close.
I agree.
And I think
it's Fox.
The efficiency of Curry is fucking
I
crazy.
think they've both been canceling each other out.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I don't think you can lean one guy or lean the other. I think they both been canceling each other out.
This from Riyad Ahmed. Talk about how AD is the best defender in the NBA.
Yeah.
Thank
case.
you.
I've never said didn't have a case. He's just be fucking around.
You be like, bro, you just be chatting, bro.
No, because you refuse to acknowledge Draymond. That's
I
my
do
only gripe
igno-
with you.
That's not true, bro. I hate when
is.
you put absolutes before.
Because
a
when I
statement.
say Draymond's the best, you be when you say AD's back. I don't.
Bro,
I
I've
just be
heard.
like,
Draymond doesn't need elite defensive personnel around him the way AD will. So when we're splitting hairs, that matters. Higher floor racer.
oh, I see what you mean. I thought you were
Draymond.
trying to disrespect Draymond. I was
No.
like, did you see our 2021 team? Whoa.
Well, this should have been like top 3 defense on his minutes, which is nuts.
Yeah, last year he left the court, got hurt. We fell off to like 19th in the league
And
in
you had the
defense.
best defensive rate in history
Yeah,
in
it
the
was
first 20
fucking.
games.
You know, Dre, respect 80 though. 80's.
And respect to Draymond.
Thank you.
And this is going to do it for this episode of the Pick Aside podcast. Almost 4 hours. I did not feel that way.
No, it
It
did.
did feel that
It
way.
No.
fucking did when you fucking buffoons were going back and forth with the
Screaming
Heat and
about
the
the same
fucking
shit.
Knicks.
I know. I'm feeling it now.
Don't
Knicks
do
in
this.
7,
Okay,
baby.
all right.
Knicks in 6, actually.
Oh yeah,
Knicks in 6,
Tough,
baby.
tough.
Knicks in 5, baby.
Knicks are
Knicks in
close.
4, baby. That's what Knicks in 4.
I am starving.
I am
my,
too.
my bladder is.
So
cooked.
thank you guys for watching this episode. We also got a lot of super chats.
No,
this
for
episode.
real.
They
Thank
made
you
it
guys.
long.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate
So
it.
appreciate the super chats. This episode,
Glad to
let's
be
see.
back too.
We got
OG back in the stew for the
Back in
first
the
time in a month.
$250 in super chats this episode.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for the donations.
Shout out to
First
John
time
for
back
filling
in
in.
the studio
Facts.
for the basketball
guys for
talk.
I'm
Yes,
just
sir.
letting you know. Whoever the Suns or Nuggets lose, I'm gonna slander you regardless.
No, for sure,
I'm
for
rooting
sure,
the-
for sure.
Don't slam with the Suns. Nuggets are winning this
No. You're a Suns fan. There's no running
You're
for
cooked.
me.
No,
You're
no,
cooked.
I-
You're
Cannot
cooked.
run.
You're cooked.
I didn't, and I let you slide with Memphis because I'm a
Done.
Ja fan. I
Focus.
let you slide.
I've over the years disintegrated my Phoenix fandom as I've gotten good. I'm now a full-time Nugget fan, but
This
the
might be-
Grizzlies
this
are my
guy might
second.
be
Now he's a
he-
full-time Nuggets fan.
he might
Remember
be
when
a
he was a
front
Grizzlies
running-
fan?
he might-
Remember when
he-
he was a Nets fan?
You know what he is? He's a
I-
front running junior.
I don't have.
You're the front
I don't
running
have a
junior.
favorite
You're
team.
flip
So you're
aside junior.
Joel and you're Riv.
I'm never
This
gonna
is-
have a favorite team.
he's
I have
both of
favorite
us are the
players.
same.
My
This
guys are
is insane.
Jokic, D-Book, and Ja.
You are the most evil
D
man on
Book.
the pod.
I've
Is
always been a
D-Book
Book
now?
guy.
It's not
Nah,
Chris
nah,
Paul?
nah. He's been a D-book guy.
It's not Chris Paul?
I love Chris Paul.
Nah, he's been a
too,
D-Book
but
guy. I
Devin
can give him that
Booker's my
respect.
favorite player.
He has been a D-Book guy.
I never heard you talk about Devin Booker in my life.
I don't need to.
Nah, I've heard him talk about D-Book for
Nah,
sure.
he is a D-Book fan. He's a D-Book fan. I'll give you that.
What
John.
are the- what
You're
are the
also a
players
Gritty
I
fan.
gotta know?
Listen, I'm on track of all this guy's fandoms.
Yeah, me too.
It's the Grizz,
Grizzlies.
Player guy.
it's the Nuggets,
You're a
it's
Grizzlies
the
fan.
Suns,
You've
and
you
it's the
love
Nets.
the process. Don't run from me.
Oh, I love the process.
Yeah, don't
that's,
run
That's
from
what
me.
makes me a fan of teams.
You can't just keep switching every process. You're front running.
You're front running.
I
guy.
never put thought into this. I only put thought into on the show.
The thing about it is that John is a DeAndre Ayton fan. That's why he's a
insane.
Suns fan. That's why he told me the pick was a great pick. He would
Don't
have
forget he's
he
a
would have
Bam
made
lover.
it 10 times
So
over 10.
he has a little love for Miami. Don't forget that part.
A little bit.
Yeah, see?
Of course he has love. He fucking called Jimmy Butler better than Kawhi Leonard.
I mean, he was on the right side of history saying that Jimmy Butler is one of the best playoff performers of our generation.
You know that
I'm not
people
gonna
were,
lie, Jimmy heard you and said, I got you, John.
you know people were
Love
saying
Jimmy.
that he's better than Kawhi in the playoffs.
God,
That's
He does have more 40-point games.
I don't think that matters.
Nah,
He has more 40-point games than Steph, too.
He does.
he has the
Absolutely.
same amount, unless he
Steph
passed him
has
because
7, now
yeah.
Jimmy has
8 facts after
And
five.
he has
So he's
neither
fifth,
the
yeah.
amount of rings of either. That matters.
He has none actually,
0.
but
It
he's
matters.
still amazing.
No, he's great. But, when you get to that, you got to get one of these.
All right, so that's gonna do it for this episode 276 of the Pickside Podcast. Make sure you guys like this video. We're at 364 likes. Make sure you guys get it to 400, 500 if you can before the stream ends.
1,000.
And make sure you guys review our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It means a lot. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you